All right, here we are, day 2 of Giant Bomb's Game of the Year 2018. We're all here, fresh set of clothes.
Good
Shower.
morning.
Yeah, good morning, everyone.
Yes, good morning.
Good breakfast.
Got a good solid, stick to your ribs breakfast.
Only a couple hours ago.
Yeah, here we are, ready to go.
Fresh cup of coffee.
Talk
Shake
about
off the cobwebs.
a bunch more games
I love games.
from 2018. That's this year.
Oh.
I don't know if you knew.
Oh.
That's the year we're still living in.
Oh, man.
That's a shame.
I was still playing Monster Hunter at this time.
A couple more weeks, at least. Oh, wait, no, we're almost done, actually.
Yeah,
By the time you hear this,
kind of the last week of the year here.
We're
By the time
done.
you hear this, we're wrapping it up.
who knows what the next year will hold in games. But we do know what happened this year, and we're going to talk about it.
I mean, Anthem's coming out.
Anthem.
Oh, yeah.
That looks
We
cool.
kind of do know some things that are
No,
next
yes.
year will hold.
No, I sure, of course.
Want to get into it?
But will it be any good or not?
Oh, I have no idea.
That you don't know.
It's true.
You have to wait one full year until we come back here. And
That's
talk about
right.
Anthem.
That's right.
That's the only time we will weigh
And
in.
we will not render opinions.
That's
before
right.
that.
See you next year. Yeah, we are, as detailed yesterday, we are going to basically talk through a giant list of the games that mattered to us, mattered to the world.
They're one and the same.
Mostly to us, though.
Yeah.
If they didn't matter to us, did they truly matter to the world?
Man.
You know?
If a
You know?
game
We
falls
are
in
the
woods.
world.
Yeah.
But Brad, will there be spoilers?
There might be spoilers.
Okay.
I can't guarantee spoilers.
Okay.
You
I can guarantee the risk of spoilers.
I can
might
kind
get
of guarantee,
I can guarantee
you'll be spoiled on
There'll be
something.
spoilers.
yeah. Beware any of the games that we talk about today. We may get into.
Spoil the
I
hell
plan
out
to
of
only talk about the endings of games.
Oh boy!
Thank you.
Great. Don't spoil
We'll
Tetris. I'm working on
communicate
it.
how much
Okay,
we
no,
love a
do
game
it.
by
I
its
knew you were here to be a spoiler.
There's a 7th piece.
Change everything.
Yeah, if there are any games if there's a game we start to talk about and you haven't played it and care, turn off the podcast and go play
No, just kind of take your
Just, like,
headphones off
scrub
for a
it
little
forward
bit.
a little
yeah.
bit.
Yeah,
You can
Like,
look at us.
continually cough until we're done with that section.
Skip forward.
Especially if you're at work in a
in
cubicle.
30-second increments.
I say listen more intently. Let us ruin everything for you.
It
You're not gonna
ruin
play it anyway.
Yeah, whatever. You made it to the end of the year without playing it. You just close the
It's your
book on the
damn
year.
fault for not
Yeah.
playing.
Just be warned.
Play 2019 games in 2019
What are you doing listening to end of the year lists?
That's terrible.
or 1989 games.
Okay.
Well, Brad, what else will we be doing aside from just talking about these games?
Oh, there will be categories at the end of the
like
week.
what categories?
Oh man, really?
You want to do that at the top of every episode?
I mean, there's
Okay.
not that many.
All right, that's right. There are only 10 categories this year, and I will read them now as soon as I find them. Wait, who's been editing this document?
You have.
Is it
Right
best
here,
style?
right
It's right here.
Right.
Best
Staring right at it.
music?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Continue.
Best debut?
Uh-huh.
Hottest mess?
Uh-huh.
Best moment or sequence?
Uh-huh.
Best story?
Uh-huh.
Best ongoing game?
Uh-huh.
Like, just live games.
Just,
type
yeah.
thing. Best looking?
Uh-huh.
Most disappointing?
Uh-huh.
And best game.
Those are the categories
Those are
I
the
can
categories.
They're
confirm.
good ones.
Now that I've located them in this other document.
So as we talk about all of these fantastic games and maybe not so fantastic ones, we will be deciding if they maybe warrant discussion in a category.
Yes.
Later
yes.
on.
Yes, we will casually nominate things to go into categories, but that doesn't mean that we can't add more stuff later.
Or take it off.
This is just a preliminary selection process.
Yeah. It's the process we used to not record before.
Yeah.
Now we're recording it and providing it to you.
It used to be people just typing things into a Google Doc.
Yes.
And now instead
And then deleting them and saying, well, I just wanted to type it on there for a little bit.
uh-huh.
I don't even have a laptop.
I've got a pen and a paper.
Yeah.
All right. I can't
Going old school.
erase anything from a
Oh,
Google
boy.
Doc with this.
You can erase something.
You can put whiteout on the monitor.
Okay.
I have all the power here.
Okay.
I have the power to declare that we're going to talk about our first game now,
Oh no.
which is God of War.
Going through these in chronological order.
Yes.
When did this game come out? What are we up to here?
April 20th.
Okay.
April 20th was the release
420,
date.
baby.
Yeah.
So was this the same day as Labo?
It was.
I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about God of War.
It's the best game of the year.
God of War is a fantastic game.
I like God of War a lot.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot too.
I think for me, if we are talking about nominations for categories just right out of the gate here, I would put it in for best game,
Yes.
best story.
Second.
I would put it in for best music, but only because I remember enjoying it, and I would have to go back and really kind of sort
Oh,
through
we'll get
some of
there.
that stuff.
Yeah.
Best moment or sequence.
Best looking.
I think definitely best looking.
Is that
Story.
Yep.
Best
Put it
debut.
in there twice for best story. And that's I think that's
Yeah, I think that's fair.
That's fair
Okay.
to it.
Most disappointing.
Yeah, most disappointing. Is it going there? It's like, hey man, there are a lot of people talking about this reboot.
Do you sincerely think it goes there?
No, I don't.
Like,
I mean, no.
I will
you
put
don't
it
need to
there.
write it down.
Okay.
All I mean to say is that I eventually found that game to be incredibly boring.
My big piece here. All right, I've played all of the God of Wars. I've not fully enjoyed all of these Gods of Wars. This one I fully enjoyed. This is my favorite of.
This was the closest I came to enjoying a God of War game at all. Which is to say, like, for a while, I was like, this is really cool, until it wasn't. And then I was like, man, I'm done with this game.
I definitely got to some points where I was like, I might be done with this. But for the most part.
You persevered.
overall,
I have
totally did. I beat that
loved
game.
every God of War game, including the portable ones. I guess they made that phone. The phone one's canonical, but I never played that one. The weird, like, Nokia one. It's one of my favorite series of all time. Kratos is one of my favorite characters of all time. They probably could have kept making games like that, even in by the time Ascension came out and everyone was kind of bored of the formula. If they just made one of those every 3 years for the rest of time, I would play them all and have a lot of fun.
You are a lunatic.
I mean, it is. It speaks to me in that it is a video game-ass video game where you are upgrading and fighting big-ass bosses, and the combat is really tight, and the character's cool.
I could not finish 3.
Three is one of the best games of all time.
Let me give you a slightly different opinion that probably winds up in the same place. I have had mixed opinions on the various God of War games. Some of them were good, some of them were bad. I really enjoyed this game. It's one of my favorite games of this year, and it also happens to be a God of War game.
Yeah.
I'm on the
Yes.
complete
Right.
other end of the spectrum where I actively disliked the old God of War games. I thought they were mashy and kind of boring, but I think this game was incredible.
Hi, my name is Alex Navarro. I reviewed a couple of the God of War games. I enjoyed them. I fell off the series after 3. I think, and with this one, I really wanted to like it, and there are a lot of things about it that I very much admire, but it just didn't do it for me. Like, I just trailed off with it and never felt a strong desire to go back to it.
I'm kind of with you. I liked a lot of what I played of it, but some kind of life stuff got in the way, and I fell off of it back then and never came back to it.
I tried to go back.
I think it's very well made in every aspect, but there is nothing that I felt was truly remarkable or new about it.
I found myself
the thing,
really
the thing that's new is that it's a new treatment for God of War and very successful.
And it was cool.
Like, they
with some of that
revitalized the
stuff.
series. Like
Totally.
that.
I agree with that.
Actually, the setting, like the move to a different mythology, I think is amazing.
Yes.
I found myself really unhappy with the performance and visual quality settings on the PS4 Pro.
I am totally with you, and I
where-
hate to get into graphical pedantry,
the
but
frame rate on the frame rate mode was not high enough,
yes,
and it was
100%.
not fun to play on the other mode, and it just
I hate that this is a major
neither
consideration
option
for me.
was
but
good.
1,000% with you.
I didn't run into that at all.
Yeah,
I
same
played on
here.
the
I-
regular
Great.
PS4.
I think that
The-
game looks so good. I was so happy with how much color is in that game,
It's
especially considering I've
beautiful.
seen
The
so
world
many
is great.
games.
Great
that,
art design.
Especially
They
when you
look
start
great.
dipping into the other realms and they
Right,
each
like
have their
it's
own
so
color
vivid,
theme.
it's so saturated. It just looks really, really nice.
Like
The issues I have with it are more with the story. Like, I like a lot of the story, but the interpersonal beats I don't love, and I don't love how it treats a lot of the women in the game, or really the few women that are in the game.
Women or
There's
woman?
the mom who's dead at the start. There's the other lady, spoiler alert, who thanks her son for choking her out. And then all the Valkyries who are like, thank you for murdering me, which is not
Wait,
the
what?
best thing. That's
They are freed from a curse.
like
I don't
they
necessarily
died their
agree
spirit.
with all of your
I
points.
I will say, if they
I
weren't
think-
the only women represented in the game, I would be more forgiving.
The mom
of that.
is the main badass character that
Yes,
dies in the
so it's
beginning. Whose whole
okay.
the whole thing
but
about
that's such a regressive trope of there's a name for it of fridging the person.
So what
this
is what
the
is
only-
that?
That's
You
from
said that
Green
before.
Lantern, where it was the whole character's motivation is that the enemy or the bad guy chopped up his wife and put her in a fridge. I think that's what it is.
And that's for this. This is for the mom.
Yeah, the mom is dead from the start, and that's the whole motivation. That's
Well,
sort of
you're
the
gonna bring
catalyst
her
for it.
ashes to the top of it's not a revenge.
Sure, but that's the whole motivation for this character. I'm
Sure.
not trying to get into the nitty gritty. People are gonna fucking trounce me for this for the rest of my career for talking about it.
I just want to understand what bothered you about that. I do agree.
What bothered me is that
the turn on Balder's mom on
Freya.
Freya, she was such a cool character for so much of the
that
game.
was a huge
to
bummer.
have it end with her being I love you as he's choking around is so shitty.
I mean, as a parent, I think that for me was I get that whole part of protecting the kid and part of the mythology
Sure,
that's
but
built
like I
into it.
said, if it wasn't the only woman character, I didn't mean to derail the conversation from the beginning. I would be more forgiving of it. And then also just the Valkyries was such a bummer for me of why, like, I hate, like, women who are like, thank you so much for fucking killing me.
That seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I didn't take that from the Valkyrie part. Like, they are the warriors who bring people through into Valhalla, and they were corrupted. Like, that's what I got.
Sure, but like it's just another trope that's like kind of regressive. And like
Yeah,
I
mean,
said, if there were more women in the game, I think I would be more forgiving of it. But it was just like I really enjoyed my time with it.
Sure.
I especially love the side missions. So to have that like sprinkled in was just like
I think for me, some of my appeal, the thing that appealed to me about the story in it is there are just few characters in it.
Yes.
I mean, there
Sure.
are like 5
Yes.
characters. One of them's a woman. One of them's Kratos. One of them's a little boy.
One of them's a head.
yeah. I mean, there are a lot of
Just a
enemies.
head.
There are a lot of enemies though that are also male, right? Like all the fucking fairies you fight, they could have women fairies too. They could have women, whatever.
I don't
like
know the
elves
gender
or
of
whatever.
the warriors.
They all seem pretty masculine from what I remember of it. But anyway, that's like not my biggest takeaway from this game. Like I loved a lot of the side missions. Like that's where the game really started clicking for me. Like I felt like it was such a slow start in the beginning, and then once like the world opened up to me,
Yeah.
and I can go explore the side missions and like do all of that fun stuff.
I
it's
would
really
go. I would go
rad.
as far as to say that until I got to the lake, I found the game almost interminable because it is nothing but just trudge
Right.
forward through this tiny
It
path.
very much has a slow start.
Like
but yes.
but once I got to the lake and I was like, oh, there's side stuff. I can sail around and find things and do these little like, oh, there's a dragon over there. that I
And then
can
once
do.
you
Like,
get
that
Mimir
was-
in your party, like the sailing, it becomes even better
Yeah.
because you start hearing these stories and just like out of Norse legend that are so cool. I would just not dock. I would sit in that boat and let the guy finish the story. And
Yeah,
I'd
me
never
too.
do that in games when you're like in Red Dead when you're riding on horse and I got to my destination. I just hop off and move on. But like I would sit there and just attentively listen because the delivery, the stories themselves are like old and written or whatever. But just Mimir's kind of style of storytelling was really fucking.
It's
cool.
it's a fascinating character that I think they delivered on the kind of traversing the world in a good way because you do spend a decent amount of time in the boat, and the way they handle interruptions in the story I think is also handled very well. They
Yeah.
will contextually say, "Hey, we'll get back to
As
this,"
I was
Yeah.
saying,
and come back to it.
And like, well, like Red Dead does that. and
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
GTA
more
does
games
that.
are
But
doing
like,
it.
I
Are you
feel
talking-
like this is the
are you
first
talking
time I
like-
really
yeah.
noticed
Are you
it.
talking
It
about that
also-
thing where they write a line of dialogue that
Hang
will
on a sec.
bridge?
Yeah.
We'll get back to
Yeah.
conversation.
And
But
some
like,
games are
anyway,
more-
as you were saying,
Some games are more natural at it
That's a
than
pretty
others.
common
Yeah.
thing.
I wouldn't say it's common. This one
the
they
way
do
they
it better.
they do it better than
because they
most,
have
absolutely.
original dialogue that recaps some of the things that they said. Like as I was saying,
Like Atreus
about-
will be like, "Tell me more about the Minotaurs."
Yeah.
And, like that stuff's really
right.
smart.
And I think you'll probably disagree with me here, Jeff, but I feel like this game just felt so good to play. Like every
Yeah.
aspect of it, like catching the axe just had a real weight to it. It felt good. It all sounded good. Like the audio design in this game is really
Yeah.
phenomenal.
The audio is really good.
Yeah.
By the
I like
end,
the
what-
design of the world and like once it opens up and stuff, I'm like, man, this is really cool. But yeah, for me, it was just like the combat
Right.
just fell.
By the
I
like,
loved it. It
mid
took me
game,
a-
once you start upgrading
Yes.
stuff,
Yeah, like
like
I-
once
I-
you start
yeah.
getting Atreus's different types of arrows
It
and you're
took me a
swapping
while,
between
but-
those styles, and like I turned off. The thing I liked most about the combat, surprisingly to me, was once I turned off all the HUD stuff, and it was just like Atreus and Mimir will both call stuff out in the battle. Like there's context sensitive stuff where Mimir's like behind you, and once you turn, there's little arrow indicators on by default, but I turned those off because I wanted more immersion, and I was just like listening to my companions telling me where I need to look in battle. Like I was ready to pivot.
So the reason I wanted to bring up that like I would have been fine with them continuing to do just that same formula every few years is because while I would have been fine with that and I would have enjoyed that, I'm pretty easy to please. They keep giving me that stuff.
Yeah.
By the time we got to Ascension, even I was kind of like, okay, I don't have the same excitement levels I had
Sure,
over time.
you'll
I'll still
continue
have
to play
fun
'em, but
killing all
yeah.
this shit in crazy ways. But yeah, there was fatigue setting in, and I would have continued to play them and enjoy them. But I don't think I realized how much like this vast, complete change of like almost the genre could do this game. Because I started playing this game thinking it might just be like a new perspective, a new weapon. And so like 5 hours in, I was kind of wondering if I was going to even like this. Because at that point, you haven't really been able to upgrade much. The combat hasn't really evolved much. You're just doing the axe stuff. And based on series history, I thought like, well, am I going to be done in 8 hours here? And like the combat was such a big part of that series for me. I was like, man, if this doesn't like open up or something, I don't know if I'm going to like this one. But then by 5 hours in, you've barely seen shit. And once you get to the lake and you start realizing like how much like cool side stuff there is around there, and then the game keeps going, and then the combat does start evolving, and Atreus becomes a bigger part of the combat. And then obviously by the time you get the blades and everything, like when you start realizing the scope and how
Yeah.
much they have changed this series as a whole, that's when it really dawns on you just what an accomplishment this
I
game
almost
is.
thought how much they crammed in there did a disservice to the combat, though, because there's so many upgrades and so many abilities and
Right.
I thought
moves
it
that
just
you
kept it
unlock, and I
fresh
just
to
didn't.
me.
I really liked
I
how deep it
didn't
was.
care enough to
didn't all
learn all that
yeah,
stuff.
and they didn't all seem useful.
Yeah.
Not all the skill tree stuff does, and my biggest complaint about the game is that the crafting stuff is not the best.
Yeah.
It's
You
not,
know,
and the loot
yeah.
system. I
whole-
don't care about the
the
loot in
hack
that game at
silver, the
all.
different
The
currencies
whole
and-
framework of socketing gems into things and buying armor for yourself and buying armor for the boy and how those things enable new ability. Like, it's just one too many layers of shit that
It
I
is.
don't
Oh, I
want to
didn't
do. Like,
I
it's a little
personally
too convoluted.
liked it. I thought it let me play towards my style more. Like I was interested in a lot of. I was doing primarily unarmed. I felt like that was the most fun for me, just stunning people and then executing them, and being able to slot for that play style was really cool.
I'm sure with time that's fine. My litmus test for that was when I did come back to it months later and looked at all that stuff, and my eyes just started glazing over, and I was like, I don't want to learn all this again. Like, it's
I
just
don't know.
one too
Like,
many
I
things.
found myself like unlocking just everything, and like I'd never had the situation where I had to like choose something over like one play style over the other.
You just get it all.
Yeah, you just get it. all.
Well, I mean, once you start socketing stuff, like you can really
You can min-max
you
builds.
can nudge it,
Yeah.
towards a direction.
And I think you really see just how nuanced and deep the combat system is once you are trying to get that kind of like late game armor and stuff, and you've got those two very specific like kind of bonus areas of the Nephilim and the fireplace and the fog place, basically. I spent probably 15, 20 hours total just doing that shit, where it's all so combat focused, where it's like this one I'm trying to go as fast as possible, this one has the like 6 different tiers of challenges.
This one you can't get hit.
Exactly.
I did that as
Yeah.
well, but I think that's a very particular deep dive into that game where that
it's
that-
rewarding. I
it
love
is-
that.
I loved it as well. But I think the thing that did keep me going is a lot of the like narrative stuff. Like in the beginning of that game, I was pretty off put by not the like the necessarily the female tropes, but the like salty dad trope.
I
right?
know. I found a lot of those like interpersonal cliches just kind of dull.
So like some of the like Kratos' relationship with Atreus just seemed like, oh, here we go, bad like drunk dad is
yeah,
gonna
how
like
many times are we gonna see him like
Yeah.
reach for him and then be like, I
right
can't.
which was only coupled by the kind of mom and the son thing, which was just like, I get this, but like we don't need to go there with Boulder at the end, right? But despite all that stuff, like the Brock and Sindri stuff was fantastic.
God,
all the
they're
side missions there, the
tremendous.
serpent interactions with the serpent were great. All
Audio design on the server.
Just
Oh my
like
God.
one of the
Yeah.
I keep saying one of the coolest things in this game, but like every time the lake would lower, and you just
Oh,
realize
yeah.
like you go back to areas you went the first time and they're just completely different, and it's a relatively small open world. Like it's difficult to call this an open world game, but it does open up at a point.
Yeah.
But once the lake lowers and you start to realize how complex and tight everything is, and how each area has certain levels to it.
I thought of it a lot of like how Ocarina of Time was, where it's like that's your Hyrule Field basically. It's not Ocarina. No one calls an open world game, but you can kind of go wherever you want, and different places will open up based on what you've got and everything.
Right.
And I feel in terms of scope and everything that is similar, and I love that
Yeah,
style.
yeah. I think that's a fair comparison. I think.
and I think this game just has really like bombastic big moments that I think
Yeah.
are amazing, but also like kind of subtle moments. They're like one of my favorite moments from this year in gaming is when there's a bit of a setup. So Kratos goes into this shaft of light. It's in with the elves, right? And he's there. He's having a flashback. He's kind of in this nightmare scenario, and that whole thing isn't so great. But he leaves his Atreus outside with an axe and is like, "Hold on, I'll be right back." And then he comes back, and there's just a pile of corpses, and Atreus is just standing there with the axe and just
Just as all hell.
That was a good bit.
And it's just like, where the fuck were you? How are you going to leave me alone with all these
He
guys?
was like, I was gone for like 30 seconds. He's like, no, you were gone for hours.
And which then just kicks off this whole Atreus being a dick for.
I hated
so
that.
that
That was
is-
so turned off
That
by
is where I
how
walked away from
fucking
the
annoying
game
that kid
for,
was.
Like I stopped. I ended up coming back to it, but like that was the first time I quit that game.
I think you might be
was, like,
talking about
that
two different
cutscene.
parts, though. Are you you're talking about when he comes out and he's like, "Dad, what the fuck?" And
Yeah.
are you guys talking about the
I'm
part
talking
where
when
he
he becomes a
realizes he's got
god.
powers?
Yes.
And he's like, "I'm a god."
No, I like that
no.
moment fine, but
Oh, I
him
hated
being
that.
like,
I'm the opposite
God,
of you. I
him-
hated that.
I
that
hate
lifestyle.
I hated him being like, I'm
Petulant.
a god. I'm a little god. I'm a little dick
love
now.
that.
That's
Like,
great.
I was
Every
like,
kid
come
attended, like,
no.
oh.
It made sense though, because think about it. Like his character is all about how weak he is, and Kratos is just like giving him so much shit for how he can't hunt and how he's weak and a little like punk. And then he gets this power, and of course he's going to abuse it because he's just been beaten down by the world. He lost his mom. He's like filled with rage and just I don't know. I thought it made a lot of sense.
I found it was like a complete 180 on the character, and either way, even if it makes sense, the kid was fucking annoying as hell. I don't particularly care for kids, and I was like, dude, you need to shut the fuck up.
Like all the stuff coming out of that light and the character change that he went through there.
The sulking?
Like when he became like fuck you, dad. I was just like, fuck this game.
So
I ended up taking like a week off and coming back to it and playing more of it. It's like I should probably get back into it. And I was just like, that was where that game lost me.
So that's probably my favorite moment of the year in the games. In that whole moment, the sulking part was annoying. Like having an annoying companion is not fun.
Yeah.
They get to the other end of it.
I think there's narrative purpose behind it.
Totally.
And I also think it's earned, and I think it's, for me, just in a deep dive into the deep myth of Kratos is an interesting thing of a battle he can't win with force, right? Is an interaction that he can't just rip somebody in half and win. I mean, he could. Well, I don't know. That kid's pretty strong. You see that pile of elf corpses out there. But to me, it was an interesting part of like, oh, he's off his guard. Like, what does he do?
Sure.
And some of it played into like weird, like I can't put my hand around you stuff, which was again not my favorite stuff. But it felt like a very earned moment in that initial part.
But like I just feel like a lot of the like son and dad stuff was like really ham-fisted.
It was ham-fisted for sure.
Yeah.
And for especially for how much like time they spent on that, and then also the time they spent talking about how important that was to the game around it, which is that's not really weighing on here, but it was just like, all right, dude.
Yeah,
this stuff is not as fucking deep and amazing as you're preaching.
Like, it's deep and amazing compared to the fucking character work in any of the other God of War games.
But
If you compare it to that fucking,
he was always a good character.
I thought a lot of
he's
that stuff
mad.
landed.
Ooh, like at least like there's
He had
like
a dark past.
There's a gradient to the anger here that I think works really well.
I think it's
but-
better. I do think they build out a main piece of the story with big blocks that are carved from stereotypes, right? There are definitely parts of like the Freya bit and the Kratos bit and some of the other like sun complexes that are in this game. But I think it is decorated with so many great smaller moments that I'm willing to look past some of that fumbling around.
I think I really enjoyed like the Nordic lore. I enjoyed those kind of like the goblin character. I don't remember anyone's names. The like goblin character is the head guy. Like I loved all of these characters. I love Freya before the end. Like
she was great. It was a real bummer.
Yeah.
I liked the ending a lot. I thought you were speaking a bit downplayed, like the fight, whatever, but the stuff where you get to where you're trying to get, and you're looking at the stuff on the walls, and like I thought that stuff is very tasteful.
I think as someone who didn't know much about Nordic thing, the reveal of like he's Thorin or whatever, whatever Loki. I was like, who? Okay, what is this a big deal?
Well, go ahead. I was going to ask a sort of related question.
Like that, I think was apparently like a big impact for a lot of people, but for me, as someone who came in not knowing anything about Nordic lore, I was like, okay.
He's a fairly noteworthy figure in Norse mythology.
Oh, you mean just Loki generally?
Yeah.
Yes,
Well,
I wasn't sure why
he's
that was a
definitely,
big
like, a
deal
huge-
that he was Loki.
Definitely a huge deal in the like current Marvel era. Like it's
that's
a
too.
I didn't
name.
know
It's a
either,
name.
but
It's a name that people know.
I don't know.
very
That
well
felt
now.
like it was supposed to be like a big hit.
I think
and
it was
like,
it was Loki and the mom being a giant were like the big
Okay.
these are huge things. I mean, that's why I think the mom is a very important character in the game.
Sure,
because
but, like-
she sets up a lot for.
I'm not saying
And
she's
there's
not an
stuff-
important character. I'm saying when every woman in the game, there's like fucking people. She's either dead or like people are killing her or there's violence against her. Is like gonna turn me off of the game a bit.
And if we're talking about moments, I just wanted to mention
He does kill everybody though. I would say.
Yeah.
Sure, whatever, but I don't fucking care.
Freya taking that turn was a bummer.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention, as somebody who had no reverence for the history of God of War, I didn't care about those old games. The scene where you row back to the house and get the blades was
Athena talks on the boat.
Like Athena talking to me was probably the part that hit the least, just because I didn't really know who she is or what the history was there. But just that scene, like the whole, it's a little gimmicky, but the whole game has no cuts, right? But that just. I didn't realize how close I was to my home, so that was cool. I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be like a big long river thing." But you kind of it reins the world in a little bit and makes it feel like more impactful and real. But just that sequence where the weather changes and the music kicks in, it was just
It's the moment when
really
they say
fucking
like
cool.
you're gonna need something that's gonna burn stuff, and then it like leads you. It's like, oh shit, is it gonna happen? Is it gonna happen?
That
And
starts
it's
to
like, oh, fuck,
answer
it's
the
happening.
question I wanted to ask because I seem to have played the least of this game here. But the most interesting thing that game does is the fish out of water aspect of a god from one pantheon getting fucked up by gods from another one. So hearing, I wanted to ask, like, do they play on that more? But hearing that they backslide into the Greek stuff again is a
They
little.
don't.
That sounds like
They don't. That's the only part where
it sounds like
happens.
fan service to me.
I would disagree because I think like
Athena fans will love. Yeah.
it's this moment
Fans hate
where he has been beaten down by this world, and all these other gods just keep kicking his ass, and so it's like, well, I had one thing that worked for me, and and they allude to it early, like when he's like, "You can never go in the basement. Do not ever go in the basement."
Yeah.
and
A lot
then
of
he goes
rubbing
down
of
to the-
forearms and
Yeah. Oh yeah. A lot of like bandages falling off his arms. But I think it works in the context of like he is a stranger in a strange land, and he does have to go back to like. I would be mad if they didn't acknowledge the Greek stuff at all.
Right, because you don't really know when you start this game. Like, is this a full-on reboot? Are they acknowledging that all that shit happened? And then it's deep into the game that's like, oh, Athena. Oh, they're talking about Zeus. Oh, you see Zeus' face.
So
he's got the fucking blades.
Hearing all that stuff makes me not want to finish this game because that bums me out.
Oh man,
It's a very, very small
throwback.
Because what I loved about the beginning of the game is that stuff is only alluded to. Like if you as the
It's
player
not-
know all this history because you've played those other games, but like who's the dude that shows up at this house at the beginning? Is that Baldur?
Baldur, yeah.
Like he talks in vague terms about like we know who you are type stuff. And I thought that was amazing, but to have them just go whole hog with it,
It's not like Athena and Zeus are constantly around. Like they are shown enough to let you know that hey, yeah, this is the same Kratos, same universe, and all that. But outside of the blades, there's no constant like, hey, remember the old games?
Yeah,
Also,
all right.
the end puts a whole different spin on that "I know who you are" thing. It's like actually changes the narrative of the game completely in a really cool way.
Yeah, I think they do. I think they executed very well on what they were trying to accomplish. The combat, I enjoyed it. I went kind of deep, like Dan, into the part where I'm starting to spec for like stamina or what is stun, right?
Yeah, we both
Yeah.
platinumed it, right?
Yeah. And you do kind of go deeper. You know, wouldn't expect everybody to go in and start building builds of Kratos. But I found that fun and doing the challenges. I think the narrative, despite some, kind of tripping over itself and trying to ham fist parental relationships, which felt unearned at points, makes up for it in the wider scope of the game. Like all of the side stuff in it felt fleshed out in a way that I really enjoyed. It had that like Mass Effect 2 feel of like you're doing these side
all the
missions
stuff
for
has
like a
value.
narrative to it. Like you're
Yeah.
doing this stuff for Brock and Sindri, and it's because it's like here's this lore behind this thing you're getting. Nothing feels like a fetch quest. I really like that. The stuff with the serpent is just wild. The way they weave, and they have done this in previous games, and they've been hit or miss. But the way they kind of twist Norse mythology to fit into a new take on it is interesting. They have to bend stuff to make it fit their narrative. But they always put this kind of darker twist on it where everybody's an asshole. Like there are no good people in this world. And that's addressed in the story. That is addressed with Atreus as being like, there are no good people here. Everybody fucking sucks. God, that's the whole Kratos thing, right?
Yeah.
All gods are assholes. Nobody should have this much
Yeah,
power.
we got to take them out.
No one person should have this much power.
Definitely.
And that kind of plays into the gods just toy with people. And that's Kratos' whole chip on his shoulder, right? Atreus, you cannot be a god because gods are evil. And that's the whole part of him holding back and him holding Atreus back because he knows that he's going to be a god, and that's his worry for him is like gods all suck. And I'm a
all
god
the stories
killer.
about Thor and Odin that Mimir tells you just really reinforce how much of an asshole.
How shitty the brothers are. Like the Thor's sons are fucking. I wrote them down.
sons?
The brothers that
It was Magni and Modi. Is Odin's nephews, right?
the boss fight with the two.
God, they're the fucking worst.
Nolan
but-
North and Troy Baker.
I don't know. It kept me propelled in a way that few games this year have.
Cool. I think just the gameplay and the combat and everything is enough to propel. Because, honestly, I don't remember a lot of the story beats, and I don't know anything about Norse mythology. But just the general exploration and combat and everything, and on top of all the visuals and audio and everything being top notch, the only complaint I have about this entire game is the crafting system.
Crafting.
It is definitely my game of the year.
I wish I could have gotten more into it.
I will say, as someone who was actively turned off by some of the cliche moments in the story, I still really loved this game a lot. I found it so satisfying to play. It just felt good. I really liked exploring a lot, and I really enjoyed my time with it.
Yeah. I say Bifrost a lot. It's just like a cool
Yeah.
They really
The
do.
thing on his belt. There's like a key, right?
Yeah, it's the thing that keeps jacking it, and that whole like mechanism was fun, like the turning the bridge.
Yeah,
and
it took a while, but they're loading.
That lake area is pretty cool. Yeah, I probably got about 8 or 10 hours in. It sounds like my feelings track pretty closely to Jeff's.
Yeah.
I hate that those graphics modes detracted from my experience, but they totally did.
It was just like that game never felt good.
Neither one of
moving.
those modes is where it needs to be. Like
Yeah.
I wish they had like abandoned one in favor of making the other one work right. But like
Yeah.
You didn't think were you playing like on a 4K TV? And
no, I was using the performance mode, but the frame rate is so inconsistent that it's like it's smooth one minute and the next minute it's jerking down.
Or
like
you can lock it at 30 and go with the 4K visuals, which is like, oh, this looks nice, but like I don't like the way it plays.
And it felt like it felt like it was
Oh,
barely
man.
hitting 30 in the
On
4K
performance mode?
Yeah,
No,
in the 4K mode.
performance goes above, but
Were
like
you on a
it's
pro?
but
Yeah.
but it's still just inconsistent enough to where it just didn't feel good.
Also,
often enough.
I also have to grouse about this game for making me go buy another fucking PS4 Pro because the fan on mine was so goddamn loud that was another reason I stopped playing the game. Like straight up.
I think that's a bit of a blame God of War on that.
Like
is,
that game.
My PlayStation was like ready to melt.
Dude, that game is notorious for being
Like
the worst
unoptimized?
offender. The worst offender at spiking that shit.
Yeah, my PlayStation
on
was
the
hot
platform.
and
On the
loud
platform.
every time I played
Like
it.
I literally had headphones on and I could hear it roaring through the headphones.
Oh, you should try playing that thing on not a pro.
Yeah, I played on a regular and it was rough.
Like I could.
that's how good it all is.
Like I went out.
They're
I went out.
using all that power.
It's using all the
I
power.
went out a couple weeks ago and bought one of the new silent ones because I wanted to finish God of War. I was like, all right, I'm more likely to finish this game if I go get a quiet.
I had the
console.
same end, but a different reason. I bought a Pro because I thought this game looked so good.
Yeah,
Normally, I wanted to see it in
I
4K.
remember that.
I feel like I got my Pro around the same
Yeah.
time too.
And yeah,
It was definitely one of the games that like
Yes.
sold. I think a lot of people on just conceptually like, okay, this they've done some work here.
The visuals are fantastic. Like it's got excellent art design for sure. I wish the tripping mechanic worked better. I felt like I could
When
never,
you
I never
axe him in the
quite,
legs?
quite dial in the aiming at the ankles to knock them to
do
make
the
them.
RE4 thing to knock them down. And
I felt like I kept hitting the ankles and they weren't going down.
Yeah, I just
You wanna
smashing stuff in that game felt so good. Like, give me some
Yes.
chests to punch through.
you go in the wrong way, you got to pop them up and then have a Atreus hit him with some
I
arrows.
don't think I ever got that far.
do the thing where you punch the shield and send them back.
Yeah.
Yeah, combat never clicked for me. I think with Jeff as well.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was.
I thought it
but-
was competent.
Yeah,
but it didn't blow my mind.
I feel
Totally,
like it
yeah.
took me a
like
while.
it's all right.
Yeah, I didn't
but-
hate it by any means, but
It's more deliberate than it was in the past. 'cause
Yeah.
in the past it was
And
so
then, like,
flailing.
I mean,
loved
I
the
like it
past,
way
but-
better than old God of War.
Like
where I thought all that
Atreus'
combat was just
animal
boring.
super
Like,
stuff
super
is really
lame.
cool. Like
Oh,
at
like
the
the
whole
wolves and
level
the
of
bats and all that
Yeah,
shit.
like,
It's difficult for me to nail it down. Like it's not the deliberateness of it. I don't mind a slower paced action game. I don't mind the idea of like, more meticulously kind of going at bosses, but like just something about just the way the animation and the movement and the feel of the overall like just the hits in that game just never quite did it for me.
I thought all the parry stuff, like if you time it right and you hit back, I thought that stuff was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah,
I thought
the,
it felt real good.
I thought the impacts and stuff were
Yeah.
exceptionally done.
like
Yeah.
I don't know
whipping
what I
my
was
axe
missing there.
around
Thing
and
that you
like
said.
getting so many people.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like they self-evidently were going for Dark Souls because they moved all the attacks to the shoulder
Yeah,
buttons.
yeah.
But I feel like they should have gone further in that direction. Like,
I think I rebound them to the face buttons, and that made it a lot easier for me.
interesting. Yeah, I don't know.
I always felt like I was unlocking like yet another thing on the skill tree that was another combat option that didn't feel great. It was just like, oh, here's more options that don't seem
Now that cone of attack is a little bit wider.
right.
I thought some of them were okay, but I don't remember which.
I feel like I got them all like the obvious ones like pretty early. It's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna level up the kid and get him up there.
It's
to
a smart way to go.
start stuff and yeah. But some of the other options about like, oh, delay this, do this. I'm like, nope.
All right, that game's in a lot of categories.
Yes, it is.
It looks like. Okay. See some hand pumping going on over there.
Yeah, I'm
for,
getting ready
for,
to-
for Nino Kuni 2.
Yeah. Did anyone else play that?
I did.
I did.
Okay.
I didn't finish it, but I played
I
it.
still want to.
Yeah, so this is the follow-up to Nino Kuni 1, the kind of Ghibli-looking RPG. Same universe, different story completely. I think this game had a lot going for it that really clicked well with me, but then there was some stuff that just was a big bummer. My biggest problem with the game is really easy. They eventually addressed it with like a difficulty patch, but
Right.
I just hit a point where, so it's kind of, it has some base building stuff which will generate resources, and then you can use those resources to craft items and stuff like that. And I guess I kind of cheated the system a little bit by letting it idle while I was like cleaning and stuff. And I was just like,
I did see your PS4 at your desk, just having this game.
yeah, like during the bombcast, I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to collect some gold. And you can't do it indefinitely. You have to come back, collect your coffers, and it'll reset and stuff like that. But I just got to a point about halfway in the game where
Check out Time Warpers.
check out
If you like games you don't have to play.
Yeah. But it was kind of a bummer because it made a lot of the combat inconsequential about halfway through. It was a little breezy.
I mean, you broke the game a little
I was
bit.
going to say that sounds like this type of stupid thing I would also do, but I don't know how much you can hold that against.
Because like,
I would
I
also
thought
say, I feel like those mechanics are the weaker part of the game. I kind of liked that I had all these options, but some of them felt a little mobile game of like, I just have to fucking find busy work to do while this timer runs out.
there are definitely
So
a
I
lot
can
of timers
understand
and
why
stuff.
you were like, I'm just going to let this run.
It goes without saying the timer stop when you close the game.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all real
It's
time
like-
Do
stuff.
they all resume the second you get back in, or do you lose that progress if they don't finish?
I
don't
don't
remember.
think. I don't know.
I think that I don't think you lose the progress if you don't finish. I
Okay.
think it's like, oh, my castle's like, I ordered people to like make fucking bread or whatever it is, and like I'm gonna go and do my stuff and then come back 20 minutes later and like this should have upgraded or whatever. I don't remember exactly what they're doing. I think it was like upgrading and like making supplies for you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as the story goes, I thought that game started out with an incredible beginning. Like the first scene in that game is you are the president of the United States in a motorcade.
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're in your motorcade,
Just wait.
I will
on
say
your way
that-
to a peace meeting in the UN, and a nuke hits the city, basically, and you like black out and wake up in this fantasy kingdom where this little boy whose father was the king, the king has been murdered, and they're plotting a rebellion against basically
He's
the
like
rat
a cat
people.
boy, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
one of
He's like-
those, huh?
It's the rat people uprising against the cat people, and so you show up and like in this little boy king's room, and you basically escort him out of there because you realize what's going on. You're the president. And you're like, oh shit, I can recognize a coup when I see one. So you get him out to safety, and then it's like you gathering your party and kind of the king's quest. The little boy Evan.
Evan.
Yeah.
Evan's goal is to create a world without war. He wants to create a united kingdom.
Which we do through fighting.
All right.
That's worked out so
Like
well.
some kind of European Union. It'll never work.
The president has a gun, by the way.
I know.
Yeah.
That turned me off so much because it's like this beautiful, like whimsical world with like swords and everything. And like early on, your like little boy's about to get hurt, and this like witch like steps in front of him to like block a thing, and then the president fucking pulls out a gun and shoots
shoots
the
her.
guy
It's so
in the
good.
eye.
It's so
It's
good.
like this terrible Deus Ex Machina that's like, why did this happen?
The whole
I
game
fucking,
is Deus Ex
Wait,
Machina.
are you
yes.
playing the president the whole game?
He's a
No,
member of
so
your
he's
party.
like a party. I took
Okay.
him out of my party as soon as I could, and I did not miss him.
Wait, does he
But,
continue
like,
wearing
character.
real world clothes?
No.
No, he
Oh,
gets
man.
more whimsical stuff.
You
thank
can
God.
get a real world.
I was gonna say
outfit.
if he's just wearing a suit the whole time.
But the
And
idea
also-
of like him having like a
Solidus,
gun, it was like such a thing that like took me out of like the
love that.
whimsy of the world. And he has like a fucking
Dude.
ponytail.
I had no
So
idea
I would
about
never like
He
a
starts
president
out-
with a ponytail.
I know.
He starts out with like
thank
a
you.
9mm straight up, and then
Oh,
eventually
it's-
you get like fantasy guns,
shit.
just like whimsical rifles
I
and
had
stuff
no
like that.
idea about the real world stuff. in
What
this
up,
game.
Bummer
President
is
Gun?
They do not follow through with that character at all.
I was very glad for that. I was like, see you later. I liked him as an advisor, and I was fine to just like carry on with my cat boy.
But did they ever explain why you're in the fucking like the
Sort of.
nuclear
So-
explosion sent you to Fantasy Kingdom?
It's kind of like the first game where there are two worlds, and our world and the Nino Kuni world, and
Right.
the two worlds are intertwined in their destinies.
So,
Yeah, of
so it
course.
is the same like universe as the first one.
There's
I don't-
a Ding Dong Dell, yeah.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Um,
Okay. But no Mr. Drippy.
No Mr. Drippy, no overt
Yeah.
references to the first one, really. There's like little nods here and there. But yeah, I think by the end, so basically the structure is every town, every dungeon, you find the one person who you realize is eventually going to join your party and help them overthrow their corrupt leader. And it got a little samey as you
Yeah.
went on. Like I just can tell the beats are going to kind of hit the same. There were exceptions. I think the Water Kingdom stuff was really cool with like, I don't have to spoil this game because I'm not really going to push for it in story and stuff like that. I think people should play it on their own. But it does do some clever things here and there. But it never just feels. It it never takes risks, I think is the best way to say
I
it.
really enjoyed it. Like you said, I also found it pretty easy. I don't think I died really at all in the time I played it, unless I was like clearly going after something that was like way too powerful. And even then, it was like, I escaped this pretty easily. Like
they put out a hard mode patch
and
eventually.
I didn't mind.
I think I
the
remember people
difficulty,
were like
but-
hacking it on PC to
Yes,
make it
you
harder.
could like bump up
when
the
it came out.
values.
Yeah,
I think Rory did that.
Yeah.
Visually, where do you think it stands? The first one was stunning.
first game
It was
looks
not.
so
I mean,
good.
without
look.
Ghibli, it's
Yeah.
not there.
So,
I
yeah.
think it still has the whimsy. I think it's still a really sweet game.
I like a lot of the enemy designs and character
Yeah.
designs, but it's not like
You don't have those like
anything
beautiful
incredible.
hand animated cutscenes anymore,
Really?
and it still looks fine. But it's like there's no Ghibli, so
Oh, there's no
Yeah.
It's not a
there's
direct.
no traditional animation.
no, I don't believe
Oh,
so.
that's a shame.
Yeah, it's still I still like the aesthetics of it, but it's a departure from the other game.
I feel like I would definitely nominate this for best music, though. It does
Oh,
have
yeah.
some incredible music.
Is it a very standard JRPG kind of vibe?
Yeah,
I mean, I could go for that. I'm
Yeah.
just curious.
yeah.
All right, I'll put that there.
And then can we get the categories up again?
Yes.
Just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Yeah. Like, I think it looks nice. I don't think it's the best looking. I think
Yeah.
it has good style. I don't think it's the best style.
Yeah,
Fair
I think
enough.
that's kind of how I feel about the game overall. It's like I enjoyed my time with it,
Yeah.
and also whatever.
Good music.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why we're here.
All right. Let's move on to the next game then.
Who wants to get sad?
Oh, I can't wait.
But in
Wait.
style.
Yeah.
Stylish sad.
Frostpunk.
Cold
A
sad.
game,
Yeah.
a game that is still getting updates, like major updates to this day.
Yes.
Bring me down, brother.
So it is on one level something of a city builder. The scenario is the world got super cold. Not a lot of people survived. You are sort of the last remnants of, I think, London, and you are in this giant crater where the super cold winds are a little less blustery, and
Well,
you have.
you've traveled there with your weird giant furnace.
Yes, so this is like a rocket engine or something that you have essentially taken with you, and it is your settlement's sole source of heat. You have to feed it coal forever.
So it's like coal for the coal god.
Yeah, pretty much. And while you're there, you're kind of building out like a little, city of industry there to not like commercial industry, but to sort of like, to keep everyone. You have a set number of settlers. Sometimes people will come in from other survivor groups. You can add them kind of the mix. You're putting them to work in various places, sometimes in manufacturing, sometimes in just coal collection. And everyone's fucking miserable. It is a not happy time. Nobody is having a good time. The cold just keeps getting colder, so you have to keep feeding more to the furnace.
How do they convey that everybody's miserable?
Hey,
There's a morale meter.
Yeah,
Okay. Are you getting anecdotes from people or like talking to individual
Kind of.
citizens?
There are like
or-
little story tableaus that pop up, and you like make choices. Right?
Yes, there are. And, the choices are not good. Like, there's no good option, but there are less bad options. Like, one of the very first one you get is, hey, do you want to enact child labor?
Hell
And
yeah.
You have it, but so you have a way that you kind of branch that out. If you set it to just the non-dangerous jobs, you won't get as much of a morale hit. But if at some point you're like, nah, the kids need to start working in the factories, people will not be super happy about that. So there are choices that all branch in different ways. Some of them, you get much more productivity out of, but also like your people will start actively hating you at a certain point.
Does that have gameplay ramifications?
Kind of. I mean, there is a game over scenario, and I will say one of the few things about this game that I don't necessarily love is that the scenario there's a couple of different scenarios, some of which were added after the fact, but there's no real variance in them. Like the story beats and the different things that you encounter are all kind of on the same track each time you play. It's not a super long game, but it is long enough that like if you're playing for a while and you realize you have badly messed up your city design, or you've not gotten enough coal, or haven't hit enough of the story objectives to where you can kind of get past it, you may just be kind of screwed. But that is, I also think, in keeping with the general vibe of the game, which is, boy, you are not in a good place, and it's going to take a lot of work to get out of it.
Do you ever get out of it, or is it just a matter of constantly stemming bleeding?
It's a constant.
Like, is there
there
a
is an
win?
end point.
Is there a win condition?
Yeah, there is an end point to the campaign, and I haven't really played any of the additional stuff that came along. So I think there's like one that is like a straight up different scenario, but I haven't checked that stuff out yet. But what I played of it, which was probably like a solid 25-30 hours of this when it first came out, I started over at one point. I really liked. I think it has, like the bustlingness of the city. Like it's all pretty well rendered. Like it's got a cool look to it. Yeah. The story bits that are in there are interesting enough, to kind of keep you hooked into it as you're going along. And it's just, it's a different riff on a city builder than I've generally seen. It has its strategy elements, but first and foremost, it is about building out your society and just trying to get to that survival point.
Is it city builder in the sense that SimCity is a city builder? Like, are you literally laying out?
I mean, you're laying out like
Streets
residential tents
and
You don't have
up-
as much creativity as
Yeah,
it's
okay.
like you have sort of this circular grid
Okay.
that you kind of can place certain things on, and it kind of like branches out that way.
And it is relative to the heat generated from the
Right.
furnace, right? The
So if
further
you're-
out you go, the
Yeah.
colder those things.
And
are.
you can
so you are physically laying out spaces.
Yes.
You're not just making abstract decisions.
in concentric.
Okay.
And you can like
okay.
overrun your engine to a point. Like if you have a bunch of settlements that just aren't getting enough heat, like you can start burning it hot, but like maybe it'll overheat, at which case it'll shut down, or
That's
maybe
not good.
you'll start burning through coal much faster that way. So it's a constant balancing act.
This game sounds super cool.
It is very cool. I remember I played it and I lost so many people at the beginning just because I didn't get the things. So I love the vibe of this game. Now it's a kind of tough thing to say because it's a miserable vibe, but it is a complete aesthetic. Like from the audio that's in it and the visuals and the animations of. So when you're zoomed out and you just see this furnace, they're just little ant colonies, and those are people trudging through the snow, like just walking slowly to get wood and coal, and you just know you are sending them off to their doom, but they have to get that coal and bring it back. It works so effectively to make you feel like there's nothing good here. I know people. It to the point when child labor comes up, you're like, I just don't know. I mean,
you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, any game that can actually make those hard morality choices seem hard that's a big bonus in my book.
It's a weird thing. Like they really get that desperate need in a game of getting this engine going, get this furnace going, feed it. We need more wood. It's striking.
This sounds maybe bad, but I respect a game that can make me contemplate doing something that I would never consider doing under normal circumstances, like the child labor thing. It's like,
there's a beat, not too deep into it, but like a little bit later on, you find like the remnants of another settlement, and you have to make the hard choice of like, if I add all these bodies to this thing, or am I actually going to be able to sustain this? And there's a point where you have to choose like, are you just going to turn these people away, or are you going to let them in? And they make you think about it because there really isn't much to go around. There isn't much to work with there.
Yeah. I just discovered this game was made by the people that made This War of Mine.
Yes, it is.
So that explains a lot. The tone. Those people know misery.
I would for sure put this in best style.
Okay.
I really like. There are interstitials and artwork in it that I think are rendered very much in keeping with this kind of tough.
Even just some of that stuff where like the messages are kind of growing out and back, like that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it looks sort of like
they're
a
thawing
frosted window.
out.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And I think the intro animation does a great setup job for the game, and stylistically looks amazing. I think the style.
I think it belongs in style. I think best debut is one that I would put it in, and I'm going to float it for best game because I think it will be on my top 10 overall. It was a very surprising and cool thing to come across.
I'm sorry, did you say music also?
The music's good.
Did I miss a category?
Style
I got that
debut
one.
good game.
Oh, debut. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
The music is good though. Like it's mournful the way you would expect.
Sounds like a miserable experience.
Yeah, a wonderfully miserable experience.
Okay. I think we could probably fit one more thing in before the break,
All right, let's do it.
which I guess is a game made out of cardboard.
Or is it a cardboard made out of game?
Also, it's like 3 different releases. It's Labo.
Yeah.
It's Labo.
It's Labo.
Labo.
More like it's Lamo.
Get out.
Labo's fine.
That's
Is it?
harsh.
Labo's fine.
You threw
Coming
all your
from a man
goddamn
who-
Labos away.
Did you
I
really?
did because I threw away after I finished them. What am I going to do with them? I'm not going to
Because-
go
Recycle
fishing.
them.
I'm not, I didn't know you could recycle it.
You should have either. Dude, it's cardboard.
I don't know how it works.
You should have either recycled it or burned it.
Oh, no, I just threw it in
Or-
the trash.
Don't burn it.
So-
don't tell him to burn
Yeah,
it.
don't tell him to burn things.
Probably-
Please, no.
Put it on and burn it.
I'm probably going to come across as like the Labo defender, but like I'm not like a huge Labo fan. I just want to say
Classic Dan.
It
Hey,
was
everybody,
a-
the
it was
Labo
a-
Defender has logged on.
it was a fun thing. I sat on the floor and watched both Mortal Kombat movies, and I made a fishing pole and a little car, and it was fun. And all the stuff on the screen, like the way, like the music and everything, is real jaunty and
The
fun.
keyboard's like cool. You can make songs
It's
on
neat.
it.
That thing's neat.
It's a
neat.
neat
The piano is
thing.
genuinely fucking cool.
It's
robot
really
suit
fun
is
to
neat.
build.
Yeah.
It's neat.
I would love to build it, and then I think I think
Don't.
it'd be like Lego for
Do
me. I
not
would
build
build
it.
it and then be like, I'm good.
The distinction I would
Yeah.
make between the piano and the robot suit is the robot suit seemed like you'd get bored of it after half an
Yes.
hour of playing
well,
that game.
I'd say I would get bored of all of those
Right.
things.
But
after
I
half
feel
an
like
hour.
seeing people do like Splatoon covers on the piano.
The
and,
piano
like,
is the
actually
one.
do creative
The
stuff.
piano is the one thing
Cool.
where you could learn something and be creative
Yeah.
with
Sure.
it that I've seen out of all that stuff. But
I
that's
bought
one
a
thing.
synthesizer 20 years ago.
Well, not everybody has access to stuff.
You
like
get
didn't
that.
one. They're
build
like-
a
they're cheap.
synthesizer 20 years ago.
Here's
It's cheaper than a Switch.
It's cheaper than a Switch.
I was being flip. I will admit that. But that said, every single story I have heard about Labo from every single person I know who has touched Labo has been, this was kind of neat to build for a couple of hours. I completely forgot about it. I actively didn't really like the software interaction aspect of it beyond the piano. I think most people seem to like the piano. Or I threw it away when I was done.
Even people like I
That's
know
not
with
a mark
kids.
against it.
Did you
Is
keep
the
the game?
process
Is what?
like,
Did you keep the game?
I have the game, and actually, I haven't built the piano yet. So that's why
Any
I'm saying,
day now, though.
That's why I'm saying I don't want to be like Mr. Labo defender because I didn't even like finish
too
the
late.
set.
You love the Labo. It's fine. I get it.
Even
Dan
Mr.
Riker.
Is the
Fine,
process-
I love the Labo.
Is the
2018.
process enough of a good experience for you to feel satisfied with your purchase? The
Yeah.
process of building.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, and I'm gonna go back and I will do the piano and stuff. There's just a lot of stuff to play right now.
It is. I found, like, for instance, the piano to be very satisfying to complete, mostly because it was over. Like, it is.
Like
it is
building that robot suit was like it was
okay.
harrowing because I was in constant fear of just like I'm gonna rip one of these pieces of cardboard and then
you
we're
do-
just fucked.
As someone
It
who
was
loves
laborious.
Lego, I love building stuff. I love crafts. I was like, I bet I'd like doing this, but will I?
How do you feel about building IKEA furniture?
I honestly like it.
I don't mind
I have
that,
no
yeah.
problem with IKEA furniture.
But the problem,
Yeah.
the good thing about IKEA furniture is it lasts more than a year.
Yeah, you end up with
well,
something
it depends
you
on
can
which
use.
piece you get, but yes.
I'll put it at a year.
Okay,
yeah.
fair enough.
The thing with Labo, and I really have nothing against it, but people are going gaga for it. And then to see everybody be like, like a month later being
Right.
like, wow, you guys are all going nuts. Like this is the second coming of Christ.
I
and
think-
like,
I didn't see a lot
I think.
of that.
I think this thing.
I
I
still
didn't
want to
really
build
see
that
a lot of that
fucking
either.
bird, that like weird pinch swan with a duck, whatever
I,
it is.
I have just written Labo under most disappointing because
I think that's fair.
the response to that initial
yes, the longevity.
reveal video versus the way people regarded it, like a month after release.
I think we all want to take Nintendo at face value when they try something weird. We all want to support them when
Yeah.
they say like, "Hey, fuck it, we're into cardboard now." Like, okay, but like, sure, why not? You know what? You guys have earned enough of a right to be like, "We'll see where this goes."
But the thing is it went exactly as far as the software like said it would.
Right.
Like, and I'll say like I think the software like the way they built their instruction stuff is really great.
Yeah.
At walking you through it at your own pace and being like, okay, what do I need to do? Like I'm not great at building weird shit or folding cardboard and that stuff, and I built that robot without breaking it.
And it feels good when you slide the thing into the thing, and it's nice and secure.
Yeah,
It's solid cardboard.
Like there's parts of it, like as you're getting near the end, you're like, this is like way more secure than I thought it would be. Like it works as advertised.
I
think
say
my
I'm-
thing is like it just didn't. Like there was a lot of promise about like like especially when you start seeing some of the other modes in like there's a whole community of people that could come up with a bunch of wild shit and like that kind of happened for a little while and I'm sure there's some people out there still doing it. But it just didn't manifest in an interesting.
It didn't have legs.
That stuff didn't really take off. And also,
thing?
when
No,
you
not
are
really.
done building the thing, like the things I built, like none of them are more interesting than like
No.
a minute and a half of like, okay, I'm doing a little dumb fishing.
Yeah, you're
minigame.
like weird. This cardboard car works. Nuts.
Exactly.
All right, I'm never doing this again.
But again,
Again-
the joy of it is in the building.
Again, that's
you
why
know?
I would make the distinction between the piano and everything else I've seen because
Well-
there is some long-term stuff you can do with that and learn some things.
I was personally very disappointed that I was too big for the robot backpack.
I was pleasantly surprised that I was not too big for the robot backpack.
I saw that for the first time here, fully constructed. That seems like it took a while to build.
We needed a second stream.
I also, for me, I think a lot of it came down to maybe I have seen so many of these of similar kids' toys, like over the having a kid who's been, is like 6. This didn't seem that innovative to me. Like there are a lot of things on the kid market that I have seen that scoot around with microcontrollers that have like that are hex bug-ish like things that are like, it turns because it's vibrating more on this side or not on this side. So I think when people were like, look at this cardboard man, and it's like, there are way cooler shit than this on the kids market right now.
You want a cardboard man? I got a
But
cardboard
it's a
man.
cardboard
I'll show
man
you.
you put a Switch controller into to make it work.
Well, I think more than that is it a cardboard man and it says Nintendo on it. And that allowed them to put a price point and get people very excited about it. Because there are cardboard men that are cheaper and way cooler that Nintendo didn't make.
You don't want to skimp when you're investing in cardboard men. You know,
cardboard
you want
was
the
very
premium
nice.
cardboard man experience.
Cardboard did seem nice.
Bending it and getting it into
Did
shape
you get
and
the
stuff.
fancy
Like,
tape?
no, we did not. I did not buy the fancy tape.
Really? Huh.
Well,
We
maybe
didn't get
that's
the full experience.
But again, I really have nothing against Labo. It was just kind of it actually isn't that disappointing for me because I feel like it kind of netted out about where I expected. I just seeing everybody kind of flipping out a bit.
I think it came out basically where I expected to, of just like it kind of came and went, and it was like it worked as advertised.
Yeah, fun to
there
build
was part of me
and-
that was like, I hope this is bigger, and it leads to some cool things somewhere down the line. But it was just like, nah.
Yep.
You can build the stuff that it tells you how to build, and then you're like, well, I guess I either leave this thing assembled forever or destroy it, and then maybe someday I cut up some Amazon boxes to build it again. That's never gonna fucking happen. So it's.
I just don't think that we're the right demographic.
No,
for it.
we're not.
I've seen my son play with some really stupid fucking things
Yeah,
before,
sure.
and he would love this stuff, even after the fact, even if it's not connected to a Switch. He would put on that robot suit. I'm sure. He would play with that fishing pole.
Also, I'd say that the robot
He would-
suit video game was like pretty underwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't even really talked about
like
how well the games work.
that stuff. Like it works, but it's
Yeah.
like not. There's not that
I
much.
mean,
to
they're,
it.
they're basically toys, like that weird little house you make where you can put in the cranks and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's just like see what happens when I do this. Oh, and then I press this button. Yeah, it's
But
not-
like the robot suit is, there's a game associated with it.
wasn't that kind of the one that they showed at E3 around the time of the Wii U? That like giant robot game.
Yeah.
Wasn't that basically that?
Kind of.
Yeah, that never came out.
Yeah, and you can crouch and turn into it. Yeah, it like there's cool interactions with it and stuff, and it's neat that it works. But
It's fine. It's fun.
It seems fun. It seems like a fun project to build, and for me, it never seemed like a fun, sustainable. Like
available in stores at a discount now.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Can I get some cheaper Labo?
I thought I saw like 2 sets for $60.
Okay.
In some
I'm gonna
cases,
get a little house.
I mean, you can get some for free if you just start rooting around in Dan's trash.
Yeah.
They took it away.
They're pre-built.
Well, when you build that piano, just saying,
Oh,
whenever
right.
Dan says he built the piano, check his trash about 48 hours later.
That's true.
Just look up the Labo Defender, New York, New York.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah,
yes.
just whenever you see Annihilation playing in the window.
Yep.
Mortal Kombat Annihilation
Yes.
specifically.
Oh,
yes,
I was
yeah.
like, oh, that
Yeah.
movie's pretty good.
Yeah.
That movie's great, and every time
Mortal
they talk
Kombat
about
Annihilation?
Mortal
Yeah.
Kombat Annihilation, I'm like, Annihilation?
Yeah.
Cyrax
I like
is in
both.
it. It's pretty cool.
Have they released after the initial launch further kits?
Yeah, there was another
Yes,
one.
there's a
Oh,
third
really?
kit.
What was it?
was the
I-
third kit?
Because there was like a
vehicle
house,
kit.
a robot, like
think
kind
it
of
was
a
the variety-
variety
It was
pack.
variety kit and robot
I think
kit.
vehicle was the third
Oh,
one.
was the
Vehicle
house
kit.
in?
I'm trying to
House is
find-
variety.
Was
'cause I-
piano in variety?
Behind
Everything
else,
else,
Yeah.
everything that was not the
Oh.
robot was in variety.
Wow, how
yes.
complicated was that robot? Because the piano seems
was
pretty
hard.
complicated to not have its own thing.
Yes.
Way more
Toy-
complicated than the piano.
Toy-Con 03 vehicle kit. That thing looks cool, but then again,
That's the little thing that
the
drives
others also
around with the
looked cool.
Joy-Cons?
What's that?
Is that the
No,
thing
that there was the
That was in the-
little vibrating bug
It's
was in the variety kit.
it's the thing that it's like a steering wheel and a pedal or two pedals.
Oh, like the racing
it's
game.
the in the game it's a transformer. It goes from like buggy or jeep to
Right.
airplane
Watch
to
your
submarine.
I wonder if anybody's
It's a
played that
GoBot.
with Mario Kart. 'Cause
And like
that was
it-
in all the
kinda
commercials,
neat.
like them playing Mario Kart with it. I wonder how
Yeah, with the
that's
wheel,
any
you
good.
could use the wheel.
Oh, I think you're
yeah.
probably right. But yeah, in this game, like you insert like a different cartridge into the steering wheel to make it transform into another thing.
Oh, cool.
It looks cool, but then again, we said that about the other kits.
Right.
Yeah, it's neat that they built that thing.
Yeah.
And again, I want to support Nintendo in their peculiar endeavors.
Yeah. If they continue to make videos of what they're going to put out and just air those during press con, I will support that indefinitely.
Yeah.
Because when I saw that thing,
Your reaction was great.
like, what? Yeah, they
You just stared without saying anything for about 45 seconds and then said they've lost their goddamn mind.
I remember that. I remember that.
yeah, like
I remember watching that and going, awesome. Like,
Yeah,
that,
dude,
like
the
not
internet-
like over the moon crazy, but just like
Yeah.
watching it and going like, this, okay, yeah, I would like to try that.
yeah,
I would say the overwhelming reaction on like social media was like people losing their minds. Yeah, like,
Yes.
oh, this is the coolest shit ever.
I
Including-
believe myself.
I felt like it was a
included.
little over
I
the
was-
place.
Yeah, I
I
saw
was
some people that
excited.
were just like, fuck this.
I was
Oh, yeah.
excited that they put out something that made no sense.
Yeah.
I'm glad they showed it and then released it as well because
Yeah.
Nintendo doesn't.
And then
have
it
to-
worked.
And then it
Yes.
worked. It did what it was intended to
And
do.
they also said ahead of time, it's like, hey, we're going to announce this thing this week. And like, this is like for kids.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
I hope you guys
guys know that.
They more or less refused to send it to us in a timely fashion because it was like I bought all that stuff.
Me too. Or go to preview events and stuff.
They're
pretty clear.
Did not want to show it to us at any point, and I was like, but actually, I'm kind of into this thing. It seems cool, but all right, fine.
I got mugged in the process of getting that to the office.
Right. Yeah.
What?
Jan fought off an attacker.
I do like Labo. I will say that, despite almost getting mugged. The piano stuff, it has like a cool depth to it. You can like build your own guitar if you put the effort into getting into it. But I will say, it's probably a unique problem for us. But if you take something that's already pre-built to another Switch, you can't really fast forward or go to the very end.
You gotta like step
You have to go all the way through the building
That's
stuff.
weird.
That's
So,
terrible.
After you had built the piano and finished it, Brad, I took the piano home and I just skipped all the way. And that probably took maybe a good 20, 30 minutes.
Terrible.
Jeez, really?
Wow.
To skip through all the
instructions?
yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's a major oversight.
But my problem with the synthesizer is that you can't really record the tracks, the hot beats you make.
Yeah.
You can't really
that's a
export them.
stinker.
You got to hook up a VCR.
You gotta do the punch card.
That kind of stuff seems cool. Like, I want that cool community. Like, I want to see the cool shit people are making with these. I want to see the weird cardboard creations
Or
they're
people
making.
that are like, I 3D printed a robot
exactly.
suit.
Like, that's the kind of shit I want, and I don't know if that was really there as much as
It
I
kind of
had
happened a
hoped.
little bit.
Like, I saw like
but-
a few cool like song remixes on Twitter, and that was kind of the extent.
Everyone kind of moved on.
It's not flexible enough for the like Little Big Planet thing, where it's like somebody made a working calculator with this thing. You know, it's cardboard.
It's cardboard.
Maybe.
People are pretty.
They're creative.
Yeah, they're creative.
Like it does have like a programming language to it.
You
that
could do some, but
could-
it just didn't take off the way like a Little Big Planet did.
Okay, that brings us to our first break. That was a solid chunk of games and discussions about them. Stay tuned, and we'll be back with more. We're back for more game chat.
That's a good break.
On this, the second day of Giant Bomb's Game of the Year, 2018.
I made a giant mess of myself, so I had to change my clothes.
Deliberation.
You made a giant mess of all of us.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I just doused you all in paint between segments.
That
That's
wasn't
okay.
paint.
I changed my outfit.
It was in a paint can.
I always bring a spare outfit just in case Alex wants to do his painting.
Yeah.
That's an air quotes.
This is my
painting.
art. Thank you.
Ever since the Splatoon days.
You and Gigi Allen.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
No.
Let's move on.
Merle.
Video games. Next game on the list I have never heard of before. Alex.
Yeah.
It's called Northgard.
It's another Alex Navarro joint. Yeah, this is what I just want to highlight real quick.
Say your piece.
So this is it is essentially a RTS game with some 4X elements to it. You are a part of a sort of Nordic clan, and you are landing on this island, and you are competing with other Nordic clans to sort of take over the territory. There are, there's buildings and units and whatnot. There are various victory conditions, some of which are just like taking over the most territory, taking everyone's capital. Some are like unleashing weird like Nordic monsters and like gaining control of like a magical sword and stuff like that. It was a thing that kind of came out of nowhere. Like Cameron Kunzelman, the writer, I'd seen him talking this up a bunch, so I decided to try it out. And as someone who has not played a lot of RTS games of any kind, I wasn't sure that I was going to get much out of this, but I ended up playing like, I don't know, probably solid 15 or 20 hours of it in a way that I did not expect. It's just a really neat little strategy game. Like, it was something that just kind of came out of nowhere, and it has a real kind of charming look and feel to it. The mechanics of it, I think, are pretty solid. It's just a fun good time on your personal computer.
And it's got a season. Like winter comes.
Yes, winter is a huge factor in this.
Do seasons change everything?
Yes, specifically winter does.
It's a real like Warcraft 3 look to it.
Yeah, so when winter comes around, all of your your production and stats and all that start going down hard. So essentially, the rest of the year, in addition to sort of trying to take over the map, you are building up resources to try and make sure you can get through the winter without all your people getting really, really unhappy with how you have prepared for winter.
Cool.
Yeah.
Seems cool.
Yeah, it's
sounds like they got a little civ in there.
Yeah, there's a
for you.
little. Like, I would almost compare it almost a little more to like Catan or something. It's
Okay.
why there's like just a few rival factions and,
Okay.
and sort of the way, but it has more units. Obviously, there's definitely a little civ in there as well. Yeah, just a neat thing. Like, it's something that I would maybe consider for best debut, but I think I'm looking at the number of games that we have on that list, and they're ones I felt much stronger about.
Okay.
So just wanted to highlight it.
Can I just say that I really appreciate your love for 4X games?
Yeah.
Because you don't seem in any way the type of person that would be into that stuff.
I would have said that up until I got way into Civ 5.
Okay.
It was Ryan's love of that game that got me to try it out, and then a lot of months of me just working from home that kept me playing it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's cool. This is highly unorthodox because A, this game's not on the list, and B, it's out of order, but did you play Bad North at all?
I have not played Bad
Speaking
North.
of Viking strategy games.
I have
With
not.
North in the title.
Yeah. It's not on this list.
Yeah.
For probably for a reason. Like, it's cool. It's maybe a little too simple
I've seen people talking that one up a little bit.
to be on a list, but like it's for a portable strategy game that you can play with just touch controls.
Yeah.
Like it's worth looking at.
Okay.
It's neat.
I might
It's
take a peek at that.
Way more simplistic than what you're talking about here,
Yeah.
but kind of a similar vibe.
And one thing I will say for Northgard is that it's not a deep, super complex game. Like, I think that's part of why I enjoyed it, is I was able to wrap my dumb brain around it. But, you know, it has some layers to it.
Okay, that's fair. Also, quality of the game notwithstanding, I think Bad North is an incredible name.
That's
It's a
pretty
good
good.
name for a video game.
Yeah.
Agreed.
House Flipper?
Yeah. Where's my House Flipper crew?
It's a pretty cool little thing.
I like that game a lot.
Big Flipper fan here.
Yeah, okay, so that game, I will say, the way it looks, the way it controls are serviceable at best. It gets the job done. But this game is so satisfying to play. It's so fun to play. So you go through, and there are a few different things you can do. One are these sort of assigned, like, hey, I really need someone to clean my house. I had like a house sitter come and stay, and they fucking wrecked the place. And you go through and you like vacuum up roaches, and you mop up the floor, and you pick up trash, and you repaint the walls. And it's like a very specific set of checklist items that you do, and it's very satisfying to just go through and check them off. But then you also have this thing where you can buy houses, and you can flip them how you want to flip them. So you can do complete overhauls, and you can make it look the way you want to look, and you can break down walls, and you can put up doors and all this other stuff. And it's so satisfying. It's like a really simplistic concept where there was this one house I built where I spent a good amount of time putting some cans on a shelf, and I loved it. I would like,
So you're flipping them furnished.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
I like how there's like a couch with like a normal couch with a bunch of mud stains on it, and you just take a push broom to it for a second. And it's like crystal
It's like
clean.
a viscera cleanup.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
But a much more like, grounded version of that.
right.
Is this a game for people that are way into that KonMari method? House organization thing?
Probably
where this
not.
came
'Cause
from?
That seems like streamlined and minimalistic and like kind of stylistic.
More
And
like
this
decluttering.
game doesn't
okay.
have great style, I would say.
I see.
So some of the things that can be frustrating sometimes are the controls where it feels like I've cleaned everything and there's just like a little spot that I just can't find. Or, for a game where it is about flipping houses, sometimes it's like the furniture options can feel a little bit limited. That said, I had so much fun playing this game. I find it very satisfying and just
I could see it being
really
kind of cathartic.
Yeah.
it's just a relaxing, nice experience. And it was nice to play something like where I could just not have to think. I could not have to feel super challenged and just like check off some boxes and have a pretty looking house at the end of it, which I really, really enjoyed.
The way you have talked about this game
Yes.
throughout the year is very much the way that I have felt about something like American Truck Simulator. It's
yes,
a game that like
totally.
there's just enough going on, and I'm thinking about just enough to where it's like I'm engaged with it, but like so much of the experience is just about doing the thing that relaxes you
Yes.
and just chills you out. And then for me, that is driving, giant trucks at completely normal speeds across realistic highways. For you, it is cleaning and fixing up these houses.
Yes, it's a thing I don't enjoy doing in real life, but boy, did I love it in this game.
Totally.
So like it scratches a weird Sims-like itch is what it sounds like, because it's like Sims is like a lot. I feel like a lot of my time with The Sims is like doing things that like, I just hate doing this, but in The
Right.
Sims it's great.
I feel like a little bit, but for The Sims, for me, I love creating stuff. I love
Yeah,
being like,
okay.
I have
Yeah,
unlimited
yeah.
money and I'm going to
Right.
make this house fucking gorgeous. And this game is more like,
Within
I am going.
limitations.
Yes.
You can make a pretty big toilet in The Sims.
This is very true.
Yeah.
But this game, it's not super complicated, but it is really satisfying to be like, okay, I have to install this shower. I'm going to unscrew this piece, this piece, this piece, this piece. And then it's just like step by step. There's no challenge or like I have to figure out how it works.
Yeah.
It's like literally like click this, click this, click this, scroll here, click this. But boy, it's fun clicking.
It is the pure distillation of checklist gaming.
Yes.
I'm gonna go home and replace a shower head.
Yeah.
In real life.
Oh no.
Well,
oh
okay.
no.
Don't use this.
Don't use it. Okay. all
Yeah,
right.
because it's honestly not the best.
Yeah.
I think the realism is.
Yeah.
I really like this game a lot. I probably won't hang, but I want to nominate it for best debut. Just because I I had a really good time with it.
Are you saying it won't hang on that list?
Probably not, but
Yeah, why not? Throw it on there.
From the name, I thought this was going to be licensed by those Property Brothers or something. But
They probably have their own mobile
when it
game by
when
now,
it first
right?
came up, I assumed it was actually related to some sort of reality show. And I'm glad it is not.
No, not as far as I know,
Yeah,
at
yeah.
least.
also, something 2018 home ownership out of reach,
Yeah.
virtual house instead of
Yeah.
real house.
Yeah.
Moving on.
I really liked it. Again, I also think they have like these fun little tableaus of like, oh, I need to go clean these people's houses. There's like a paragraph in an email of like what went wrong, and it's funny to hear about like Jesus, this like disaster of a house. But yeah, it's fun.
Sometimes
I love.
you don't want to know what happened. In
This
there.
is
It's just-
true.
Sometimes things just get away from you.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes
Yeah.
the house just gets away from you. And
Yeah.
you're like, there's too much stuff in here.
Got to vacuum up these roaches.
These cats keep vomiting.
We let Steve Bannon fucking rent this place, and now
Yeah.
there's acid in the bathtub.
Oh God.
He walked past it, and now there's just a weird stench.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
A copy of Sneaking under the bed.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But we've got all this WoW gold
Believe
now,
that.
so
Moving on.
Okay. Okay. Apparently, we're in the say my piece block of games with a single name next to them. Vinny, author of the spreadsheet field that says Far Lone Sales.
I watched you play this.
Yeah, me too.
It's
My dad really liked this game.
It's a great game for dads and
is it-
kids
I'm,
alike.
I'm sorry.
Dads
is
and
it,
grads.
is it like Far Lone Sales? Is that how it's here?
I think
here
the
it's just
title
written.
stinks.
You
Let
know,
me-
man,
let me-
you bring what you want to it.
Let me look it up and see how the developer actually.
Okay. So the
Okay, yes, it is Far Lone Sales.
it's a you go from left to right.
okay.
Okay.
You have
Like a
a
Super
It's like
Mario.
Mario
Brothers.
Brothers.
Okay, got it.
and you're in this kind of steampunk-ish boat ship land vehicle.
So Super Mario Bros. 3. Got it.
Right.
And you're putting trash in it to make it work, and you're just kind of moving this thing across the screen to try. And there's not like a real explicit narrative. You get the sense that the world has gone rotten. That you are continuing the work maybe of a loved one, maybe a father or mother who had built this thing but wasn't able to take it all the way to the ocean or where you need to go. And you're just trying to trek across by getting upgrades for your weird land boat thing. It's got a big wheel in the middle. It's very...
Does it keep on turning?
as long as you keep moving, it does. Okay.
Or if you run into an obstacle, then it will no longer keep turning. You have to solve the little puzzle that keeps it moving.
the look is great. It's very nice. It's very mellow.
Yeah, it's like has this nice like monotone gray with like pops of red.
Yeah, once in a while. There's it's not it's not an action game, but the thing has a lot of weight to it. Your big old land whale it's hard to move. Once in a while, you have to pull it, and it gets momentum. And the fun part about it is when you get the steam really cooking on it, you can blast the top, and it'll just push real fast. But then sometimes you got to jam on the brakes because you're going to hit something, or your sails don't work.
And if you hit something, does that do damage?
You can do damage.
Have to repair.
You have to repair it. Yeah. It's a neat small game.
Is it at all like say Lovers in a Dangerous Space Time or one of those games where you're like kind of platforming your way around a big vehicle
like
and working doohickeys to make it
Yes,
go?
less frenetic than that.
Okay. Well, I mean, not in terms of pace, but just
Yeah.
like
to
that
control
general-
the thing, you're basically bumping buttons with your head.
We've
right?
played some weird stuff like that on UPF too. Like
What was that
there's weird
basketball game? Like hyper-realistic
Yeah.
basketball.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Like,
This is like a little more somber and
Okay.
kind of
but
lonely.
similar concept of working a vehicle
Yeah.
by manning different stations.
Yes,
and
by,
stuff.
but by yourself here.
That's cool.
clearly.
It
Yeah.
has the vibe of like an Oscar-nominated animated short.
Yes, it definitely does. Right.
If that makes any sense.
yeah, no,
grim.
it's perfect.
Yeah.
Foreign or domestic though.
Canadian.
Okay.
Yeah,
So half and half.
It is a thing that deserves to be mentioned, but I'm not sure it'll be on any awards list from for these purposes. But I'm glad to bring it up again.
Okay. Continuing on with games with lone defenders, I guess. Quarantine Circular.
Yes. So this is, I guess, like a spiritual successor to Quarantine. Wait, no, not
A subsurface
Quarantine.
circular.
Subsurface Circular. Yes, which is a game I enjoyed. I think this takes sort of that format and kind of makes it better. So it's very much just text-based. You're choosing dialogue options, and you are on this sort of futuristic, I guess, like cargo ship, and you're a scientist. and I guess the first person you play as, you are sort of an engineer, like a computer engineer. And this alien comes down on your ship, and the alien is in quarantine. So you have to go and talk to them and sort of figure out why they're there, what's going on. And as you play the game, you discover that like there is an outbreak going on Earth, and you're trying to contain this outbreak so people aren't dying as much. And you're sort of the last scientist to sort of try to save the Earth. And this alien is like, you're sort of trying to figure out how this alien is now a part of that. And it's really, I think it does a really awesome job at creating characters, and sort of everyone has their own specific voice, which I appreciate. And the choices you make through the game, through the dialogue options, feel like they matter. It feels like they're weighty. It feels like it actually has an impact on where the story goes. It also does a lot of interesting stuff where you are playing as one character at first, and in the next chapter you're playing as someone who is completely opposite to the character you were just playing. And now you're at a different perspective, and you have different motivations, but you're still sort of, well, oftentimes you're working towards different goals once you switch characters, which is kind of an interesting thing. And I really liked the story a lot in this game. I think it talks about stuff that's really relevant to today without it feeling so heavy-handed or kind of ham-fisted. It feels like it serves this story well while still kind of being topical and relevant to, you know, the environment and bacteria and stuff we're dealing with today. I really liked this game a lot. I think it looks great. I think it has a lot of cool style. I think I would probably nominate it for best story.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a Mike Bithell joint.
Mm-hmm.
So those games are like totally stationary. Like I've seen a bunch of screenshots of Subsurface Circular, and the style looks awesome, but like there's not the action as such.
No, I mean,
people
it's
just kind of sitting and talking.
Right, it's all in
Okay.
text.
Okay.
And this is similar. I'd say there's like a little more movement than Subsurface had, but not a ton more. But I was very engaged with the story. Like that was enough for me. I think the dialogue is all very good, which is sort of what I want in something like that. And I also felt like my choices really did matter and make a difference in like what was going on. And they weren't always easy choices. Like sometimes I get a little frustrated with games like these where it's like, well, we're kind of railroaded in. I'm just sort of sitting along for the ride. But for the parts that were sitting along for the ride, I was really engaged. I wanted to keep knowing what was going to go on. But also I did feel like I was making choices. I felt like I was sort of playing as a character and kind of role playing as them when I picked my dialogue options, which I really enjoyed a lot.
Do those games take place in the same world? Or are they totally distinct?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Do you have a preference if one were to check out one of those games?
I would say Quarantine.
Is that better?
Definitely.
Okay.
I liked both a lot, but I think Subsurface had a little bit of that, like, at the end there's sort of a two-choice split, but like it's all kind of going to the same thing, whereas this felt like, oh, I actually have some real choices to make, and like I really like the character switching a lot. I thought it was really well done.
Okay, cool. All right. Oh God, now I have to talk about a game.
Yes, you do.
State of Decay 2. Alex, did you play it?
I played a decent chunk of it.
Oh, that makes me happy.
I played some too.
Did you too? Really?
I played a
thought
few
nobody
hours.
played it.
Yeah.
I didn't love
really
it. Is the
stick with me
problem
that much.
Oh man,
it's.
I played it obsessively for.
Let's hear from you first, because I think you're the one who has the most interest and
I
enthusiasm
finished
in
it.
this
I
game.
cannot
Yeah.
believe I finished that game.
Yeah.
Because the first game I really burned out on hard.
Same.
Well, did you play the first one at the beginning when it was like super fucked?
Yeah, I played
yeah.
the very first 360 release of the
Right.
first game, which was a goddamn mess.
Yeah.
Like
And
just,
this is not that by any stretch. It is not that kind of
just
mess.
by virtue of not being a mess like that, this is 100 times better
Is
already.
this like a zombie game?
It is a zombie action open world management sim.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a mouthful.
Like managing like staffs and like communities of people.
Yeah, it's. I mean,
Yes.
it's open world zombie The Sims is what it actually is.
Kind of.
Okay.
Like it's The Sims.
Honestly, keep talking.
It is. It is actually, now that I think about it, it is The Sims to the extent that there are happy and sad faces that represent the state of all of your characters.
Okay. Can you flirt?
There's not really romance.
Can you
as
woohoo with
such.
Santa?
No Santa.
That's now.
Santa's
God.
dead.
Yeah.
They did put out an Independence Day, like a rah rah America July 4th thing. If that's what you wrote. Yeah, it's an open world game where you have a base, like a kind of a home base of operations that you go back to, and it's super resource intensive. Like you've got what are the resources? Food,
Water.
well,
Ammo.
the water is a
Food,
different
water,
type
medicine.
of the core
Right.
resources are food, ammo, medical supplies.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
And then like there's a whole separate category that's like water and a bunch of building supplies.
And doesn't it do the thing where like you can like the Breath of the Wild thing where you kind of climb a tall thing and you're looking and
Yeah, it's
spotting
got
like,
that.
oh, there's resources
So,
there.
so
should go
actually, I mean,
there.
I guess Breath of the Wild took that from the first State of Decay because they had that years ago. But you're out there in the world recruiting people, and they all have different archetypes, different like roles, like.
And there's a lot of them.
Yeah, like there's a ton.
And they're really out there. Like I remember the ultimate. Like I played ultimate frisbee, so I have better stamina.
Yeah, there's a guy, like the like pre-apocalypse preferences of the people that you pick up are really funny and weird and varied.
That stuff was cool.
Yeah.
The thing I really liked about this is the idea of like, okay, I'm gonna get in this car and I'm gonna go far away from my base, and I hope I don't crash my car or run out of gas because I'm fucked and I have to find a way back.
It's very particular about how you take care of the things that you are using.
Like you wouldn't think having to gas up your car all the time to keep going would be a fun mechanic, but it totally creates like risk and you know,
it makes you think about that in a way that most open world games don't.
And it creates moments that, you know, where you're down on your luck and things are going to shit, and then you find that one crucial discovery that lets you get back in it and keep going.
So I'm going to tell you my one beef here with this is that I think the simulation engine they have built is super cool, super detailed. You know, I like the vast majority of the ideas that they are implementing in this game. I just never quite found a way to have fun with it.
I'm right there too. Like I really appreciate the ideas and those moments of like, oh god, I'm fucked, or I found the thing to save me, but like it was never fun necessarily.
Like I had a lot more fun with this certainly than I did the first game, which was I think was conceptually a cool thing, but I did not enjoy at all. This, like, I gave it, you know, a good chunk of time, and there were moments where I was like, yeah, I can see what the appeal of all this is. I'm digging elements of this. I just never found a way to put it all together for myself where I was like, I really wanted to continue on with it.
And I never thought it felt great, like when it comes down to like melee and hand-to-hand stuff when you're getting swarmed by zombies.
Yeah.
Like, none of that like felt like it was really connecting in a way that I liked.
The action elements of it really didn't do it the way
Yep.
that other games have.
It's a little janky, but it's fine.
I'd say it's like jankier than like a Dead Rising. Which
well,
it's a different kind of janky.
I don't know if that's a good comparison because Dead Rising is extremely janky.
But I mean, like, I still felt like, you know, when you're getting swarmed in Dead Rising, like, I felt like the weapons were more satisfying.
It's tuned for that. Like, Dead Rising is tuned to make you feel like a ridiculous, over-the-top zombie slayer, and like this game is about dying. Like, this game, like, it's all about permadeath. Like, the characters are basically expendable. They're all randomly generated, and they just have mix and match personalities.
Yeah,
like so, even the shittiest walker can still fuck you up if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time.
There is real danger at all times of losing characters.
Yeah.
Is it possible to get real deep in and just wipe and be done?
So there are 3 maps in the game, and I beat the game on the first map. Like, it starts you on a random one of the 3 maps, and I like finished the story without ever moving on. And so you could get to the point where also like resources on the map are finite. Like anything that is looted from a building is gone forever. Like, so nothing respawns.
It does, yeah.
Although there are ways to. I mean, this is the thing. It's basically like a giant Sim City on a zombie map. Like, you can, you know, take over a water tower, and then that generates water instead of you having to go out and find water. You know, like there are ways to continue supplying things you need.
And can't you order? I might be remembering this wrong, but can't you tell one of your people, like, oh, hey, go to this gas station. There might be stuff, and they might die. You're not playing as them. You're just like, well, I hope they come back.
You can totally. There's stamina, so you'll have to swap people out when they're tired and play other people. But yeah, you can assign people you are not currently playing to go out and do missions on their own, and they'll bring stuff back. But what I was gonna say is you could always migrate to one of those other maps if you feel like you have exhausted what you've got, and basically start fresh with
your crew.
Yeah. I would say that the biggest danger is just sort of overcommitting. Like, I ended up with way more mouths to feed than I should have had. Like, I could
you
not.
Got a big heart, Brad.
And it's super fun, like, trying to optimize and min-max your base. And it's like, okay, I want to get my food sustainable, and then I can start doing more power to, like, run bigger lights so they don't attack my base as often. You know, it's like a huge, like, kind of shell game of moving stuff around. So, yeah, you know. But
it's also multiplayer, right?
Yeah, they added multiplayer for this one, so that is fine. I mean, it's, you know, I played it as a single player game. Like, it's fine that that's in there, but
I mean, co-op multiplayer.
Yes,
there was a bit of I remember people were a bit bummed out on the co-op that there was like a really bad leashing problem where it's like you really couldn't go super far away from the other player.
Yeah, and the way they divvy up the loot and the resources is weird. Like, I forget how they did it, but it was
the main player.
Yeah, well, I think certain the resources are color coded. Like, only one person can pick up some, and the other player can pick up others. Like, it's confusing and not great. But, I had plenty of fun with it by myself, but yeah, it leads to situations where you're pretty attached to the 12 people you have recruited, even though really you can only sustain like 8 or something. And it starts leading to some weird situations of kind of emergent narrative when, say, Anselmo has been causing problems in your base for far too long, picking fights with people. And then you say, hey, Anselmo, let's go out for a little while. And
we're all eating good tonight.
And you lead him to, I forget what the big ogre zombie is, but
my God.
They literally show up on the map. And like seriously,
Did you just old Yeller and Selmo?
So everybody's got like likes and dislikes, you know. So it's like, oh, if,
Selmo dislikes getting murdered.
well, yeah, but you know, it's like, oh, if you don't have a watchtower, this guy is more anxious, stuff like that, you know, or like blah blah blah. If you've got too many plants, this guy is happy or something.
Okay.
Anyway, he for whatever reason he was mad all the time, starting fights with people all the time, which affects all your stats. And at a point, I was like, I can't feed all these people, so yeah, I totally like recruited him as my sidekick, like because you can have a player follow you around or a character. Literally waited for one of those big zombies to wander by, like led him over there.
Don't this zombie look dusty?
Let him start fighting it.
You couldn't do it yourself.
While I
you couldn't take direct control of him.
I quietly hung back while this thing literally picked him up and ripped him in half in front of my eyes.
Well, at least it was quick.
You can exile people, like you can say, get the fuck out of here. But
you went the extra mile.
they didn't need to know.
Did they?
I think, you know what? Actually, if I remember, I think exiling people totally affects like your leadership and morale stuff.
Oh, okay.
So that was a way to.
You can tell him he went down as a hero. He sacrificed himself for the camp.
That guy was an asshole, but
that was
at
a
the
way
end
to.
of the day, he went down fighting.
It was a way to quietly dispose of a guy who was a troublemaker without other people
God damn,
cluing
dude,
into
that
it.
is cold fucking blooded.
And like it's
I'm not
cool,
getting
like
much
it's
with you
cool
anymore.
that like you,
I will not start any more fights in the office.
Yep.
like you come up with kind of emergent storytelling stuff like that in that game with the weird mix of personalities and like also the writing is really funny, like all the descriptions, like you said, on the character traits and a bunch of the gear and stuff that you find. It's got a really dark sense of humor.
Yeah, like I remember there was one character who was a warlord trait, but like before the war, he was an accountant,
totally,
and like
totally.
just like normal people in a like a Walking Dead style.
It's like oh, this guy was a homeowners association president in the before time, and now he is the warlord archetype, and like his motto is like peace through strength and stuff like that. It's
the
like
postman.
kind of yeah. It's
This.
got a really darkly comic sensibility that I really appreciated. I like that game a lot. Even
what do you
though
think?
It's not perfect.
It is ongoing. I will just say that.
Kinda. They did actually just put out a free mode for it that I don't know anything about at all. But that was like a week or 2 weeks ago. So,
Is there anything you think it fits on?
I don't. It's not a debut. Like the music's okay. It's got a little bit of. It looks like The Sims, and that's kind of cool from a style perspective. But
And it seems like the moments are much more personal and
yeah, like it's
emergent.
hard to like. I had moments that were
Yeah.
incredible, but they were all randomly generated, basically,
Right.
or like things that happened because of how I was playing. It'll probably be on. It'll almost definitely be on my top 10, but I don't.
You don't know if it's going to be one of
Yes,
ours.
It didn't click for you guys, and you're the only ones that played it. I
Yeah,
think that
no.
it's going to hang.
Yeah, I got no real beef with it. It wasn't entirely for me.
Yeah, same here.
And then they got bought by Microsoft, so
Yeah.
we'll see where that goes.
Maybe they'll finally make that zombie MMO they founded that studio to make in the first place.
Yeah, like a properly massive version of this.
Yeah.
Like a persistently online thing, and not just to like invite somebody to this weird asymmetric co-op thing could be incredible.
Totally.
With what they've got here, so that's exciting. Speaking of exciting, talk about Detroit.
Become human. Yeah, Detroit.
There's a small part of me that really wants to like this game. I think I keep giving David Cage chances.
I mean, I've given him.
Keep spoiling it for me.
I've played all those games. I don't know. Like, I wouldn't call myself a David Cage defender because I would say that a lot. I agree. A lot of the stuff he has written is real fucking bad. But sometimes that bad can just be entertainingly bad, as opposed to actively making me loathe the experience of playing one of his games.
Oh, no.
But Detroit is a game that I went from actually in the very early goings. It is racked with cliche and dumb shit, but that dumb shit is mostly inoffensive in the very beginning. Couple hours in, it starts to backslide a little bit, and by the time you get to about the halfway point in that game, I was legitimately angry at it. And the ending, granted, there are a number of different ways this game can end, but the ending I got was like laughable is not a strong enough word. I cackled at my TV in a way that I have not at many games this year.
So what I'm hearing is that you were entertained.
Yeah.
Not the way they wanted me to be entertained. Yeah, so look, here's the thing.
You got emotionally attached to the story, though. That's exactly what he wanted.
No, I got emotionally attached to getting Clancy Brown more acting work. That's about it. That is the only emotional attachment I had to anything in this game. As far as I can tell, the message of Detroit Become Human is that David Cage is aware of racism. He is aware of the concept.
We did it.
He is aware that you can tell a story that is not explicitly about racism, but is about racism. And he thinks he's the first person who came up with that idea.
Right. As it applies to
this game has nothing to say, and it really spends a lot of time trying to say it.
Is it cool like sci-fi vibe though? Like
no, it's a generic one.
Okay.
Like the whole vibe of this game feels very Sci-Fi Channel original, and not a good one of those. The look of it, like it is exquisitely produced.
I think it looks. I honestly want to nominate it for best looking because I think it looks great. A lot of sequences really look great.
Yeah, from what I've seen of it, like
I think it looks very.
I think the
good.
technicals are incredible. Like the facial animation is top notch. You know, the performance capture stuff is really good, but I think it has no aesthetic of its own.
I think some of it's definitely a little cliched in the aesthetic, totally. But I think there is some cool stuff there as far as like I don't know. There's like that rich old guy's house, and he has all like the giraffes, and it's colorful, and I think that's neat.
I mean, it's good set design, but I think a lot of it is just it feels culled from a million different existing sci-fi sources with nothing particularly original of its own.
I kind of like the visual element of the little blue circle to denote androidness.
Okay,
right up until I realized that it turns red when they go bad.
Well, not only does it turn red when they go bad,
really?
Which is just a little too much.
No. It gets worse than that.
Oh boy!
Not only does it turn red when they go bad to indicate to you, oh, this is a bad android.
Oh, your robot red ringed.
This is the only feature these robots have to denote that they are not people. It is the only identifying mark that they have to show that they are not human. They made it so that any android can just pry one of those off, and then the skin will grow immediately over the space where that thing was.
They just peel it off.
It is ludicrous.
It's like a sticker.
Ludicrous.
What do you have against androids wanting to be human?
If you are, if
I see where
if the society that has built these things is dead set on trying to denote that these are not in fact people, so they are not fooled by them, maybe that's a bit of a design flaw. Just a little bit.
Saying sentience is a design flaw.
I hear you.
I will say I didn't finish this game. I would still like to do that. I played a good number of hours of it, and I really enjoyed my time with it. I will say it's bad. I find it earnestly bad in a way I enjoy. I also found I did not like Heavy Rain, but I did like Beyond Two Souls in the same.
Yeah,
kind
Beyond
of
has moments.
This is a fucking cliche ass
Yeah.
baloney, but like whatever, it's fun to do it. I like the branching paths. This does the branching paths well. I feel like my choices are weighty. I like killed a bunch of people by mistake. Like I appreciate that aspect of it. I think it does it really well, and it's fucking cliche as hell. It's ham-fisted and like really fumbles a lot of like delicate topics, but also I enjoyed playing it. I will say I enjoyed playing it, and I think it's not going to win anything, obviously,
right.
But I do want to nominate it for best moment because I do think that opening sequence where you are like a detective going through and you're like trying to save that girl and you're investigating stuff, I think that part's genuinely really cool.
I think that scene is paced very poorly because it is also the scene where they are showing you all the investigative mechanics, and the thing they tell you is, hey, this android over here has this kid in a hostage situation. You are here to negotiate, and you can take as long and leisurely a time as you want looking around the room
I will
while
say
you're
if
doing
you take
that stuff.
longer, people die. Like people get shot. Like people die if you take longer.
When I was doing it, like I looked around at everything. And
I
it took,
agree.
like,
It's like not the best pacing moment, but I found that section genuinely very cool.
There is one scene that I think is actually kind of cool, and it feels more like they stumbled into a really cool visual moment more than anything else. But the scene where the Jesse Williams character, there's a point where essentially he is accused of a crime he did not commit. He is thrown into the android junkyard, and his sort of like reassembling his body in this writhing pit of old androids that looks like something out of like fucking Dante's Inferno. Is like this one really cool visual sequence that is immediately kneecapped by him climbing his way out of the muck into the world and then grabbing a super cool trench coat off of a pole.
Fucking leather trench coat in the rain, baby!
And then walking away into the rain.
How can you not love that? I genuinely was like so excited for how fucking stupid that was.
I mean,
like,
that sounds like it sucks, and it also sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I had so much fun with that fucking garbage. Like, it's bad,
It's
but it's
so
so
dumb.
I
fun.
remember Alex,
like,
you telling us that ending that you were alluding to earlier, and then immediately looking it up because I was thinking, there's no way it's as bad as you made it seem.
Yeah, it's every bit as bad.
But I find it bad in a really fun way. Like this game has a lot of problems.
Oh,
don't
it
get
has
me wrong.
so many.
But I feel like it. I don't know. I found Beyond Two Souls to be just as like cliched and stupid and like fucking honky.
The real problem, well, yeah, the real,
So it's a game that deals with racism.
yeah. I mean, the thing with it is like David Cage has done very off-kilter stuff that has certainly come across as, whether intentionally or not, a little racist or a little ignorant.
Sure, it's
at times.
absolutely tone deaf as hell.
And the problem, but the thing with the other games was that like most of the stories he was trying to tackle and the things he was trying to accomplish were not particularly weighty. Like he can say that like, Beyond was about, what I believe, happens to our souls when we die. And it's like, no, motherfucker, you made a shitty fucking sci-fi fantasy game, and it is what it is. But here, like, he really thinks he's saying something, and the degree to which he is not is just staggering. Like, it's hubris beyond anything that he has currently tried, or he has tried in the past.
Yeah.
I think it is maybe time for Sony to reevaluate whether Quantic Dream really needs David Cage as its leader and lead writer if they want to keep funneling tens of millions of dollars into these projects. Because, boy, they can make some real technically proficient things, but from a fictional standpoint, they gotta fucking stop.
Yeah, it's the story's bad. They're like, it raises a lot of like, I feel like they set up this sort of interesting world that like opened up a lot of questions for me that are like never answered or explored,
Yeah.
which is like, that stinks. But for me, it's exactly what I expected that game to be, and I had a lot of fun with my time with it.
I'm almost tempted to ask if you think any aspect of this is self-aware. It sounds like the cheese is so pervasive that I have to ask if
I feel like
they wrote a game about
maybe-
robot self-awareness that is completely unself-aware.
But I feel
Okay.
like if it was self-aware, I would like it less. Like what I like about
Okay,
this game
sure.
is it is so earnest.
Okay.
And there's something kind of refreshingly fun about how earnest it is, especially with how much it fucking misses the mark. Like I think if it was like, I know this is cheesy, I know it's too much, I wouldn't enjoy it as much. Like seeing this dude fucking climb up this muddy mountain with all these like robot corpses and then put on a fucking leather trench coat in the rain and you see him walk away from the back, like that is so earnest.
Is he naked aside from the trench coat?
I feel like
He has like torn rags on or
Yeah.
something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's
There's
just
another
so
part.
dumb.
I'm not going to nominate this Ramon or anything, but the actual single funniest part of that game, there's a whole subplot with a serial killer that's killing androids, because of fucking course there is. It's a David Cage game. There's a serial killer. And they really try to set up like how monstrous this person is and the horrible things he is doing to androids. And the way they do that is have you meet a bunch of androids he has kept in his basement, and you're supposed to be mortified by what you're seeing, but it's just like all he's done is sort of turn these androids into like bad corporate art, like just these sort of like
really?
like limbs are slightly off kilter, the head is sort of like readjusted, and there's no like illusion that these androids are necessarily feeling pain in the way that humans do. So like we're supposed to be horrified, but it just looks like he just kind of reshuffled them.
I played that section and I think I missed them.
Yeah, they're
'Cause
down in the basement.
I walked by the basement and I like didn't see anything, and you see like a bunch of like half like disregarded robots who are
Yeah.
like, they only have a torso like upstairs, so I was like, oh, this is horrifying, this is bad, and like he's already stealing like a kid, but
it doesn't land. And then by the time you get to the end of that sequence where like you're outside and the guy has a gun pointed at you and you're trying to get away, but then all his monsters have escaped and they're like descending upon him.
oh,
like
I
they're
didn't
going
get that part.
Yeah,
Toy Story.
I missed that. I think because I didn't see them down the basement. There was like that big like guard guy, and
Yeah.
he was the one who stopped him.
But the way they shoot it, it's like an Ed Wood movie. Like it is like fucking Bela Lugosi scrambling with that fucking wet octopus. Like you just see him go no, and they sort of just like descend on him, and then it's over. They just walk away. Like it is
Wow.
just everything in that game doesn't land.
But I also like that we had such two different like endings to that scene.
I wanted to ask
like
if
I
you
thought that
guys-
was pretty cool.
There's a lot of
like, I didn't
room for
even know
variance.
that there was that.
There totally is.
Did you guys go back and experiment with branching stuff?
No, but
No.
I went and watched some other playthroughs
Okay.
of like
And
endings and stuff.
And after each chapter, you can see all the like stuff you missed, and like which I
Oh,
fucking love. That
yeah, they
stuff.
added a
Okay.
thing that
Yeah.
shows you all the possible branches, but
Yes.
doesn't necessarily tell you what the ones you didn't see
And
were.
like, I find that stuff so satisfying, so cool, and just like it was so nice to do a mission and be like, oh, I actually made like an unusual choice here. I thought
wait, did they
like
give you, like,
everyone would
percentages,
It's like
yeah.
percentage, so it's like your friend's percentage.
it's kind of the telltale thing, but yeah.
It's
Oh,
cool.
yeah, okay.
This game, I enjoyed my time with it, but I also knew it was just gonna be fucking stupid as shit.
It sounds terrible and awesome.
yes,
For
that's
how
I
terrible
feel
is.
about it.
Like,
It is technically proficient hot garbage.
Yeah.
Doesn't the cop to do forensic tests put stuff in his mouth? Like,
Yes.
Oh yeah, the
They-
like blood.
Why
But-
would you make your robot have to do that?
But the fun part is, I think
It's a
I
robot,
think
who
the other
cares?
detective
Because
is like, "What the fuck, guy? Don't do that
Yeah,
again." Which
like-
I appreciate
Because
that
it's
he's
a
like
robot detective
weirdo.
with humans, and he's just like tasting blood. Like you could do anything
Put it on
you
those
want.
fingerprints or
Yeah.
something.
I know.
Yeah.
There's no reason to
Yeah.
have the mouth be the
The
thing
sensor
that like.
is delicate. It needs to be protected. It's got to
Put it
be
on
in his
your
mouth.
eye or something.
That's eyes are
well,
out
it
there
also
in the
was
air.
like because the other robot was like, "Hey, don't fucking do that." He's like, "Oh, okay, sorry." like
so
it seems
weird.
like there are other options for him.
I like for me, I've only seen a bit of this game, but it sounds like right up my alley in that kind of entertaining way. But
Yeah.
the thing that just always struck me was like for me personally, I cannot deal with somebody fumbling through pretty heavy issues right now in this
Yeah,
kind of
I guess.
like does he
it's-
solve racism? Does David Cage did he do it?
Again, I think he just became aware of it.
Like I think
His
for
thing went
me,
blue.
Yeah.
because it's so fucking broad, like it doesn't bother me in the same way. Like, yeah, it's still definitely very shitty. It's like tone deaf as hell, but like it's so broad.
I mean, do you want me to tell you what the ending I got was? Because I know Ben knows,
Yes,
and a couple of
please.
other
I think I
people
may
know.
have heard this.
Like, I'll do this real briefly, and then we can move on to the next thing. But like, so the end of that game, at least the ending I got was the Jesse Williams character. Like he has started a rebellion, and they are essentially silently protesting in front of where they are junking all the androids because the society's become paranoid. They're freaked out by android intelligence. So they essentially have created concentration camps for androids just to really hammer that one home. So they're silently protesting in a little sort of barricaded area out in front of the thing. And then there is a point where like the police just descend upon you and they are all like, closing in. Androids are getting killed. Like it's all fucked up. And then the last handful of them are, cornered. And the cops are coming in. There's news helicopters everywhere, all swooping around, watching this footage. The president is watching, who is definitely not a Hillary Clinton stand-in, not at all.
hey, they took a gamble.
Yeah,
and,
development.
They rode the odds on that one.
Yeah.
But so during the course of that, you can choose to engage in a relationship with one of the woman androids as the Jesse Williams character. And at the end, if you've successfully done that relationship, you have the option, a special option, in front of the cameras as you're all about to die, to kiss her in front of the world. And if you do that, there's a meter throughout the game that's like, public opinion of the androids that it swings way upward.
they're fuck androids. Save them!
Yes, so they're like, we're
They have the needle.
there's a needle and it swings upward, but public opinion is like very much in favor where I was of the androids. And they cut to the president who picks up the phone and is like, stop the attack, stop the attack. They can love, stop the
Dude,
attack.
I am so on board for this.
Love stopped android racism.
Love conquers all.
It sounds like the end of the Bill and Ted, where the newspaper comes out with wild stallions,
Yep.
bring like world peace. And,
And not only that, if you haven't done the relationship thing, one of the options you can do is sing, and that is the one where you sing the slave hymnal in front of everybody.
oh wow!
That is apparently the optional where you actually do that.
Fucking what?
Yeah.
Oh god.
So,
And then what's the thing with the title screen and the lady android?
oh
Do you wanna
yeah,
talk
at the
about
end,
that?
at the end you can agree to free her because throughout the game, like whenever
Oh,
you start up
yeah.
the game, she'll like talk
It
to
actually
you.
does some cool stuff. She'll like, I don't know, if you're like idle for a while, she'll like vibrate your controller and be like, I was just testing or whatever.
Yeah, like that stuff is fine, and it's kind of interesting. And then at the end, you're like, oh hey, do you want to free her? And it's like I said yes, and then so anytime you load up the game after that, she doesn't show up anymore.
Oh, that's cool.
Does she take your game save with you?
No, she doesn't do that. But apparently, people were so mad about that they just patched in the option to bring her back if you want.
Really?
And way to stick to your
just
guns.
undermine
Yeah.
the entire.
You just freed your slave. I was like, you know what? I miss her, so let's just bring her
That's
back.
Man, how's that for authorial intent?
Uh,
Oh, that's good.
Anyway,
it's like
fuck
they just
Detroit.
reverse
We have to move on.
Isn't that just the reverse of the near ending, where like deletes your save and everything?
Yes, it is literally the opposite.
Oh, sorry.
What a bunch of balls.
I remember liking Heavy Rain pretty well.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, good. I had fun with Beyond. I don't think
We
like
should go back and revisit.
Well,
Heavy
yeah,
Rain.
that's
Heavy
why I
Rain,
mean,
not a
that's
fan.
why I
Indigo
say I
Prophecy
remember it.
100% does not hold up, but I remember enjoying it at the
It was
time.
a cool
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
back then. Yeah.
None of those games are good.
Like Heavy Rain is just a serial killer detective noir type
Yeah.
thing, right?
Except there was a whole subplot that they had to cut about the serial killer being psychic, having like psychic powers, but there's still
Yeah.
remnants of that in the
Yeah.
game. What just like unexplained actions happening all the time.
What I mean is that's not a game with a message the way that this is, right?
I mean,
It's about grief,
yeah,
and like loss,
okay.
but in very broad, not particularly well-defined terms. And
Yeah.
this is about racism in similar kinds of terms.
What I mean is just, it sounds like they were tackling a subject they were not prepared to tackle
Well, I think they were prepared.
from the sound of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
grief and loss, spirituality, racism. I don't know what's left for them to solve.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're going to change the world eventually, one of these days.
Yeah, there's something about them trying to tackle such a weighty topic with the most cliche analogy and metaphor that has been so overdone of like, what if robots could think? What are people? And it's like, dude, like every go back since the beginning of science fiction, and it is about making
Blade Runner and-
well, I mean,
But
yeah,
see-
the
but
beginning
see-
of science fiction,
Even
but
near,
Vinny-
like last year, I
about
mean, you
people
can
trying to
look at-
recreate
Madness invented
themselves in their
ska,
own
basically.
image.
But
That's what I'm
Vinny,
hearing.
unlike Blade Runner, you're meant to empathize with the robots here. That's a big difference, you know? It's a huge difference.
Right. Yes. They turned it on its head finally.
Yeah.
They flipped the script.
Did you play it, Vinny?
No, I watched Alex play it, and I was on the fence. Like, I'm with Abby on, like, this sounds like something I would really enjoy, just, like, for the ham-fisted nature of it. But there's something that just every time I go into it being like, I don't think I want to work through somebody who thinks they're saying a big old message and being like, oh, this is just, what do you do? Especially, there's the heavy weight of what's going on in the game, in the circumstances. But I think even more, or parallel to that, is, like, the vehicle with the robots, using that as like a big fan of sci-fi, being like, how can you think you are saying something novel
Or worthwhile.
even just novel with like the whole premise? Every trailer they've shown that's like, but what if these robots could really feel?
Whoa.
And it's and then when I saw the E3 demo, I played a bit of it, and I think the thing that turned me off, maybe this is different and maybe I'm not being unfair, but when they had the whole like, when I played it and it was the meter going up and down for spray painting stuff on graffiti and like not trashing booths, and it's like a public opinion meter, turned me off a bit.
Yeah.
I like a good campy story, and I like when David Cage is being campy and ridiculous. I just maybe in a couple of years.
No.
I
don't have the faith.
That seems generous. Or, yeah, I don't know what would change.
I'm hoping
next
some
couple
other
of
stuff
years.
will change. I don't know. The best story?
I mean, look, if someone wants to throw that in best looking, I'm not going to put a big fight about
I
it.
think
Abby
best
said that,
looking,
so
and
I
I
put
really
it
like.
back to that
I
too.
really like the opening moment, like the opening sequence. I think is really cool.
Like, genuinely cool?
Yeah, I had so much. Like, I played the opening sequence. I was like, maybe this game's actually good.
Like, I would maybe nominate that, he gets out of the junkyard scene as definitely a memorable moment for sure. But yeah, beyond
I
that, I got
enjoyed it.
nothing.
Okay, I put Detroit opening sequence for moment. Is that
I think it's
accurate?
cool.
Sure.
I mean, it sure does look good.
Yeah, I definitely think it should be in best looking.
I
'Cause I think
am-
it looks great.
I'm still curious. Like I'm still.
Well, I got a disc copy if you want to borrow it.
Yeah. It's got to be in the right headspace, I think.
It's silly.
Yeah.
I played a bunch last night, and I was not in the right headspace. Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a point when I just reached a hard out. I was like, nope. Not,
Had enough
not
of
now,
this.
probably not ever.
Oh, boy.
Should we tackle one more before we take a break?
Yeah. If everybody can
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
aim for one more game. And what a game. Where did this come from? Where did little Yoku come from?
I don't know.
Yeah.
The imagination of
They
creative
mailed him
people.
in.
Yoku's Island Express.
I think the way I felt about this game kind of mirrored how I felt about State of Decay, where it's like the ideas are all really cool, and especially like the first hour or two I spent with this game, I was like, oh, what a great thing! I love pinball,
Concept
I love Metroidvania,
Arguably the best first impression of just about any game this year.
Oh my
like
god, the best late title card I've seen in a
Yeah.
very
Really
long
good,
time.
Really good.
I mean, nobody's done anything quite like this, and it's such a cool blending of genres.
Hey, Odama, man.
Odama's awesome.
Yeah,
Dude.
Odama's
I love
quest.
Odama, yes. But yeah, after a couple hours of this, it kind of just starts to wear on you once the novelty of the concept wears off, and it's like, ah, man, now I got to go all the way over there, and it's not, it's not like the
long stretches of traversal in that game get to be a slog.
Yeah.
I need to get from point A to point B, and it's
Exactly.
a long distance.
It's
You're
like,
like, all
oh,
right,
is
there no
what's-
fast travel?
How do I loop around?
Eventually, you can unlock certain fast travel points, but even there, it's not generous enough, I think.
You'll do shortcuts and stuff, like you'll knock down a tree and it'll let you get to another area or something. But like, I'm fine with playing pinball for a long ass time, but that's when it's on like a intricate bespoke board and stuff. Like, well, bespoke's maybe not the right word here, but you know what I mean. It's
Yes.
like
A designed board.
very
like,
specifically designed board for pinball. Whereas like this, it's a lot of like, all right, I know the angle I got to do to go into that little thing to go through the tree.
And it's a very wide
not-
angle. They make a lot of these shots very easy.
Yeah,
which,
yeah.
'cause
Yeah.
They don't want you to like fumble it forever.
Right.
There's a lot of great elements to this, but I think I think it starts super strong.
Yep.
I think the middle of it gets to be a bit much, but I think like the late game stuff gets pretty good again.
Oh, that's good. to hear.
I had a real problem with a lot of the upgrades, especially like the grappling hook. It felt really bad.
Yeah.
Like you had to have the exact right angle. Like there was no real give on it. There was just something that felt off to me about the stuff that wasn't pinball.
Sure. Yeah. And even like, if you're on flat land and you kind of have to push the ball a little bit, it's stuff where you're like, I wish this moved a little faster. Like, I
Yeah.
get why it doesn't, but
I don't know if we clearly stated this is Yoku Island.
Yoku's Island Express.
Yeah.
Yes.
If we had like a best concept category, I would say
It's
for
such
sure
a
put it in
tremendous
there.
idea.
It is.
I wanted to make sure that we.
I think it's a really strong debut, honestly. Like
Yeah.
for its faults, like as for a company that came out of pretty much obscurity.
Yeah, I've
like,
never heard of it.
was it Vanilla Gorilla? What's the
something Gorilla.
Villa
something-
Gorilla?
Something
Magilla?
yes.
No,
I think
Magilla
that's
Gorilla made
Jimmy
this
McGill.
game.
I'm pulling it up now. Yes, Villa Gorilla.
Villa Gorilla.
Like really, just I'm
I think it's their first game.
Yeah, I would
Really
love to
looking
see.
forward
I would
to.
love to see another one of these because I think, like with a little like now they've got one out there and have like a larger like swath of feedback to kind of wade through. I really think this, like a honed version of this for a sequel or something like that, could really be tremendous.
totally.
Or even something totally different from them. Like there's just
Sure,
so,
yeah,
so much.
yeah.
There's so much creativity here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You're delivering mail, right? That's
Yeah,
the-
you're the new
little-
postmaster for the island because the old was it a pterodactyl or
I forget what it is.
I forget
yeah.
what the old mailman is, but he's out. He doesn't
Yeah,
want-
because there's a big monster coming.
he doesn't want any
Yeah.
part of it anymore.
You're some kind of like dung beetle, right? Like a little like rolling the
you're-
ball around.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
That's
you're,
great.
you're a pinball beetle.
Oh, pinball people.
Yeah, of
Got it.
course. Just a cool idea.
Yeah, like good aesthetic. I like the style of it. I like the cutesiness of it. Like
Yeah,
collecting
the
the
little
fruit.
bits of writing and
is
stuff I think is pretty good, yeah.
like it was a pleasant experience that I just wish I liked a little bit more.
Yeah. If a few more of those things, like the power-ups are a little sharper and some of the pacing of that middle game stuff, I think this would be a very different conversation.
Totally.
But yes.
Yeah, it's actually a little more of a measured response to this game than I expected.
Yeah.
But that's fine.
Sorry,
I only
disappointed
played
about it.
like the first hour or something, but so I thought people were kind of head over heels for this.
Yeah, I got about like 3 or 4 hours into it, and I think I just kind of had my fill at that point.
Did somebody say best debut?
That's I think where it would make sense, and
Yeah.
let's put it there. Like
I think it's worth considering.
I
It
have,
sounds
I have
like-
my doubts that it
yeah.
will make it to the other end of that intact, but
I'm putting it under best music
Okay.
because
Oh,
I think
yeah,
I
it is,
listened.
yeah.
I listened to the soundtrack
Yeah.
more than I played the game.
Yeah,
played
it
it
is a
on
good
mute.
soundtrack, totally.
The first like the music from the starting area of that game is some of the most joyous, like tropical.
What about that late title card for best moment?
I'm actually seriously
Because it is really good.
thinking about doing. I'm gonna do that.
Okay.
I'll do that while we take a break.
all right,
Great.
sounds good.
And then we come back and talk about some more games.
Refill this water.
Yeah.
See you in a minute. Next on this list of 2018's games of the year, BlazBlue. BlazBlue?
BlazBlue.
And BlazBlue.
I've always
let's just say
I've always said
BlazBlue.
BlazBlue, but
You can call it whatever you.
I hear enough BlazBlue that it makes me question myself.
Yeah, I know. I do too. But I just say BlazBlue. That's
Okay.
fine.
Is this a tomato
Cross-tag-
thing? Probably.
Yeah, kind of.
My notes here say that this game is good.
Yes, it is.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
All right. Well,
I was keeping notes as well.
Can we check the sound test?
The
Is there like a
scientific nature of these games?
BlazBlue cross tag battle.
Yeah.
Is it? Is it a fighting game?
It is a fighting game.
Okay.
And yeah, typically, kind of cross tag games in this nature, maybe not so good traditionally. This one, so I came in with very, very low expectations. So this is bringing together it's bringing together BlazBlue, it's bringing together Ruby.
Oh,
it's
this is
bringing
that one.
together,
Undernight, In-Birth,
Undernight,
EXE, late.
Uniel.
Persona.
Persona.
Well, this is
And
straight
then,
up got
Persona characters.
the one
as well.
what got Chie in it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's got some Chie in it.
But there's also a Persona fighting game that
Yeah,
also
that's,
has
so
Chie in
they
it,
made
right?
it.
This is
Arena.
why, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of based off of that engine a little bit, but they've simplified it to a large degree. They've got a really good auto combo system. A lot of the motions are kind of simplified. Ben, you can probably speak to some of that stuff as well.
The thing that this game does really, really well is it takes each of these different franchises, which each have their own style that aren't too different from each other.
Right.
BlazBlue and Persona and Uni play similarly to each other.
They're all anime fighters.
but they each
And to like varying degrees. Like some are like very, very technical.
Yeah. But this game takes all of those games' style and incorporates them into one engine, where in other kind of crossover games like we put Street Fighter guys in this and some KOF guys in it. It's all kind of samey. It all feels like they're all doing their moves
Right,
from
yeah.
their games, but it doesn't feel like those engines necessarily all blended together.
Sure.
But this game did a really good job of like the Uni characters have I forget what it's called, but like the equivalent of the air dash, the assault, I think it's called. The Persona characters have, two normals and two Persona moves like they do in the Persona games. Their Personas take damage if you hit the Personas. Yep. It's just really solid fighting. It's really solid fighting engine.
Yeah,
it's accessible.
It's accessible as well. I mentioned the auto combo system.
I was gonna say, is this kind of the year of the auto combo? Like, I'm not saying this is necessarily the
it's
first
been
year
coming
that
around
it ever
for
happened,
about 2-3 years.
but I feel like almost every big fighting game this year had some form of
Yeah,
that.
even Tekken came out with a post-release update. That was a big change, and they added like an auto combo system. But it's really surprising that they were able to blend all of these characters and all these engines together and still make it really like easy to follow, even though it's like a tag game.
Is auto combo the same as dial combo?
No,
No.
actually.
Okay.
So dial combos are like you're dialing in a phone number or
Like a
something
Mortal
like
Kombat
that.
style
yeah.
special move.
You're hitting different buttons.
Auto
Auto
combo is
combos, you're
just
hitting
like
the
one
same
button.
button.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it'll be like a move that incorporates a couple of their normals, a special move, and then ends with a super.
Yep.
And it'll do like a little less damage than if you did it manually.
Yep.
It's like if you don't know what you're doing, you can just hit the same button and something cool will happen.
Okay.
Yes.
This is my favorite fighting game of the year. I feel like this game is just really easy to pick up. Like it's the game that me and my fighting game friends keep going back to, which says a lot because this year has had a lot of really good fighting games.
It has.
The story mode is like fine. It's one of those anime story modes.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
branching
They have
whatever,
to like
whatnot.
blend the characters together.
Yeah.
And
It
yeah,
doesn't-
and
There's some
yeah.
like fun moments where it'll be like Kanji meets up with Gordeau, and they're both like the big bad tough dudes of their game, and they're like trying to have a tough off, and it's a little fan service.
I'm always toughing off.
Yeah. Well, I have a game for you.
Oh.
Now I know why you love anime.
And they've had good DLC as well. Like they've
Really good.
Yeah, putting out characters at a regular clip, and
It's worth mentioning that so the Ruby characters are actually original for this game. ArcSys developed them because there wasn't like a Ruby fighting game before, and I think those characters all play really they're really fun to play.
seamless.
And it just shows that ArcSys fucking knows how to make a good game, man.
As
They
it turns
sure
out,
do.
yeah, they've been making a few of those and making them really good looking and really fun to play. And as low expectations as I had coming in, it blew it away. Like I keep coming back to this game every now and again. That says a lot. This is easily the most impressive fighting game I've played this year.
Were there some questionable pricing choices around the DLC at launch?
Honestly, I think in retrospect, I appreciate what they were doing. Where I forget the
And they made some
beginning
changes
of it.
prior to release also
Yeah,
because of
They kind of rolled that back a little bit.
But basically, there were two editions of the game. One had all the characters and one didn't. and it was cheaper, you know. So instead of going for like a season pass thing, they were just like, we're just going to sell you, 12 extra characters for $20 or
But
whatever.
all right at launch, not spread out.
All right at launch, but then they
They
eventually added more
eventually added
characters
yeah.
after that.
And some of them were free, like all the Ruby characters were free.
I am nominating this game for best music. There is not a ton of original stuff in here.
But those Ruby
The
songs,
Ruby
are
songs that they've
amazing.
added are really good, and the songs that they've chosen from Persona, from BlazBlue, are like some classics, some good deep cuts. The Uni music is just so fucking good. It's just a really good soundtrack of like the best of fighting game music.
Yep.
Outside of like Capcom and
Sure. Yeah.
Is this something you would put in for best looking or best style?
It's definitely good, but it's very similar to what we've been seeing for a while for like BlazBlue.
Sure.
And
it's like, this is the kind of game that this studio is known for making. It is a game that looks, I think, about as good as the kinds of things they traditionally make.
And it's definitely building on the style of the games that, it's pulling characters from to some extent too.
And it doesn't have, like the flair like a Dragon Ball does.
That's fair enough.
Even though it, is like a 2D animated, kind of thing. It's not doing like the spiral, hit.
It still
thing.
looks very nice though.
Yeah, it still looks good.
And if you're calling this your favorite fighting game of the year, do you think it belongs in the best game category?
Yeah, I do.
yeah.
Okay.
So you like this better than Dragon Ball Z Zverse Fighters?
In terms of just like playing it and it being a fighting game,
and variety of characters as
then
well.
yeah.
Like hearing that makes me want to play this because I really like Dragon Ball, and if this hit
really?
you even harder, then I feel like I might dig this.
But you're not going
I
to have
enjoyed
those like
watching
crazy
Dragon Ball
over the top
more.
moments that you're going to have.
I know it's a
in
different
Dragon
thing,
Ball.
but yeah.
It's a much more subdued kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels great.
But yeah.
Really good tutorial system too.
Yep.
But you also haven't played Smash Brothers yet.
That's true.
Your favorite fighting games.
No, we're talking about fighting games.
Yeah, fighting games.
But yeah.
Fighting games.
I saw all the changes in that Nintendo Direct. So
There you go.
I feel like I know what I'm in for.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jason,
Onrush.
we got another banger right here.
Oh
Onrush,
yeah. This is also one of my favorite games this year. That really took me by surprise. I'm typically not into racers. Every once in a while I'll pull something out and I have a decent amount of time with it. But Onrush's hook, the big thing is that it keeps you in the game, like at all times. If you start pulling back, like it's not
a
even
racing
like a
game.
racing
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, which I liked because I also
Right.
am not a big racing game person.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily a car combat game. It's just like kind of
kind of a hybrid.
Yeah, it's a weird mix of you are like smacking into other cars for sure.
Yeah.
and-
It's a car MOBA.
Yeah, I remember when I had no idea what this game was, and Brad said it's car Dota. I just like peaked at that moment.
turn it
kind
off
of, yeah,
and-
because you're actually you're mowing down creeps.
It's
and,
five, it's 5
and
on
such,
5.
and-
There's creeps.
You have
There's
ults.
ults.
yeah.
It's a weird feeling because whenever you are playing a game that, like, if you just saw this running on a screen, it just looks like a racing game.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
your brain is so programmed to, like, go fast, get in first place.
But it's
and
like,
that's
no,
just
I
not how
need
this
to stay
works.
in the pack to get some good hits in, or I'm trying to like stay in this zone to win the point.
Yeah, that one turned out to
And-
be one of the most fun.
Yeah,
ones,
it's
especially
almost
in
like
like
they-
a multiplayer aspect.
Right.
Yeah.
It's almost like they sat down and like tried to apply some of the mode ideas that you might have in like a competitive first-person shooter.
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
a
Like,
I really
casual
like
game.
all
yeah,
the
you have
different
And-
car classes. Yeah, there's like 8 different classes,
Yeah.
as it were,
Yeah.
and they all have different skills and abilities, ults and whatnot.
I really liked it a lot. It didn't stay with me for a long time. I enjoyed
Yeah.
the time I played with it and was kind of satisfied with that, but I found it very addictive while I was playing it. I think this game has a lot of cool style. I enjoyed unlocking like all the sort of cosmetic stuff and sort of seeing all the different characters. Like I think this game looks good from top to bottom.
Yeah, I think I'm in a similar place where I played not a ton of it, but a decent chunk of it, and I think it ultimately is a game I maybe admired more for trying stuff different than necessarily enjoyed a lot on my own. But I do like the direction they went with it. And I think it's a very novel idea.
Yeah, it is a novel idea, and it's because there isn't like a placing system or anything like that. I always felt like I was contributing to each race, especially in like multiplayer stuff. I played this with the friends online, and we had a great time with it. Like there were some really, really tense moments because you've got to like capture those zones all at the same time, and you've got to call stuff out. It was pretty fucking exciting.
I want to say it's on PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, it's coming
really?
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's on Game Pass right now. Definitely go try it.
It's
Yeah,
also
lots
great.
lots of ways to.
They've updated it quite a bit since.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they've added like 4 new tracks, which
Oh,
are all
really?
pretty cool.
That's awesome.
It's great to see like a true arcade racer because that
Yeah.
genre doesn't have a
Yeah,
lot
yeah.
going on now, and even the ones that are more like Horizon is way more arcadey than Forza Motorsport, but it's still like kind of
It's
rooted
way
in
more
some-
grounded than a
Yeah.
lot of other arcade racers.
Yeah, or I'm talking straight up like Rush, Cruising, that style thing,
Yeah.
and this kind of brings back some of those.
Oh, sure.
It's cool. It's a really cool idea for a competitive driving. Like like multiplayer driving games. It's like who's in first place, and that turns into, depending on how serious the driving game is like who came out of the first corner first,
Right.
Because everyone crashed at the first corner,
Right.
Yep.
and went from there. And
That's
yeah,
always
I just it's a really innovative idea. The way they built this stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah, what they're doing is
Very
is completely
surprising.
fresh,
Very-
and as
yeah.
such, I really want to nominate.
Oh,
it
like
for,
a good
best
debut.
Yeah.
Yeah,
best
totally.
video. Yeah.
They should make another one of these, which is like a really
Yeah.
empty thing to say because the studio I don't
The
think is there
studio
anymore.
kind of got gutted, shortly after.
which is unfortunate.
Yeah, because this
unfortunate.
was.
They're still putting stuff out though. Like there's
Yeah.
still, there's still somebody over there.
Yeah.
I forget
Keeping the lights on.
where these developers came from.
It's a
There was,
lot.
like,
It was
some
some
people
ex Motorstorm
Some
people.
from
Yeah.
Motorstorm, some from Drive Club.
Yeah.
So, like just different UK.
I feel like
racing
that's
studios.
the story of driving games developed in the UK these days. Is like everyone came out of every other studio that got
Oh,
shut
they
down
worked on
and-
Split Second. Those
Yeah.
guys,
Creation,
those guys
Blur.
worked
Yeah.
on Blur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally want to nominate it for best debut and
Yeah.
I think best game as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
You don't want to do style or anything?
I don't know that it has like a.
I mean, it has a style. I don't know that it's
Yeah.
like wholly original necessarily,
I
Right.
don't know
but
Yeah,
that I
that's
don't know
fair.
that I like the style in it all that much, honestly.
There's
Too much
kinda-
attitude.
There's some of the
Kinda
songs
weird.
Yeah,
in,
it's
the,
too
in the
much.
soundtrack that are a little grating, but there's some real bangers. Too.
I don't
know.
normally like dubstep, but I liked
Yeah.
how wubby the game got.
I would say that like there was not enough music.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it hit you with those tracks too frequently, and yeah.
I was going to say the sense of speed and the checking other cars reminds me of Burnout.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it also reminded me that this game does the Burnout thing of dropping the car out of the sky on the upgrade screen,
Which
you
yeah,
like,
yeah.
which is
Yes.
pretty
Right.
awesome.
Oh, of course.
I don't know if it's
Also,
like
landing on top of other cars and races
Yeah.
felt real good.
And like I really liked how the motorcycles handled. I really liked there was substantial differences between the cars. They didn't feel very samey.
Learning how to check into cars properly definitely was a learning curve for sure.
Yeah,
there's plenty of moments where it's just like, no way, like
That
this
shoulda
field-
hit.
That should have
The
hit.
geometry
Should've
to
taken
this
him out.
game is weird. The
It's
way
a little
the
strange.
way it
They made
handled
some
its angles.
choices.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah,
I
they
love
had
the-
to.
and
thing
some
where-
of them were great choices. Some of them maybe less so.
I love the thing where if you boost coming off a big jump, it'll make you
Drop
come down
down.
past
Yeah.
it, so it's like a butt stomp
Yeah.
onto a car.
Oh, yeah.
It's good shit.
Cool game.
indeed.
Almost platinum to that. I still.
Yeah,
wow.
you'll
God,
get there
man.
someday.
Is there
damn it.
still a community?
Well, it's if with the PlayStation.
Yeah,
being
it's
Yeah.
free
Yeah,
right
like, there'll
now.
probably
Game
be a
Pass. I hope
wave of
so,
new
but I mean
people.
that's probably only going to last
Not only
for so
that,
long.
yeah, they do a good job of dropping in bots as well. Not,
Yeah.
that's an ideal situation, but
Worked for Rocket League.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I
and
suppose so.
yeah, you
And
get
no
into
one's playing
games,
that, so-
pretty
Yeah.
snappily. So
All right, that's good to hear. Alex, what is Shape of the World?
Okay, so similar to how Abby talked about House Flipper as sort of like her cool out game this year, this was kind of my cool out game this year. It is, I'm not using this term derisively. I'm taking it back. I think this does not have to be a negative connotation. It is kind of a walking simulator.
I like walking sims.
Yes, exactly. I think that is a perfectly apt description of what these games do, and this is very much that. You are in this kind of psychedelic forest environment that sort of shifts as you walk through the world. You're just kind of looking around for these different sort of traversal points that kind of unlock new pathways to new sections of the world. You can just kind of walk around. You can poke at creatures that are there. You can kind of interact with it in some light ways. There are a few hidden things to find here and there. But mostly it is just about walking through I think, very beautifully rendered environment that has a certain look to it. I mean, I'd say there's a little bit of Proteus DNA in there in terms of like kind of how they visually shaped this world. But yeah, I mean, it's just a few hours long. It's a really nice, relaxing experience that I enjoyed playing multiple times. And there's not necessarily a dearth of these kinds of games. Like people certainly make them on a semi-regular basis, but this was like one that hooked me, one that like caught me in a way that I wasn't entirely expecting. And I don't know. I love the visual style of it. I like the peacefulness of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know. Again, since no one else really played it, I don't know that I'm going to get much support on categories that I might want to put it in, like, a best style or best visuals. But, those aspects of that game very much stood out to me.
I love the look of it.
Yeah. And, you know, like I said, there's not a ton to it. It has a very, you know, sort of walking through a garden like feel to it. But I didn't mind that. Like the light interactions were kind of all I needed to keep me engaged.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Next, let's talk about next car game. I'm sorry, Wreckfest.
Yeah.
There's a lot of wrecking, demo derby style game.
This game's been around for what, 3 years, 4 years?
It feels like
in various incarnations.
Like, wasn't this one of the first early access?
You might be
games?
right.
Oh yeah.
It was early on, certainly.
That and Rust.
I feel like it was like not that long after Valve rolled out the concept of early access. This game went into early access.
It's a neat demo derby game. It's got good tech under the hood. Demo derby. It's a demo derby count if you're going around a circle and
it's a different type of thing, but yes,
it falls under the umbrella.
It's like a
demo donut.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like Demolition Derby games Demolition Derby in the UK just means something different because they're always doing these figure 8 tracks and stuff that just like you don't see in the US that much. But
so we talked a little bit about a racing game, a technical racing game where it's decided by who makes it into the first turn and don't hit any cars. And this is a game, so like when I play Forza and I play poorly, like a jerk, or Gran Turismo, and I go into that hairpin turn and everybody's slowing down and my racing line is bright red because I'm going to smash into everybody in that corner. This game rewards that. This is the game where you do that because you want to knock that guy. You want to bounce off that car.
Have you not played this?
Not really. I watched him on the quick look. It definitely seems like something I should be playing.
This seems like a Dan Reichert-ass game.
The console versions are they out yet? Because there was a long stretch between when the PC version came out of early access and when the release date for the console versions was.
I remember when the PC version came out, the console versions were not coming out, but I don't remember hearing that they have since come out.
Yeah, I want to say it was like December or something they were targeting for that. I could be wrong.
So this is for sure the game where you're like, oh man, that guy's taking a turn right in front of me. If I hit him, I could bounce off and take take over.
And also smash up his shit a little bit and maybe make it harder for him to even proceed. It does. So there's a career progression to this stuff. Like it's very bare bones, and I don't know that I don't love the racing aspect of it, but it does have straight up bowls with real demolition derbies. And that's what I like doing is jumping into an online server and then someone's driving a bus and then I'm driving a car. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
then he put a shark on his car.
I mean, this is very much the bugbear thing is that they always nail it with the physics and like the crashes and all that, but the actual racing mechanics in their games are never great.
It's like it's fine, you can race and it's satisfying to crash into people as you're going around the track.
But then you can fucking stack the body of a fucking Volkswagen Beetle on top of a fucking like Trans Am looking thing.
Yeah, naturally, and the car damage I think looks great. Like their physics and smashing up the cars is tremendous.
They were flat out, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because I always did appreciate their dumb stuff. Again, what you said about like the racing, whatever.
Watching the driver through the windshield,
a giant dartboard or dumb bowling shit.
Exactly,
I love that stuff.
It's fun. It's enjoyable.
It's got Steam Workshop support, so there's like a bunch of goofy shit that's been bolted onto it too.
Could have put an NWO logo on the side of my car.
Probably.
Almost assuredly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not something I'd go out and say you got to go get this right now because it is a kind of particular thing. But it came out. It is fun to play. It was fun to monkey around with. I didn't spend that much time after we covered it for work going back into it. The progression stuff was a bit wonky in a way that I wasn't.
It's just not fun. It's like, hey, start in a lawnmower race and then you upgrade to a car, and then you're just like, I don't want to grind it out in the uninteresting cars and go through this upgrade path of like putting parts on it. It just would, that stuff wasn't especially satisfying.
It made me kind of peter out at some point. It was like, all right, well, you have to place.
It's what it just points. It's what just dragged me into the online. I was just like, I'm gonna just jump on this server and crash into fools for 20 minutes and go like, oh, okay, and then stop.
It's nice to be encouraged to do that.
But I don't feel like there are a lot of demo derby games out there.
No, not anymore.
Not anymore. And this one is one, and the cars fall apart nicely.
Yeah.
So
that stuff was
a dying art.
Wreckfest.
Like when they announced it, it was very much like, hey, check out our physics. And at the time, it was like, this is great. It doesn't run at a good frame rate. And then graphics cards came out over the course of the development of this game.
Multiple, yes.
Yeah,
they
probably.
developed the PC.
Yeah. And then at some point, you're like, oh, this runs fantastic.
Yeah.
This was the game that got me to buy a G-Sync monitor. This was the game that this was the first thing I loaded up when I bought a G-Sync monitor. I was like, I want to see this game running at 165 hertz and really watch these tires fly when I crashed through this wall, and it did not disappoint. I was like, this is badass.
Yeah, so if you're looking for a demo derby game, the Wreckfest is probably the one I can name.
Yeah, of recent memory,
Classic
certainly.
has one on it.
Yeah, what's that?
The PlayStation Classic.
yeah.
That's a good one.
This one might run in your native frame rate.
Okay.
Of 60.
Great.
So yeah, that's it for Wreckfest for me. I mean, there's nothing I'm going to dump it into for category here except for best story. But we'll come back to that later.
I'm tempted to say best looking because I think that physics stuff is
crashes
really
are
tremendous.
really good.
I can see an argument for that.
Let's drop it on there. I don't think. Let's drop it on there.
Why not?
We'll have that conversation at least.
It's our list. We can do whatever the hell we want.
The console versions have been delayed indefinitely.
Okay.
That's not encouraging.
But honestly, like I think that game rewards that it's a game that rewards having a powerful PC in a way that like when they announced it for consoles, like I bet those will be okay, but it's not.
They're waiting for next gen.
It's not going to be enough.
And probably, though I haven't been in there, but probably a light touch on the curation on the modding and support on there. Like you'd want something where people are putting ridiculous things in that game.
Totally.
Yeah, well, I bet the console versions won't have any of that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I think you probably want that on
Right,
PC,
yeah.
where you can get in there and really muck around with stuff.
Is it cars and tracks and everything? Like, can you put anything you want
I
in
didn't
there?
do a lot of the workshop support.
I think it's all of that. Yeah,
Okay.
I want
I
to say
hope
there's some new
so.
tracks,
Okay.
but yeah, it's there's some cars for sure. There are packs of things that you can subscribe to and all that stuff.
Like if you got in there, if somebody's making a mod or a patch to make it, gosh, what was the name of that game? I think it's Demolition Derby Constructor was like the Commodore 64 one where you could like do stuff on
Racing
the
destruction
moon.
set.
Yeah, where it's like you can make a moon one
Yeah.
and like fly around.
Mhm.
So get in there and make it happen. Thanks, Wreckfest.
Yeah, finally. Long time coming.
But indefinitely on the console version.
Yeah.
Just keep it going.
To be fair, that information came from ladbible.com.
Okay, I would maybe not look to them.
still
But I know,
around?
I mean, they're quoting an executive from THQ Nordic here.
Can you cross-reference that?
Or
The Chive.
producer, I'm sorry, from THQ Nordic.
Okay.
Wreckfest for consoles will only be released as soon as we love playing it.
That's a good statement.
Hey.
It's very easy for me to see like console versions of that game not being as cool.
They straight up say overall
Like
performance is something
totally.
that they are
Yeah,
working
like
on console.
it's a bit of a hog.
They're waiting for the next gen.
Yeah, maybe.
That is entirely possible.
They can finally see their
I-
video.
Next car game.
Honestly, I mean, with all this physics, I'm guaranteed very CPU heavy, so it may very well not work well on these consoles at all.
Moving on.
Mario Tennis is back.
It
They
did.
made
Yeah.
They made
It did
another
come
Mario
back
Tennis.
this year.
Mario.
They made another Mario
Boy.
Tennis. I bought it and have yet to open it.
Really?
I'm sorry, I did open it and put it in my Switch carrying case.
Why didn't you play it?
And never played it. I don't know.
because it's not great.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Here's the
yeah.
thing.
It's fine.
It's the best Mario Tennis since the GameCube one, but that's not really saying that
yeah, like
much.
how many?
The Wii one was weak.
Yeah.
The Game Boy or not Game Boy, fucking the 3DS ones, and the
Virtual
the
Boy.
Wii U one was nothing. There was like so bare bones. I was really excited for this one because it seems like it was like introducing like, oh, here's this weird story mode where you're going through and do, like boss fights and you're
and
leveling
like
up,
deep,
but
like mechanically deep in a way that was like,
this game is hard.
like almost like a fighting game level of like, this racket breaking stuff. Like prior to release, I was like, oh, this seems like there's a lot to it. That could
Yeah.
be cool.
And even
I
initially,
don't know.
I remember playing with you, Dan,
Yeah.
and we were having a great time, and it was
Yeah.
like, this is really cool. Like, I hadn't played the story mode at that point, but just the core gameplay, I was like, man, they really nailed this. And then it just dropped completely off a cliff for me.
that's the thing. Just the standard tennis matches feel fine. It's well made, but like the story mode stuff,
It's not good.
It's bad.
it seems
I
like there's
like
some
the story
what's bad
mode
about
stuff. Well, one, you have to play as Mario, which just fucking stinks because there are so many cool characters.
His name's right in the it's on the box.
I know, but like
the ace.
snooze. I want to see everybody else in their little tennis outfit. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be stuck with Mario this whole time, especially considering how long it is. I don't know. I was bummed you had to play as Mario. I enjoyed a lot of the stuff. I never finished the campaign.
I just thought it was boring.
I think
Yeah.
a lot of the challenges
Yeah.
are just either too frustratingly hard or just dull as hell.
Yeah.
I kind
Yes,
of
I
like.
think it got better once they patched in the like quick reset because that was very
Oh, they did
annoying.
patch
did
that
they?
in?
They did.
Oh,
That's-
Yeah,
geez,
because in
that
the
would
early
help me a
goings,
ton.
that sucked.
Yes.
Yeah. Some of the challenges and boss fights are fun, but overall, like, why even put in this leveling up system when it's like the level doesn't really do anything? Like, your stats go up a little tiny bit, and the racket system, like, that's the only other thing you're really getting is these new rackets, which okay, fun gimmick where it's like, oh, here's the mirror racket or the ice one or whatever. But I don't think it's anything that substantially really changes the experience from level to level. I beat the story mode. Had a good time with it. There's some frustrating ones. The ones on the boat with the staff or the mast in the middle. That sucked.
Oh yeah. The mirrors.
Yeah. Overall, though,
I think it was a fun multiplayer game.
Yeah. I would not necessarily put this on any list. They
really Nintendo'd it up with the online in that game. Just like it was hard to find a match. They were like the easiest way for a while was the tournament thing, but then you were getting matched against people who were way better than you most of the time. Like it didn't seem to have smart matchmaking.
And they had some balance issues early on too, where like certain characters like were just dominating multiplayer.
Boo and Kid Bowser.
Kid Bowser was one of the big ones.
Boo had the tricky shot, right?
Yeah.
Curve, yeah.
They sold me a copy of this game purely on the strength of that Nintendo Direct presentation. Like, I watched that, and I was like, all right, that looks awesome. That's got depth. I'll try that. And then it seems like it didn't pan out, and that's a bummer.
Yeah, I had fun with my time with it. I was also not inclined to finish it. I thought it was, like, fine and fun. It was a game I played on the train. I also was there when y'all were playing the doubles or whatever. And I really enjoyed the multiplayer aspect of it, especially for, like, a couch game. But it wasn't enough to keep me there long term.
I feel like this, just when you think about it, the high points of Mario Tennis over the years, like I feel like this is like a most disappointing.
Wow. I mean, the last one was
that's what I'm saying. Like, if it's
gonna
go anywhere, it would go there. I think.
Like either.
I can hear the argument. I mean, I could hear the argument.
It probably, I guess, if we had to pick one for it to go on, then maybe that one.
I mean, now is not for debating this stuff. We either put it on the list.
I mean, maybe it's so middling that it doesn't hang there. But
I think it's fine. I just, I'm not
too late. Put it on the list.
All right, fuck it. Fuck it.
No juice for best looking on that one.
No, I mean it looks like
standard Nintendo art.
Yeah, totally.
All that stuff looks great on HD consoles, but it doesn't do anything like new to like.
The other reason I'm glad I got it is that I'm still fascinated that games that look and run like that are coming out of a thing that small.
Yeah,
like that's still kind of novel to me. But
I'm with you.
Yeah, you know what?
Yes,
got some Nintendo dark magic.
Look at that shit on that big TV coming out of that tiny little thing.
Yeah, you've got some
look how smooth that is.
Designers and artists working on that thing.
That's 60 frames a second. That thing's little. But it's got a fan in it. What?
I just don't undock it.
Yeah. Okay. That's Mario Tennis Aces. Abby, they're still making Sims expansions.
They are, and I still love them. So I think that Sims has a good year this year. Sims 4 Seasons came out. Full DLC pack.
And is that everything represents the Four Seasons Hotel? Like, can you move there? Is that what?
Yeah, you help. You get rid of bed bugs.
Great.
Manage, people's
Hotel
expectations. Flipper. Exactly. No, it's what I really liked about this expansion especially was a lot of the expansions you kind of have to go out of your way to sort of participate in what it's expanding on in the game, which is sometimes neat. It's like, oh, these new careers.
Like, go be a vampire.
Yes, totally. But it's something I have to go out of my way for.
Right.
But with Sim Seasons, it's something that just sort of influences the world in a nice kind of way that I don't have to do too much, but it just is very immersive. Like the rain in the game was very relaxing, which I enjoyed. And then it also added like holidays, and you could make your own holidays, which is pretty neat. I really enjoyed this expansion a lot. I think I will probably put this in the like best ongoing game because I think that the Sim has had a lot of good free updates as well this year. They've added more curly hairstyles and more like non-white people hair basically. And they've also, just tried to they like changed they had like an insane trait and they renamed it to erratic, and just they have a lot of good kind of not accessibility, but it's like kind
of a social
awareness.
Social awareness and like inclusiveness in their games, which I really appreciate. And it seems like they really listen to the fans of the games and try to adapt for it. Like
what else came out for it this year? Because it's like Seasons was the big one, but did
Pets
Go to
also
Work come out? Okay.
I want to say maybe Go to Work, which is also another fun one.
So they bundled them all up on console for like the Thanksgiving break, where it was like, you get like 3 of them for $25,
right?
And
I got into a real Sims hole this year, so it's hard for me to remember which ones came out
Still
this
paying
year.
it off.
I think Go to Work might, if it wasn't the beginning of this year, it might have been last year, last year.
I remember we did that Sims Pets quick look that I want to say was this year, but I could be mistaken. Anyway, they also had a lot of really cool stuff with like, there's a terrain editor now. It's not all just like flat stuff. You can have like basements and different foundation levels on your homes, which is just like more it's just like good stuff to build with, and it's stuff people wanted for a long time, and they added in for free a first-person mode, which was like I think it came out as like a joke, and they're like, let's actually make it, which I think is really fun. I think they do a lot of fun, cool stuff like that.
Did they give you direct sim control at that point? Are you like walking a sim around and pooping yourself?
No, I think you like tell them to like pet the cat, and then you see them like going in. I mean, it's the same kind of sim control as usual. You just get to watch it first person
up close.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it does with like the mosaicing of when you go poop, but I hope it's gone. I hope you can see the logs in there.
Yeah. When did Sims 4 come out?
It's been out for
while
a while.
ago.
Yeah,
3 years.
Long,
it
long
might
time
even
ago.
be before
2014. It's over,
it's
4 years old.
over
4 years old.
You know, I still play it. I really like this game. I think Sims 4 is sort of underappreciated. I think people going into it were like, oh, it's missing so much from The Sims 3, which like I'm still bummed about too. I get it. But I also think The Sims 4 still adds so much. And they kind of patched in a lot of the stuff that was missing at first anyway.
And it was like a lot. It's a weird comparison to make because they're comparing like Sims 3 at the end of a billion expansions to bare bones Sims 4.
Yeah,
It's like
I mean, they did have like major things missing, like toddlers and pools, which are like pools, especially are like a
how you gonna drown
mainstay.
babies?
Yes,
Whoa.
Exactly.
Wow.
You get it, Jeff. You're a simmer.
I've been there.
Yeah. Anyway, I really like this game. I like what they're sort of continually adding to it. I think they listen to the community in a nice way. I think it would be a good candidate for best ongoing game.
I agree.
I already wrote it there.
Great.
Wow. Way ahead of you.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
What's next?
Okay. Fighting EX Layer.
Yo, they brought Skullomania back.
Oh, that's the Skullomania.
Okay, so game of the year.
Oh, this
You would
was...
think.
Oh, but no.
Oh, but that SNK Heroines game has Skullomania, so
Skullomania.
Did they just put like a bow on Skullomania?
Probably.
What a year for Skullomania.
Yes.
I don't know.
Big year for Skullomania, but
Not a great year for
mixed year.
games with Skullomania.
yeah.
Yeah. This game has a weird history. Like it was brought up as like an April Fool's Day joke. Like they put really screenshots as like, oh yeah, we're doing this game on April Fool's, and then it turned out to be a real thing. And then the prospect of having Skullomania back in our lives became very real. This game came out.
To be clear, it's not just Skullmania, right? I mean, for all intents and purposes, this is a new Street Fighter EX.
without the Street Fighter
Right, without
characters.
the Street Fighter characters. But it is that lineage.
It's
It's
a lot
got
of those
D-Dark.
characters. It's got D-Dark.
Yeah, I guess it's got
Biggest
those guys.
pervert in the world.
Yeah.
He just looks pervy.
D-Dark is a sicko.
Yeah.
Makes Voldo look like a priest.
So who made this? Who put this out?
Arika.
Arika, yeah.
Arika.
Same people that made those Street Fighter EX games.
And
Yeah,
they own
exactly.
they own
their
new
characters.
They own the characters
So
they made for those games.
It's why those characters didn't ever show up in any Street Fighter games. It's because they controlled them, and now here we are, wrapped back around to it with some of those characters.
Did Arika ever make game for Capcom though? Like one of their fighting games, or am I confusing them with somebody else?
I mean,
Am I thinking of
Street Fighter
Dimps?
EX?
they made Street Fighter EX.
Yeah.
No. I
But
mean,
no,
after that.
After
Since then.
that, no.
Like who made
Dimps,
four?
Dimps did four.
Dimps did
Dimps.
four. Okay.
So yeah,
Dimps did this shit.
But Ark is like original Street Fighter 2 people, right?
Yeah.
Like original.
Yeah,
like the creators of Street Fighter 2.
Yeah, so it's like
Shit.
it's got some chops to
Yeah.
it. But like this game, they made no bones about it. They're pretty upfront about like, hey, we're
bones.
making this game on a budget. We are a small team of people making this thing.
if this sells well, we'll maybe release some more characters.
Yeah, and
And they've released
like
handful
Volcano
of-
Rosso
Yeah.
is in now,
he's
or
in,
and
yeah.
Pullum Pern is in.
Pullum-
Okay.
Pullum-
And then I think it's out.
Pullum.
I think it will be out on PC by the time you are hearing this. It should be out. I think it'll be out in a couple of days here.
That sounds right.
The thing about this game that was really cool and also really lame is the Gogi system, the Gogi decks. So it's a cool touch because you have kind of these objectives now to do in your match, like these little mini objectives where it's like,
You hit
if
somebody
you block
10 times,
10 if you block 10 hits, your defense is going to go up by 25% for the rest of the match. Or if you do 3 throws, you're going to get super armor for the rest of the match.
That seems good.
It's cool, but the big bummer was if you bought just the regular edition of the game, you got one
It's just a handful.
Like you got a couple of them, and then you had to buy the rest.
Yeah.
So it was almost like
piecemeal as well.
Yeah, yeah. And then they sold it as kind of like you could buy the complete game and get all of it, or there was they almost pitched it as like a light version.
Yeah, so it was like a $40 for just the game and a couple gogies.
So it wasn't necessarily like pay $60 for
and one character was missing.
Yeah, for a weak version of the game, and then spend more to get more. It was kind of they went the other way with it. Which is less bad, but still, you know,
when it has gameplay ramifications,
right, yes. And it's also a system that like you can pretty directly compare to the gem system from Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
They paid for, you can pay for those.
And those
right?
were
well,
some of those were like these ones only come with the expensive version of the game.
Okay.
Like they did it the really bad way. This is less bad,
right?
But still kind of a bummer.
Yes. When you said it reminded me of that gem system.
Yeah, and
Even
also,
aside from the new stuff that they kind of brought, the Gogi system, I don't think it feels all that great. Like the original game, you could combo from like a fireball into a super and just like keep going with that. It feels a little more stiff this time around. It's a little harder to connect that stuff. Not only that, a lot of the normals with these characters are like the same fucking animation, like a low forward kick or a low strong punch or something. Same moveset. Like as far as the normals are concerned, the specials are different, but yeah, the characters do share a lot of similarities.
And it's pretty lacking on the mode front too. It launched with like no AI at all, right? Like it was just kind of like you can get in training mode and play against a dummy, but it's not. There's nothing to fight against.
Skullomania aside, I popped this in last night just to get a little refresher, and did not enjoy.
It was also
time with
extremely unbalanced from like a tournament standpoint. I watched a couple of the first couple tournaments. It was the same Gogis, same 2 or 3 characters in all through top 8s, which was kind of a bummer to see.
They figured it out, like whatever.
Well, they're working on this PC version. I think there's still hope that maybe they kind of swing back through and maybe
just make Skullomania skins for everybody.
Exactly, and or just kind of bounce things out a little further and continue to work on it. But yeah, this game is cool in a lot of ways, but it's disappointing in others.
It's cool seeing this franchise come back for sure.
Yeah.
Like I joke about Skullomania, but like he's a fan favorite. Like,
so
it's a big deal.
Would you call the EX is the franchise at that point?
At this point now, I guess so.
So there's like the fighting layer version of EX, and then also the Street Fighter 2 or
kind
Street
of,
Fighter version
because
of
fighting layer was a game before also.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of strange lineage to this whole thing that is just bizarre. But yeah, it's...
Look, I'm happy to see the Laparca of fighting games back doing his thing, but
please,
doesn't sound so great.
He's now the LA Park of fighting games.
Yes, right.
As a result of some things that happened. But
licensing.
So what do you think? Any nominations for...
If anything, actually, most disappointing.
Yeah, boy.
It hurts. But you're...
I had a pretty good time that first day, but a lot of that was nostalgia.
Yeah.
And then in retrospect, I really didn't like it at all.
I will give it a fresh shot when it hits PC.
Sure.
And yeah.
If we were still doing some kind of best trend category, I would say like fighting games coming out on PC now is one of those.
Yeah, like cool. Good ports on PC.
Because I can hardly think of a big fighting game in the last like year or two that hasn't come out on PC, and they all seem good.
Yeah.
That's just not something you saw.
They haven't been really...
Not something you saw until like 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, with like Mortal Kombat and no, there were I want to say that there was some weird Injustice stuff too. Like having to re-download the game.
God, yeah.
Yeah, there was some weird stuff with a couple of those games. Yeah. Like once you got it all, the ports were fine, but there was some controller weirdness depending on what you're trying to use. Yeah.
Or I would even almost expand that out to like Japanese games coming out on PC.
Yeah,
like RPGs, lots of stuff you would not have seen.
Oh yeah, like Namco Bandai's been putting.
Yeah, Namco and Dragon
Quest is on PC. It's crazy.
Been going hard on PC. Oh man.
Yes.
Let's talk about The Crew 2.
Yeah, let's.
What a mess of a game. So The Crew, it's like, hey, look, you can drive all the way across America. You got all these different racing disciplines. There's kind of an RPG element to it of like getting better car parts for winning races and all this
car
stuff.
Loot.
Car loot, the car PG
epic
thing.
spoilers.
Yeah, and so The Crew 1 just didn't handle well. So you're like, man, the framework of this game, like, there's some cool ideas here. I bet they could nail it with a sequel. They did the opposite of nailing it with the sequel. This game is just a tragedy, and like a So I think by the time you will hear this, I think this game will have competitive multiplayer in it.
Whoa!
Because it launched without that. You would see other players in the world, but kind of couldn't do anything.
Literally
with them.
could not interact.
They were
with
just
them
ghosts.
You didn't have collision.
Like, yeah, and so it's just a series of like bad, boring races.
I mean, like bad is in the handling is not good.
The handling's
Like,
still
the
not
driving
good.
not great?
The driving doesn't feel good. They've got all this multi-discipline stuff of like, oh, there are boat races which feel terrible.
Oh, no.
The boats are atrocious.
The boats are a nightmare. And then you can fly planes, which the flight racing stuff I think is also not fun.
Didn't I hear that the transitions between vehicles are good?
So that's the one thing that's awesome. Is you pick like a quick select for each of the 3 disciplines, and you can change between them at will. So you can be in a plane and just say fuck it, I want to be a boat, turn into a boat, and then fall out of the air and land on the street. No, you just
fade out, fade back
fades
in.
in.
Okay.
This isn't Transformers Race for Cybertron.
It is not Transformers Race.
It's like GTA 5 if like Trevor was a boat and Franklin was a plane.
Exactly.
I would love it if your current vehicle just went like flying out of frame and the new one came in without any kind of transition.
No,
but-
it's way better that it just like you become a boat and then fall out of the sky. Like we turned the switch on this and then suddenly we turned into a whale and then the whale fell out of the sky. Yeah. And so like that actually leads to some cool combo moments that I wish they would have actually built some things around where like, oh, I want to hit a jump and then turn into the plane, fly through these rings, then turn into the boat and land in the water. Like there's awesome things they could have strung together with this that they just super don't. So it's like a series of events that are very dull, and there aren't enough of them. It's this open world United States that is largely empty, like way more empty than the first game was. And because the first game had a lot more of like, oh, here's like way more speed traps and other weird shit you can do and find. Like it just has nothing.
It's barren.
And so they launched it and sold it for full price. They sold it above full price because they had like $100 version of that game. That just felt like a crime. Like it felt like a scam. It felt terrible. And then they had a roadmap of like, oh, over time we're gonna add, and like on that roadmap was literally competitive fucking multiplayer, like the thing you pretty much want to do in a game like this.
like 6 months later.
Like months after the fact. Like what the hell? They also added a demolition derby mode, which I have not seen. That, like I said, I think that's coming in the same update.
The monster truck like tracks seemed all right.
Not enough of them, but yeah, like that, and that's the thing is like there are hints and little inklings of like, oh, parts of this look really nice, or like there's parts of this progression that could be cool, but boy, every character you kind of talk to in the story is just like an even. It's like you're moving up this scale of douchebags, just getting closer and closer to the top.
I gotta emphasize this: like, no driving game has fully nailed the part where human beings exist in those worlds. Like Horizon also is not great at this, though. Admittedly, those characters are more just like sort of cloying and constantly telling you how great you are, and it's just annoying. Every single person in this game who spoke to me made me want to turn it the fuck off. I have never hated people in a driving game quite the way I have hated these people. And I'm talking about even those fucking Need for Speed games that really fucked that up.
Is this the one where you're trying to get just like vague followers?
Influence.
Yeah.
Influence.
Oh, influence. Right.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a social media thing of like do stunts to get followers. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna just get in a plane and spin in a circle for 5 minutes, or it's actually less time because it does cap out of like, okay, you can't just keep doing this. But it's just abysmal, man. This
It just
game
seems so
is-
empty.
yeah.
Like you were showing me
It
it
is
in the
soulless.
quick look,
It
and
is
we were
so
jumping
fucking
around,
soulless.
just looking for anything to do.
Yeah.
Just
And then
wanna
there's
see-
weird branding stuff in there too.
Yeah.
I want to see if I can get Jeff Gerstmann to say this. As far as a game that had the flying, the boat, and the racing, did you enjoy Diddy Kong Racing more than this game?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's how
we did it. We did it.
Yeah.
Diddy Kong
I feel like
Racing
we
is
just
game
landed
of the
the
year.
Mars rover.
This is
High five and
Popping champagne.
this is the new low watermark.
Yeah.
Diddy Kong Racing is now number 2 on worst game.
US.
Yeah,
It's
this
bad,
thing
man.
is it's just so joyless, and it takes a thing that like oh man, if I could just fly around America and turn into a boat and do all this stuff, like
That's the
this
American
should be a
dream.
fucking blast. But holy shit!
But instead you're doing like the Slim Jim race to
they
Montana.
found like zero fun along the way.
How in depth does the like America stuff go? Is it sort of like, oh, I'm in New York now, I'm gonna fast travel to LA, or is it like I'm gonna drive through?
You drive from end to end.
Is that cool?
No.
Okay.
Again, the world is like weirdly empty.
Yeah,
it doesn't
there's
feel.
just nothing there for you to do.
What is the scale? Like, how long does it take to get?
I don't know the
coast?
exact number. It is not real time.
Well, of course not.
sure.
But I mean, are we talking like?
It's long.
Probably like a few hours.
Oh, that's what that's what I was looking for.
Yeah,
Like some
I don't even know if it's quite that long.
It might not
is
even be that
long.
long. I
Did
didn't
they
do it.
feel like the cities at all?
Yeah, a little bit. Like
when
Las
we were
Vegas,
flying
you're
around like
okay.
San Francisco Marin, I was like, okay, this is not bad.
Okay.
Like they chop it up because they have to scale it down. But
the reason I ask is like that is at least kind of big. Like
Yeah,
some games would make the America map
also
like 10 minutes from coast to coast.
That's the thing that the Crew 1 did.
No, I'm not
So
saying I'm not
it's
defending it.
Yeah,
I just want to get a sense of like they at least sort of go for some scale.
And I think you look at this thing and think like, man, like again, like the Crew 1 was kind of onto something. It just didn't handle well.
And the mission design was just generally not very great.
Like, which is a pretty fundamental thing for
Yeah.
a driving game. So they kind of blew the big part of it. But there's like cool ideas in the Crew 1, and then this.
It feels like whoever made this did not understand what anyone might have possibly liked
It
about
just
the
feels
first
like
game.
2 steps back from even the Crew 1 in a lot of ways. Like it's a better looking game in meaningful ways and all that stuff. But
Well,
just,
Jeff, you'll check in on that competitive multiplayer and let us know
Dude.
how it is.
no.
Ongoing game.
It's hard to necessarily like float this for something like most disappointing because my expectations for anything with the words "the crew" in it were not very high.
I will say the car loot sounded cool.
Yeah, I think
like-
I was able to look at it from that angle of like, man, there are nuggets of greatness in some. There's some document about the Crew 1 that that reads really strong that they just didn't find. So I think I went into this going like, man, if they can fix the stuff that made the Crew 1 a bummer, this will be probably pretty great. Also, the bar is lower and lower every year for driving games because there aren't very many of them anymore. And so, like, Need for Speed is gone. So, like, the Crew 2 had a really, like, strong shot by virtue of not having as much competition, and they still fucked it up, man. This thing is just it's a sadness factory.
I wrote it under most disappointed. We'll see.
They're actually
do
closing all the
hottest
sadness
mess?
factories in North America.
Man.
Is it a hot mess?
No, like I think there's something like really bold to launching your game with no competitive multiplayer and putting that on a list.
The thing is, it
Games without
functions.
content.
So bravest game.
Yeah. There's they have the
David
courage.
Cage in this
They have the
game.
courage to admit
Yes.
these features at launch. But yeah, it's man.
Okay then. That's sad. You know what else
Best
is
sad.
sad?
Yeah.
I do know a couple of things.
in
What,
a-
do you- what,
in a-
have- what
in a-
have you got?
I've never
in
been
a-
sad.
In a melancholy kind of way.
Oh.
The infinite sadness.
It's a good sad?
It's a good sad.
Unravel 2?
Yeah.
Oh.
I surprisingly really enjoyed Unravel
Yeah,
2.
it's better than the first one for sure.
It totally is. And I played through the whole game co-op.
Oh, you finished the whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay, good. 'Cause I have not.
And yeah, like so this this is the follow-up to Unravel 1, which didn't really take the world by storm at all. And the gimmick in this one is that there's 2 of y'all. So I can't speak to it as a single player experience.
I played it all by myself. So,
Okay.
So
But I really like the system. So I didn't play 1, but to me, like the swinging in this game felt really good.
Yeah.
It felt really cohesive and it all felt like how you wanted
there's
it to
a
feel.
real sense of momentum to the swinging that makes it feel very natural.
Yeah.
Like you
That was-
you swing on instinct. Like it feels
That was maybe kind of my
Intuitive?
problem with
Yeah.
the first game was that the feel of it was not
the feel
great.
is not good in the first game. Like
Yeah.
there was a lot more like dragging stuff around and like stacking objects and more like
Oh.
just sloppy physics puzzles.
Yes.
But
This game has like a little bit of that.
this
but
game
it-
is like very much designed around the swing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff you can do with it. Like you can stretch your yarn between points and make a trampoline to bounce on.
Oh,
You
that's
can
cool.
you can be just like an anchor for the other
Yeah.
person. So that was something that was really nice. I played this whole game with my partner who doesn't play a lot of platformers, doesn't play a lot of video games, but we would like, if I managed to make a difficult jump, I could just hold on to the string and they could climb up and we could, it didn't require both players to like be really good at platforming. So, and that alone went a long way because it was just, it kind of acknowledged like you might be playing this with somebody who doesn't understand like physics swinging puzzles fully, but it's not going to punish you for that.
Yeah, I will say also playing it by yourself, like it's not a chore managing 2 yarnies.
That's
Do you just
good.
swap between them with a button or?
2 yarnies. I'm trying to remember exactly how it works.
I
I mean,
thought they
you can
ravel around.
Yeah,
you.
so you can attach them so they're effectively
yeah.
one, so you're not even having to control.
And you can
both.
do that with
Um,
2-player as well.
I can't remember if there's. I don't think there's any kind of like warp to the other person, which I kind of wish there was a way to make them get back together faster. That is maybe the one tedious thing by yourself is having to pair them back up. But yeah, you can do all the stuff you can in co-op where you can like plant one up on a platform and use it as a grapple point. So you don't have to just grapple on the environment. You can pick exactly where and how you want to swing on stuff.
Sure.
And you can even like drape them over the sides of something. Like
Yeah.
The stationary one doesn't have to be standing on a platform. Like the yarn can be hanging down both sides of a thing.
Gotcha.
And like you're using it as kind of a counterbalance. Like you said, like it's very natural and intuitive feeling. Like the weight and the swing all just work like they should.
I will say that there was a bummer for me that there was a couple of points of forced scrolling levels where you have to like run away. I don't know, did you get to the turkey?
No.
There's a level where there's kind of a big turkey chasing you.
Oh, I think I saw that at E3 or something.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
turkey.
And it was kind of a bummer because to me the game isn't about like fast paced action. It's about kind of slowly taking your time with these swinging puzzles. But other than that, it was really delightful. I really like the way the game looks.
It looks incredible. The first game looked really good too. I think this one looks even better. Also, it does the level lord thing of you're a tiny thing in a giant world. Like, everything is gigantic. But yeah, it looks really fucking good. Like I am totally gonna slap this on.
It's like cool fog effects,
best looking
lighting effects.
Lots
yeah,
of
it's
good.
sort of like a nice like tilt shift.
Yeah, lots of good depth of field and glowing particle effects and physics animation, all kinds of stuff. It's a really good looking game, and it plays way better than the first one did.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, does it play well enough to maybe be in the best game discussion?
Like everything all that said, like I got to I think the third level and have not come back to it.
Right.
So like it's really solid. But I mean, if you want to put it on there,
I don't think it has the chops. There was a lot of bonus. There's like bonus, more difficult levels you can play, but after just
there's like a
mainlining,
challenge. There's like a hub system and like a lighthouse.
Yeah.
and there's a neat little elevator that you work mechanically to make to go up between
go up to different levels.
It's cool. It's weird stuff.
it's cool, but I didn't find myself wanting to go dip into that extra stuff at all.
Right.
It was just like I saw the 6 chapters. I had a good time. Put it down. Never really thought about it again.
Yeah.
In
seems
fact, it's kind of telling that I remembered to add this game to the list like in the middle of our
Right.
last recording.
It did kind of sneak out too.
Well,
Like,
they
yeah.
announced and released it at E3,
Yeah.
which I love when they do that.
But also at the same time, we were at E3, so like we kind of had to remember that it came
Right.
out.
Yeah, it can get a little buried, but significantly better than the first game. Okay, I think that's going to take us to a break.
Yeah,
I think that's going to take us to a break.
we got one more round for today.
We'll see how it goes.
Okay.
Let's take a break. Octopath Traveler.
Wow.
Talk about it.
Wow.
What's up with that?
8 paths.
8 whole paths?
It is good enough to get me interested in it and play probably a couple dozen hours or more, despite not having any nostalgia for the stuff it's clearly like.
Yeah, hearing you were playing a JRPG was
Yeah.
shocking, let's say.
Disquieting, even.
Yeah, I love the look of it. I like the idea that you can go as hard on it as you want as far as the 8 stories. If there's just a few you like, you can really focus on those characters and follow them through.
Do you not have to do everything?
You don't have to do all of them at all. No.
Finish
Well,
the
to
game?
advance to the other chapters, don't you?
I mean, you can just pick. You can do like chapter 2, chapter 3 of like Ophelia before you go get someone
Yeah,
else.
but you're gonna run into like level issues there at a point because it scales up so hard.
It benefits you to get them all, and I got them all. But I mean, there were characters who was just like, I don't like this like thief story or whatever, and so I would just kind of leave his stuff in the dust while I was like advancing chapters of everyone else. I didn't beat it, I know that game can be like Bianca played like 150 hours of it.
Oh, jeez.
Because there's like a super duper crazy ending that you can do, and she went after that, and that seems to be just insane. What you have
Do you have
to
to
do.
like finish every character's story to get there? I
Oh,
assume?
that and
For
then,
that,
like,
yeah.
there's like a super
Okay.
duper boss at the end.
Okay.
It seemed like a giant pain in the ass, actually. But
So the reason this game lost me, the reason I kind of only played through about half of it, I got through most of chapter 2 of 3 plus an epilogue.
Wait, are the chapters divorced from the characters?
no, they are based on each character.
Each character has 3 chapters,
I thought
basically.
it was 4, wasn't it?
Plus 3 plus an epilogue.
I think the 4th
Yeah.
one is like kind of a weird, not exactly the same. I don't know. I didn't get that far.
Yeah.
But my main issue was it just seemed like 8 random people who were helping each other for no obvious reason each kind of doing their own thing. There was no through line. There was nobody talked to each other.
Yeah.
Like it. And that's the thing. If you don't find all of their stories interesting, you find yourself in scenarios where it's just, I was skipping through certain characters' cutscenes because I was just so kind of tired of it.
I need a really strong cast of characters. I need strong writing. I need these strong interpersonal relationships between the characters.
Like it's a party. You want them to be together.
And I talked to Peter Brown, who played through all of it, and he said by the end you get a little more of that, but I wasn't willing to put in the hours.
Yeah. I saw that complaint in most of the reviews I read about it, and I guess it's just because like I don't really care about the story that much. Like I just like I like the powers and the abilities and just the game, the fighting system with the
I do really like the
and all
combat
that.
system.
Yeah, exactly. Like I like the combat system a lot, and I'm not a big story guy, so I didn't have any complaints about that.
It's a good evolution of what Persona did, and I don't know if Persona's the first one of like. Enemies have their weakness, but in this one, you can exploit it even further by waiting turns and powering up your attacks and doing like cool finishers and stuff like that. I think it's like maybe the best that JRPG combat has ever been.
And also the shield system. It could be annoying with certain bosses that would like replenish their shields really frequently. But I liked the idea of like, okay, you find their weaknesses and then it kind of fills in that little icon and then you're breaking the shields and you can really do damage. So you're saving all those big attacks for when the shields are down. I thought that combat was great.
I think another little issue I had was each character had the path action, which is something they could do in the greater world. But there was only 4 of them really because it was like 4 of the 8 characters had one unique one, and then the other 4 characters had basically the same one.
They would both be types of like, oh, this person can steal, and this person can like barter and get something, or pickpocket or something.
Yeah,
you know?
And that was a bummer to me because, like, on one hand, I liked my party of 4 people. Like, I had my 4 favorite characters that I liked and I used in combat. But on the other hand, the game didn't give me a reason to use the characters that I didn't really want to use in the first place. I wish it challenged me a little more in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's incredible or anything, but I just think it says something to me that that's not my genre by any means. And like I was really like, I think the only reason I fell off is because I can't remember if it was, when did this come out? Was this like
summer,
July?
Like July.
Okay, maybe I think a big trip or something or some huge game came out.
Derailed you?
Yeah, I got derailed, and then when I like wanted to come back to it, it's like I kind of forgot
Yeah,
where I was even going.
About it.
Yeah, and I never quite.
You were
got
playing
back.
it for a while though.
Yeah, I really really enjoyed my time with it. So even though it didn't see me through to the end, I was very impressed by it.
It's got to look.
I definitely
Yes.
belongs in
Yeah.
best style.
I think
Yes.
it looks so
hands
cool.
down.
Style or looking?
I think style too, because even like the map and everything.
The way
and,
that
like,
it's
I think
like
style especially.
it's like characters cut out against a background. There's
they've got,
something.
like,
Kind
3D
of this
things
like
with shadows
2D made
and
3D with
Yeah.
like some tilt shift stuff.
it's a cool look. I think style and best looking. Yeah.
Okay, it kind of sounds like it's going into both of those for the same reasons.
Yeah, this
that.
seems like a stronger style contender, but we can deal with that later.
Well,
Between the two, I would say style.
Yeah, style is the one that stands out to me.
Oh, I think it looks.
I think
good.
it looks great too because like
Yeah.
even the things like explosion effects and
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, but
look
both-
And the
great.
pixel art, or they're not really pixel, it's like 3D things that were like made
yeah.
into like a pixel version.
Again, we can talk about it later, but everything you're talking about is the look of the game, and that is a best looking thing.
Okay.
Yeah, let's put it in there. Can I see the other categories? I wonder if there's anything else.
Music.
I mean, there's debut.
The music is really good. I don't know if I would necessarily.
It was good, but I don't remember
remember
any of it.
Exactly,
yeah, that's not telling.
Debut.
Debut. No, they
I mean,
they did the
game kind of lost you. So
They're the Bravely Default people.
that's what it is. Yeah.
And it seems very similar in some regards to Bravely Default. I don't think it was too much of a new thing to.
Yeah, let's just go with visual stuff. But I just want to say I had a really good time with it.
cool.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can find my place here. Alex.
Yes.
Semblance.
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 Is that the follow to a semblance?
Semblance.
Am I thinking about a totally different game?
You're thinking of something else.
Okay.
This is the puzzle platformer
yes, I am
developed
thinking of
by
very much something else.
They were on our show this year at E3. Is the first game on a Nintendo platform developed in Africa. They're from
cool.
South Africa. And it is a game about deforming the environment to solve environmental puzzles with your little jumpy blob guy.
Oh, I like that.
So what you can do is there are sections of the environment, not the entire thing, but there are sections that you can kind of deform at will. And you were using that to sort of create platforms, to sort of shift things around. There are, variety of different obstacles that come up with each game world. Like some, have like laser beams that shoot at you that you have to kind of shift around so you don't get killed. It's a neat game that I think it can be a little frustrating. Trying to get the world to kind of deform the way you want to can sometimes be a little bit of a chore. But in general, I found the puzzle design to be pretty fair and pretty inventive. I played most of this game. I have not finished it, but I got through the majority of it. And I had a lot of fun with it. It's got a cool look to it. It has this sort of like, I don't know how to describe the world other than it's just like vaguely haunted by whatever is going on in that world. And you are sort of like trying to clear up this corruption that has kind of taken over everything.
The look is kind of like a pixel junk game.
Yeah, a little bit.
PS3 ones.
Yeah, it has a little bit of that to it. It was a neat thing that I really enjoyed, and I think that like I said, there are some quirks about the way it controls and the way it feels, but in general, I thought it was like some of the better puzzle designs that I've played this year.
Cool.
Some good tech in the deforming stuff. Does it feel like a?
I mean, you can kind of do some stuff with it.
Yeah, a game based on like a unique mechanical.
Yeah. Like I have not played something quite like that in terms of like puzzle platformer design.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would maybe put that in best debut. I don't necessarily think it is a best game, but I think it is for a thing that kind of came out of nowhere. I think it's pretty cool.
Is it Switch only?
No, it's on Steam. I think it might just be Steam and Switch.
Huh. Okay. Hold Down.
Mobile game of the year.
Oh man,
Well, that was fun.
Man, I've been meaning to get that for months, and I keep forgetting about it.
It's the one with the raccoon and the
No.
quadcopter.
No. Different whole game.
Different hole.
This is like balls, but made good.
Yeah, you shoot balls at
Rocks.
The rocks have numbers on them, so they need to be hit that many times with the
fuck are you guys
balls.
talking about?
And you want to drill into the earth by hitting all these blocks.
Yeah.
And
You know this game. You're the one who showed it to me.
Yeah, I forgot the name of it. It's like, oh yeah, that game I played a lot of.
yeah, it's got a satisfying like set of upgrades and stuff, and you earn more balls. You get to a point where you're shooting like dozens of balls at a time,
And once you complete all the levels, there's an infinite version that you were just constantly trying to drill
Right.
down and get the highest score on.
And sometimes you're trying to go after like screwed in pieces and that'll knock down everything above it.
Yeah.
Like I played a lot of that game Balls, which feels very much like a free to play game. And I loved it, but this felt like, oh, this is actually like a designed game.
Right. It's like sharp.
Yes.
Yeah. Really. I like the look of it a lot. Like,
Yeah.
it's
I like
cool.
the upgrades a lot where it's like, okay, here's how many balls you start with. Here's how many you can get up to by
Maximum
filling that
balls.
meter. Here's how many crystals you can bring back up to the surface, which you use to upgrade. Balls.
Yeah.
Balls.
Yeah, good balls.
Yeah. It's
Good
got
balls, good
It has
holes.
arguably the
balls,
best balls and holes
even
of
better
2018.
holes.
Yeah. I will
There's
say
some good holes this year.
Yeah.
one
Hole of the
thing,
year.
my main complaint is that I beat it and I was happy doing the infinite stuff, and then it wiped my save, and I had to start from the beginning.
I
Which
got
was
to
a real
like
stinker.
I got through like level 2 or 3 or something like that, and had it trash my save, and
Yeah.
I was like, whatever.
Wait, both of you?
I guess apparently, yeah.
I never had that, but that sucks.
That's balls.
I do love the feeling when you get
Worst
down
balls.
to the core of a level that you've been working on for
Oh,
a while,
yeah.
and then you just kind of do the math in your head. It's like, I got that many shots left, and okay, I'm definitely gonna get this.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
good feeling.
It is, like I said, it is the mobile game I've spent most of this year playing. I'm still playing it. It is, I think, an absolute delight.
The title. What was the one where you shoot down, you jump, and you
Mr. Driller.
Downwell.
No,
Downwell.
Downwell. When I saw Hold Down, I thought it was Downwell. Okay.
Yeah, no.
Okay,
This
yeah,
is
Hold
Hold
Down's
Down. I think it is a great debut, and I also think it might be. I don't know if it's going to make my top 10, but it is hovering around it right now. It might be a best game for me.
Wow.
Okay. All right. That's a long list under debut.
I know.
A lot of great games came out. A lot of
cool.
games.
A lot
lot
of
of
great not sequels. I mean,
Yeah.
that's good.
Right, that is good.
That's good.
That is good.
That's good.
It's good.
That's good. That's
good.
great.
It's
great.
great.
It's great of the year.
Good holes.
Balls.
Oh, that's good.
That's good.
One game which is definitely not a debut.
No.
WarioWare Gold.
Yeah.
This is
More of a celebration of what came before.
Hey, yeah, totally. Like, here's like this feels like an end cap on a lot of years of great WarioWare games. Of just like, hey, all right, here we go. It's a lot of games you've played before, kind of remastered with like updated graphics, but in ways that I think actually still work. It
Yeah.
still looks silly.
It
and-
looks great.
I think it was really smartly sectioned out in that they have the ones from like the tapped, twisted, and
Yeah.
more traditional. How they kind of section out.
It's
Like,
weird how it reminds you, like, oh, the 3DS is a really capable device because you
Yeah.
can play all these different WarioWare
Yeah.
games that require like bolt-on cartridges and
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
all this other stuff. And yeah, I think the storyline bits are really fun
Yeah.
in this one.
It added enough weird WarioWare bullshit from that like capsule machine, like the weird
Totally.
phone stuff
Yeah.
and all that. Yeah.
It's just a really solid tribute to WarioWare's past.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of a remaster in a weird way.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these games have been in the previous games.
It's a great send off. Goodbye, Wario.
So that's
No
like
way.
so that's what sticks in my craw with this thing. I have no problem with this thing in and of itself, but in a world where there hasn't been a new WarioWare
Yeah.
game in a long time, like it doesn't go down quite as smoothly.
This still like I still played the shit out of this.
That's what,
game.
that's what
it's
I'm
not
saying.
new
That's what
to
I'm saying.
me.
This thing is fine, but like
I mean, didn't you see that Smash trailer? Wario died.
it would be more fine if they were also
You can't make video games if you're dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what if it was Rhythm Heaven instead?
if
I would. I mean, yeah, they already did this treatment for Rhythm Heaven of like a master mix, like,
And that was
all
also
stuff
good.
Together. And it's also very good.
It's the best game where you can play a 3DS on a 3DS.
Yes.
Yes, definitely. I hope that this is. They need to make a Switch game. They
Yeah,
need
that's
to-
what-
Yeah,
that's what I'm
I
saying.
was like
Yeah.
both.
like I wish they had announced a Switch game along with
Yes.
this.
I was both very happy to get to break out my 3DS again. Like you
Yeah.
said, it felt great on the 3DS.
Yeah.
The 3DS really used all the systems so well. But also at the same time, I was like, but that's Switch.
It's time. It's overdue.
I do like one of the new feelings it did give you were the modes where it didn't tell you if it was going to switch between like the stylus or the
Yeah.
twist, and so it's just like every time it's like I don't know if I'm
I
going to
gotta
press
keep
an
a
A
stylus
or
in my
doing a
hand and
thing,
hope
or-
for the best. And
Yeah.
Actually, with all the weird input shit in this, I wonder if it's hard for them to make a Switch version. Because like, how are you going to play it on a TV when there's
it's a different
tilt?
game.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
they would have to make
Yeah.
a different game.
Yeah.
But
And the Joy-Cons have the tilt in them, so you could
Oh,
still
yeah.
and there's
very
like the
much do
two
tilt.
screens,
The
which
smooth
are
move
important
stuff.
for stuff.
Yeah,
There's a way
which
to
was
do it.
not-
Yeah,
It's the worst.
There's a
one.
path forward.
They've made TV WarioWare.
Yeah, but
The
that's
GameCube
not.
one.
But they're not a. Mega Micro games and smooth moves are like WarioWare at its weakest in
Yeah.
a lot of ways. So yeah,
Moves is okay.
Yeah.
no, I'm not saying it's bad, but like
There's
it's
no
just- it's
actually
not the-
bad
yeah.
WarioWare game.
Yeah.
Well,
But WarioWare Gold is great. I don't think I would put it into any category.
No.
but it's
No.
But I was happy to
I'm
play
happy
it.
they put it out.
I'm very glad it exists, and I have just the WarioWare I can go to if I just want to go play
there
some
was
WarioWare.
there was a good chunk of time there where I was like, for the first half of this year, I had a 3DS with me for a variety of reasons and not a Switch.
Yeah.
I was just like, all right, I'm going on a trip. I should get my. Actually, I'm gonna grab my fucking 3DS.
I need to
God
find my
damn it.
3DS so I can play this.
Hell of a game. Hell of a game.
Yeah.
You know what else is a hell of a game?
Yeah.
Diablo. Wait.
Say it, Brad.
Diablo 3 for Switch.
No.
That is
It's a hell of a port.
Yes.
Yes.
Dead Cells.
Yeah.
My favorite Papa Roach song.
It's up there.
I've been telling you guys for over a year.
You have.
That's true.
It was great.
It wasn't ready.
Access.
It wasn't
Yes,
ready
it
for
was.
us. No.
Jason,
It was ready back then.
It was
look
good
back
back
and
then.
if
You're
I had-
right.
But if I
It
had
was
played it in that
fantastic back
state,
then.
I would have liked it less.
So it's a real shame we can't nominate it for anything this year.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So let's, so long. You and WarioWare.
Yeah, this when it first hit early access, it was
Yeah,
like
it was
a really
super
strong
strong,
thing,
yes.
but like it only got better
Yep.
and better and better and better.
Yeah, there were lots of different iterations, and they were all very substantial, and they all remained, very good. To
I'm glad
the
I-
game feels so good.
Yeah, I'm glad that I like deliberately stopped playing it. Like when it was early access, and I was like, I'm playing a lot of this. And I'm like, you know what? This is a good update.
I actually
Also,
thought
I'm
that it
gonna
was
stop.
like, oh shit,
Yeah.
this changes, so much that
Yeah.
you're like, I'm almost kind of playing a new game.
Well, I mean, for
I
what
got
it's
lots
worth,
of new games.
For what it's worth, they are super still doing that.
Yeah.
They're about to overhaul practically the entire game.
No kidding,
Oh
really?
yeah.
Oh,
they-
And
yeah.
ruin it.
It's
No,
a
I don't know.
huge patch.
Like they're,
Oh, like
they're
what
calling
kind
it
of
it's like a
stuff?
1.5 update or
Everything.
something.
They're
Like
adding a
really-
custom game function where you can kind of relock weapons and kind of customize
They're
your
changing
runs
how
and stuff.
enemies
Well, that's a
scale. They're
separate-
changing
yeah,
like
it's-
how cooldowns work.
Are they going to
Yeah,
reset
it's a bunch
progress?
of core. I'd probably not.
No.
But it's a bunch of core changes to the fundamentals of the game that are kind of shocking.
Yeah,
in a
that's
way.
a weird one, and it's not in like a new game plus.
Like,
it is in
didn't-
the.
They sound
Didn't-
like good changes.
Aren't they making it so you can't like stack cooldown reduction?
They're getting rid of the
Something like
cooldown
that,
reduction
yes.
talents.
Or that's what it is. Yeah, like you can't.
They're moving the timed doors to the in-between rooms
Like, that's a
instead of
big
having
deal.
to hunt them down
But
like in the levels.
changes to the builds.
Yeah.
The changes to the builds sound almost like it's going to disallow certain playstyles that
Yeah,
existed
'cause, like,
previously.
I loved making like specking for like, okay, I love traps, so
Yeah.
I'm going to do all the cooldown stuff, so I'm just constantly throwing traps down.
And it sounds like you maybe can't do that anymore.
Well, some of that stuff was they're dealing with cooldown reduction in a different way now.
Yes.
Or that's
So
maybe that's
it's-
what it is.
it's-
Yeah.
Like they're
I think
getting rid of the
it's-
talents,
it's-
but
it's-
then they're changing other ways that cooldown reduction works. Anyways, that stuff's not even live yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is I guess for folks who don't know, Dead Cells is a run-based action game,
Roguelite.
roguelite, where you the runs can get pretty long.
by the end,
reasonably-
they're like an hour,
Yeah, I
maybe.
think you can finish the game
40
in like an hour.
to an hour.
Yeah.
or less.
But it's super tight controls.
Yeah.
I think great action and decent exploration. I find for like fun exploration.
It is. I think it's a modern Castlevania game. Like I think it is.
Yeah,
It
I
is.
can see
It
that.
is a contemporary take
I
on
can see that,
on
yeah.
a level-based 2D Gothic action game with
Yeah.
Without the
meat-
strength of characters.
with
I
meat
think.
with
Yeah.
but with
in
meat
in the symphony style.
with meat hiding in the wall, basically. Like it's that.
I got really hooked because, like, I always bring up Rogue Legacy as the example of one of these games that, I can get really hooked on a good one of these. And Rogue Legacy wasn't even like a really good controlling one. I just like feeling like I am constantly making progress towards something. Oh, now I can finally take that boss down. And this had all the stuff that really hooked me. I played through Rogue Legacy like 3 times, and this had all of that. Plus, it feels fucking good to play.
The fact that you can cancel like any animation with any other animation just makes it feel like it's never the game's fault when I die. I mean, there's
Maybe it can be,
occasional
but-
little moments, but
Well,
I would
if
say
you're playing on the Switch, then yeah.
Yeah,
I would say
that's
the
how I was
majority
playing.
of the time I was like, nope, yeah, I was a dumbass.
That was
Yeah.
me.
It doesn't make it not devastating.
No.
It's like, I think this might be the one. I've got all the shit the way I like it,
Like
and then you die.
to me, this was my favorite game this year that I suck complete ass at. Like I am not good at Dead Cells. I feel like I hit my ceiling with this game pretty early on, but that has not stopped me from continuing to go back repeatedly and keep playing and keep banging my head against it until I figure out why I'm so bad at it.
Yeah, I think for me, I really liked a lot about it, but I think I felt like I would spend so much time in the runs just to not really make any progress. I don't
can
know.
happen.
Maybe that's
It
just
is
me.
possible.
but
That is
like,
possible.
Yeah, if you don't find any blueprints or anything.
yeah, and I
totally.
felt like that
could
was
feel like wasted
that
time,
happened a
but-
lot of times.
I think
for
the
me.
economy can be pretty tough in the beginning.
Right.
It
Yeah.
takes a lot of orbs to start. Like the early economy, I think is good. The mid game economy feels like you're dumping
a bit of a stretch.
Right.
a ton of orbs.
Yeah.
I will say, I mean, maybe this is more my fault, but it is possible to make that game boring if you don't buy weapons quickly enough. Like I was dumping all my
into the health
what
upgrades.
are they?
and
Cells,
stuff.
cells,
sure,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was buying like all the expensive health
Oh,
upgrades
man.
and stuff like that. And then
I did that too.
at a
Maybe
certain-
that's
at a-
what I'm doing.
At a certain point, I realized, like, you know what? I've been using the same 3 weapons for like 10 hours.
Man,
This
you gotta
kind of
shake that
sucks.
up.
Yeah, and I started buying a bunch of weapons, and I was like, all right, now I'm getting different stuff every time.
Yeah,
I
you
even
seeing
love
how,
those
like,
starting
item-
weapons.
I mean, they're
Yeah.
fine.
The
but
first time I
they-
beat the game was with Balanced Blade. Just like
is great.
And once you find a weapon that really speaks to you, like my favorite thing was that bow. I forgot what it was called, but it would like target them. So if you hit them, it does the red target on them. And then
Hochuko's bow.
and then it blows up, and like everything around them becomes super duper weak to everything.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if I got that early on in the run, it was always like, all right, I got to take this one seriously. I love this thing.
Yeah,
and
it
that's the
caters
beauty of the
to a
game.
lot of
I
different
never use
styles.
that fucking item.
Oh, really?
I hate that
Oh,
item.
wow.
And like the fact that we can both love this game.
I liked
and-
the freeze, the ice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like I
The
played.
Hadouken,
I like the back
Sub-Zero one.
Sub-Zero shit.
But the backstab daggers was
Oh,
easily
yeah.
my favorite. Like
Oh,
doing
God.
like you do massive bonus
don't know
damage
if I
by
got
rolling
those. I like
what
behind
they
and
do.
hitting in
Yeah,
the back.
those are very good.
The
you know what?
infantry
And the crit
bro.
hit.
Partially because the sound it makes when you get a backstab
Yeah.
is so fucking.
And,
whip
and you
is
know
very
what?
good.
I'm going to say
What's that?
it's got a better Spartan kick than the game that had literal Spartans in it this year.
They just splatter against the wall. And
Yeah.
you go, oh.
I think it's smart the way they do the progression stuff, where it's like, okay, you have to get this vine rune or whatever, or the stomp.
And it leads to like, hey, there are hidden areas and stuff. Like, oh, you're gonna
Yeah.
find these traversal mechanics. Like, there's cool shit.
And
throughout,
weird
yeah.
little things that you can see, but you don't quite understand how to
Yeah.
get to. For like in that first area where there's the 3 locked things you need to get up and get that one bow or whatever. It's like, man, where do I find these like flower keys or whatever I need?
Yeah.
And the time door stuff is an interesting kind
Yeah.
of risk reward where you're like, oh, I can make it to the time door. I don't have to deal with the farming cells in the first level. If I make it to the time door, I'll probably get an equivalent amount of cells.
It feels so good when like you can get to a place that used to be so difficult, like the clock tower or whatever. And if you have the right build and everything, where it's like, oh my god, I used to struggle against any one of these guys, and now I'm just decimating them on my way up.
It's definitely a game like you don't even necessarily feel yourself getting better at it. You just notice yourself. It's like,
totally.
I fucking had awful trouble with that boss right up until now, and then I just destroyed him.
Yeah,
I wish I got to that. I don't know what I was missing because I never felt like I got better. I never felt like I got the upgrades to get better. I felt like I was just sort of grinding out the same thing again and again.
For me, like with the bosses, it was just a lot of it was just learning their attack patterns.
Yeah.
And just getting better at that stuff. But
Like I remember the first time I fought against that. Who's the keeper, the gatekeeper, the innkeeper,
the bridge
guy?
boss?
the first boss.
Yeah.
And it was just seemed impossible. And then I got to a point where I could beat him without getting hit.
Sure.
Like it was It was an incredible feeling to see that progression.
It's neat. It's actually one of the things in the upgrade I didn't like was the goofy narrative stuff they added in with his like shrugging and thumbs up stuff.
Yeah, it was a little
interesting. I kind of like some of
I
that.
don't mind
like
it.
I think that stuff looks cute.
Yeah, I like
in a
the
game that is decidedly uncute.
Yeah.
But
I
then
think it
again,
works.
the first time he says YOLO, it's like,
I really.
no.
Oh, I didn't see that. I didn't see that.
They could have gone too far. I mean, it's not like
may
he's
have taken
Earthworm
it out, I
Jim.
don't
You
know.
know, it's.
I think
not constant.
there's kind of a nice amount of tood out of this fucking bag of germs and
I
slime that
think
you're
that's the
playing
part where I
as.
was just like, because playing in early access before that stuff, it seemed kind of grim and like this almost Dark Souls like world, and then adding in all the thumbs up. and the
I think it's a
shrugging.
weird mix.
to correct,
He
he didn't say it was an enemy that sounded.
Okay.
I really need to
That's clear.
step back on that. And
But
say,
even still, it was weird. It's like it took me out a bit. It's not a major criticism.
The
but
world is grim. The character is just making the best
a
of
little
it.
silly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a neat thing.
I think
with
it's
a good balance.
Yeah, and a
Yes.
good variety between the stages where it's like, oh, here's the one where you have to bring light from lantern to lantern to, here's the toxic sewer stuff.
Yes.
Some asshole enemies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Wizards and-
that last level before the last boss, which I still have not beaten.
Like King's Court or whatever with like there's some rough
Oh,
ones
dude,
there.
the fucking. Anyone else get to the golems? If you go down that other path,
Yeah.
those guys are the fucking worst because they'll warp you back to them and force you to fight them.
Yeah. There's so many just oh shit moments where it's like you super don't want to die. All you want to do is cash in your thing. And like things
the
are just
worst.
chasing you and you're just trying to sprint and roll through the whole level.
but then when you
tense.
make it,
It's awesome. It's definitely one of my favorites of the year.
I think it's got a good art style. It looks really nice, but it is like a pure mechanics game. Like,
Yes.
that game works because it plays so well.
Yeah.
I would put it in best style, maybe. I think the whole vibes of that game is worth it. Like, I
Some
wouldn't
of
call
the-
it a best looking, but I would call it a best style.
some of the best sprite work I've seen in a while. And it's actually 3D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how well this translates to everyone else who didn't beat the game, but like for me personally, my best gaming moment of the year was the first time I beat that game. Like nothing else measured.
I've
nothing
heard
else
that
came
from
close.
everyone who has played it.
It
and
was
done that.
great. It's like a jump off the couch. Like, fuck yeah, I did it. Yeah.
Nice.
I think that's worth including. I think the music is really good. I don't know if people are necessarily hot for best music,
Played
but I think
it
it
on
is
mute
really
most of the
good.
time.
I think it is good. I think it belongs in best game,
Best debut.
Oh, yeah,
too.
and
Best
best
game,
debut.
best moment, best.
best style.
Or what about ongoing? It sounds like they're doing a huge update.
We haven't seen it yet.
That's true. Yeah, I
like
guess we
it's
can't
in an
go
alpha
yet.
branch
Right.
on the PC version. I think you can get in and look if you want.
I mean,
but,
I would only say ongoing just because since early access to now, it has been playable in
and it was good when it
was
started
good.
in early access.
But
It was my game of the year last year.
Yeah.
And it's been.
I could see the
that's
argument
strong
for
sense.
it.
I guess I don't know that that's really
But-
what that category is.
yeah.
Right.
All right.
Offline games that get updates is not really what we're talking about there.
Right.
Yeah, fair enough.
So we've got it in several categories here.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's quite a game. It rules.
Yes.
It's a video game.
It does. It does.
It's a
rule.
fucking video game.
It does rule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Overcooked 2.
Doesn't quite rule.
Overcooked 2 is the best, more overcooked.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's more better.
There's a
Overcooked.
mini game in, and it's called Dine and Dash mini game in Mario Party, and it's another new
Oh,
Overcooked. So there is some
honestly, that one
competition there.
fucking stinks.
That one-
That's my least
There's just
favorite.
three.
But being able to throw stuff in Overcooked 2 is fun.
it's a game changer.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've really changed the whole dynamic. Overcooked 2 is the more overcooked I wanted.
Yeah. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's
Did the
it's
first
fun.
one have that overworld where everyone could control the car?
Yes.
I think so,
It did.
yeah.
I know this
Yes.
because so my girlfriend and I played through a good chunk of Overcooked 2, and we got further into that one than we did with the first game. She got frustrated with that one like way sooner, and frankly, I kind of did too.
Yeah.
This one we got further in, and then after that, she's like, well, now that we played a bunch of this, we should go back and check out Overcooked 1. And we did end up getting further, and we kind of had a better feel for it this time around. But yes, you can totally still control the car in that
good.
one.
Yeah.
I was disappointed with the Switch version. There's some like really bad load times and performance stuff.
Yeah.
It's
I
kind of
never
weird.
had
Yeah.
an issue, but
It was noticeable.
It doesn't
rough,
perform
I
as
thought.
well as the other versions.
No, and again, like the load times for what it is, especially a game where you want to be able to like restart quick because these are short little bursts of levels. I was kind of bummed by that.
But it is more Overcooked. It is solid in that regard.
Yes.
That is what I would say about
It
it.
just ain't my game, man. I
I
respect Overcooked 1 and 2, but I don't enjoy playing it.
I don't think I would put it in anything.
I love it,
really.
but I don't think only best debut because it is real a knockout for Overcooked 2.
Yeah, and I wouldn't call it even like disappointing necessarily. It was just sort of like, this is kind of what I expected.
No,
It's good.
If anything, it's almost too similar to Overcooked, but I really enjoy Overcooked.
Yeah, I was not done playing Overcooked when I finished Overcooked.
Right.
So
There wasn't a long amount of time between those two.
No.
2 years.
Yeah. Is it the
Was
best?
it really?
Yeah, it was 2016, I believe, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Okay. Sure.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But but I will say, in some world, you could have called this like an expansion
Totally.
to
Yeah.
Overcooked 1, like on fire or
Now
something.
you can throw.
Yeah, exactly. Food fight, right?
Is it the best Overcooked 2 of the year?
I think it is.
It's debatable, but
Are there any
Except the
other-
Switch version.
I've heard about this Mario
The
Party.
Mario Party
minigame.
minigame
Yeah.
is pretty not good. No,
Yeah,
it's,
right.
it's one of the
weird.
weaker ones in it.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Oh,
great
wait,
Mario
are
Party.
you telling me that there's a bad Mario Party minigame?
There are some. There
It's
are
never
some.
happened.
Slapperazzi is great.
Oh my
Yeah,
god, the
that
best.
one's
I
fun.
love it.
That's
All right,
an
well,
excellent
Me
one.
cube cooking one is
Yeah,
pretty
that
good.
one's awesome, man. I got all
Oh
6
yeah.
sides. Yeah,
That's a fun one.
we'll get to it.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
So the 48 other ones just suck.
Moving
It's
on.
the stages that suck.
Oh.
Speaking of things that suck,
Oh, come on.
What?
What?
Oh.
Oh,
Is
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
technically
Yeah.
Happy
At least
Few
I
that
skipped
they're
one
long
other
gone?
thing.
disagree with me on this
You can
one.
at least
No,
say
you're-
the name
I-
of the game. I didn't play it. I'm just saying, let's at least say the name of the
We
game
happy
first.
few.
We Happy Few.
This had promise. I played this game prior to its release. Well, I mean,
Like, which
obviously,
version of it?
this version of it, I guess. At an event just prior to E3, and I was like, oh, okay, they made it way less survival and like way more like Bioshocky in some ways. I left that demo feeling like this has something to it. This might be okay, which is more than I would have said about their like game preview Xbox version. That was just like, all right, well, this is not like the trailer you put out, man. F this.
The trailer looked
but then
super strong.
Yeah, but then when people got their hands on the full version of this, it was very quickly like, oh, this is not at all something you should be spending your time with.
I feel like this is the definition of a most disappointing, where it's like, oh, this new thing works. We didn't know this existed. What a cool,
It's
fun
weird
thing.
because it's like it's like the road this took to release
Yeah.
is so winding
Yeah.
that it's like
Yeah.
expectations
There were
are
road
strange.
signs.
But if you went from how we felt when we saw that trailer to how we
Yeah.
felt when we played the game, I mean, disappointment is absolutely like, oh,
But,
this
like,
isn't what I wanted
Well,
at
that's
all.
the thing, though. Is if you so expectations got ruined before this version of the
It's
game
true.
was out.
Yeah.
So the trailer came out, the early access version, the game preview version came out on Xbox.
Yeah.
That sucked. It was not at all like the trailer. So then they spent a lot of time retooling the entire game to be something different than they were making, to try to make it more like what people thought it should be. And then it came out as a final product as a completely different thing with a story and all this other stuff. And then that was disappointing.
Wait, so that's two waves of disappointment.
That's
The
weird,
one like,
yeah.
oh, this isn't what I thought it was, and then it's, oh, they tried to do it, but it's also bad.
Is the survival stuff not in there anymore?
way less.
some-
It's way less.
Reduced.
All the
is
like
there not-
inventory stuff and crafting stuff and everything, the UI is just like it's not unusable. It's just clunky and
Like, did they not like silo that off in some other mode?
No, it's
Yeah.
all there's no modes to it. It's
Weird.
you
The
play
problem,
the game and
the problem was their survival game was bad. Like it started out bad and it never got better. And even if you take away the notion of like what people perceived that game was going to be from that trailer, they did not make a good survival game to begin with.
right.
I kind of assumed this was like something they made to feed into that. Like you'll play through this 4 or 6 hour story thing and then you get to the survival part, but this is it?
I believe the
This is all
feedback
that-
they were given
This is all
was
that there is?
this is not good.
really bad like stealth sections
And then
stuff
so like
that.
Yeah, like,
I
what
have
is
to look
bad
at this.
about it?
I have to look at this and go like, well, it's better than that thing they put out initially, even if it's still like a disappointing.
I guess.
I don't know. So
thing.
few people like saw and played that. Like that went completely under my radar.
Sure.
I watched the first trailer and then kind of tuned out, heard people talking shit about it, but
Yeah.
didn't.
The once you do get into combat, because there is a lot of stealth type stuff, but like the hand-to-hand melee stuff is really
You're
bad.
like fighting people with an umbrella, right?
It's just
Yeah,
it
there's
wants to have
among other
a
things,
block and
keep on the
counterattack
weapons
thing.
and
It
stuff,
just
or
feels
just like the weapons will break, right?
uh,
I'm trying to
I
remember.
don't know.
Yeah.
Didn't you also have stuff, Dan? I vaguely remember you like getting like a black screen to climb
Yes.
a ladder and then not to like fall off of it or something.
There's a lot of weird stuff like that. Like you go up, you'll find like a sleeping guard in this one like gated area.
Yeah.
And I would walk up. At first, I was like trying to sneak past him because I figured it was a stealth thing. The guard's asleep, and just because the game was so kind of weird and thrown together feeling, I was like, I wonder if I could even wake this guy up. And I got up and I was throwing glass bottles in his face. The model didn't move at all until I like went to go reach for the gate, and then like it was the scripted like, hey, you can't go there. And so and the ladder thing Abby's referring to is just one of those weird things where like there's a guard post or a watchtower or something, and as I climb up, it had the hands doing this, and you would see they animated that, and then if I just wanted to go down, it just fades to black and then comes back, and I'm just standing on the first floor.
Like they
what?
didn't want to animate a slide down the ladder animation.
So there's like we'll fade when you go down, but we'll show your hands when you go. It just feels really weird and tossed together. It doesn't feel finished,
I was about to say like this is not to defend the game at all, but that stuff doesn't surprise me in the least, knowing that they had to change course midstream and turn this into some other kind of game. Like it,
I'm sure
it
that
very
was
much
brutal in some ways.
It very much sounds like a game they just didn't have time to implement all that stuff.
No, it's kind
around
of
the
mess.
edges.
And that's true, but the problem also, again, is that they pitched something very different than what they were initially trying to design.
I'm not in any way saying like people should get over it if they bought it and didn't like it. I'm just saying it's not surprising at all.
It's like
that's like the thing is I don't and by that token I don't know that I would say it's like a most disappointing contender. I just think it's like this thing came out and was not a good game.
I guess we never had the point where we saw evidence that we could get our hopes up too high. We saw a trailer that was well put together.
And I played a preview build that I was like, okay, like they're doing something here. Maybe this will turn out, and that's the best. But that's also the strongest thing I would have said about it is like, this is it's got a better shot than I would have thought.
I'd still say it's
I think it's
belongs
a contender.
in the category.
Sure.
I think.
Okay.
Maybe it
let's
won't
throw
make
it
top
in.
3,
Let's
but I
throw
think
it
it's a
in.
contender.
Yeah.
You want to award it with that nomination at
Yes.
least.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, we can put it in there. I think we just had the conversation that we're going to have about it.
Yeah.
But,
It's bad, man.
I'll put it on
You
that
did
list.
not like it.
It's rotten.
No, it's a bad game.
You were angry.
Yes. And I didn't even have my hopes that high up, but it's just playing it made me mad.
It's just been so long. Like that first E3 reveal was
3 years ago.
Was it
2015?
15? Really?
Or 16, maybe
Jeez, wow.
16.
But I
Probably
remember
16.
I remember doing the Unfinished with you. I think it was like 2-3 months after
It was
that.
back when I was here.
Like
so
we barely had time to even remember what that game was, and then it hit early access. And we were
Yeah.
like, oh,
yeah.
this is not at all what it looks like you just
Yeah.
announced.
Yep.
So yeah. Okay. Donut County.
Yay!
What a pleasant thing.
Good holes.
This game it's funny.
Best music.
It's fun. It's funny.
It does have good music.
Like it's such a easy, light experience. I feel like I got in, played it,
Yep.
had a hell of a time, got out, great,
Yep.
done.
Same.
In a-
One
not-
sitting, just straight through.
Yeah.
Really?
Fantastic.
Bought it on
Yeah.
iOS to get the stickers.
Yep. Yeah, I was totally fine buying it twice, just
Yeah.
so I could have that stupid sticker pack.
I sort of feel bad that I haven't finished it yet.
I haven't either. I played like
Really?
what is it, like 2 hours long? I played like an hour and a half or
Yeah.
something. And
Yeah, like 2.5.
I like the gameplay. The whole tone and the writing and the humor.
I don't even mind that stuff.
I
No.
love
Yeah.
that
It's
stuff. I just
hilarious.
find
No,
Internet-
that matches. You didn't like Spider-Man: Homecoming. You're not gonna like this.
It's very internet humor. Like I
That's
just
not
don't like
that's
the way.
not the word for it, but I see why you would say that.
You see what I mean? How would you describe it?
No, I see why you would say that.
How would you describe it?
He's BK. Dan is.
Dan doesn't understand how the kids speak.
Yeah.
I don't mind it, but I get where you're coming from.
It's like somebody who tweets and refuses to use capital letters. It's like just talk like an actual character.
I'm right
Don't-
here, Dan.
I-
I'm right
Yeah,
fucking
no,
here. You want to
you're
look me in the eye when you
subtweeting
say
us.
that?
You're
Look me in
subtweeting
the
us.
eye when you sink the knife into my chest.
I know that you know how to write. You can capitalize letters when you're writing sentences.
I don't
Yeah,
mean to. I don't feel like it.
That stuff also drives me bananas most
Yeah.
of the time, but I think this pulls it off. This made me laugh. It was funny. I thought the raccoon BK is a funny heel throughout. all
He's a
of
good
this.
weirdo.
Yeah.
That's a good character.
And I thought all the like descriptions of all the items was so funny.
yeah.
I read
That's pretty
every
funny.
line that was
Yeah.
written for this.
Like, this is not
those are kind of hit and miss.
I loved them.
I'm of the mind that like I don't think this is a best story contender. If we had a best like volume of writing in that game, like again, those item descriptions I think are by far the best part of it.
I feel like that some of those were really kind of self-satisfied. Like they were really excited about how clever they were.
It's a smug
But
game.
that's the thing, though. I was very excited about how clever they were,
Yeah.
too.
But some of them don't deserve it. Some of them are very good. Some of them not so much.
There's a lot of them, and I think the number
yes.
of hits is way more than misses.
It's just a dumb game.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I like that. Like the
it
idea,
celebrates
like
that.
what you're doing is so stupid.
Just watching these stiff character models fall into the hole.
The whole stuff is the best stuff
It's
in
like
the game.
a Katamari-esque
sure.
level
Yes.
of like this is like the dogs with the legs wiggling. Kind of
But then
Katamari
here at the
stuff.
playground, just go fuck it up and you'll see some dumb shit.
Yeah, and the little bits of writing of just like, he's like, we're gonna deliver him a donut.
Right, so it is Katamari with somebody else being like, that's fucked up, man. You're just rolling everybody up into a ball and just gonna. So like I like that there are some characters that are playing the straight man in it, being like, you can't do that. You can't put everything in a hole. And the whole idea of the raccoon city or the raccoons taking over, and they just love trash, and the whole laboratory thing at the end. I thought it was adorable, fun. Yeah. My kids love it. It is a ageless appeal.
Yeah, my girlfriend played through it like in one afternoon when I was at work. I just came home. She's like, "Oh, I finished Don't County." I was like, "What? You don't play games? Where did that come from?"
I thought the boss fight stuff was maybe the weakest part, but
there isn't a lot of it. Honestly,
but also when you lose the boss fight, that's a great moment.
It's probably one of my favorite parts of that game.
I like that they very quickly move beyond just the whole thing. Like they very quickly start adding
suddenly you're
extras
launching
and
things
puzzles.
out of the hole.
Yeah,
It
like
changes
there's the one with the smoke coming out of the hole. Like they add puzzle mechanics to it.
If I do have a complaint about the game, I wish it got a little more puzzly.
Yeah, me
definitely.
too. I was hoping for a little more challenge.
Yeah.
Like once I realized, like, oh, okay, this is gonna be
It's
just
a
kind
fun
of
experience.
I don't know
Yeah,
if
fun
I would want it.
experience.
I kind of like that it's not
the bite-sized nature of it
very
is
difficult to get
enjoyable.
through. Like,
Saying
you just
I
kind
would
of do the thing.
Yeah, I would play like a Donut County Champion Edition where
I mean,
they're like,
sure.
we made this but hard now.
And also
Yeah.
M. Bison is
I
there.
feel like
You can catch those
you can
snakes.
play as M. Bison.
That would be
yeah.
a different game though.
Yeah,
Totally,
I
totally.
think there's the one where you have to launch the chicken up and open the barn door. That is probably the most complicated puzzle in the game.
Oh, I liked it though.
Yeah,
I like
it's
the
fine.
whole last level when it all comes together there, and you're kind of a little bit before the boss fight when you're going through these rooms that are like, oh, now you're like combining all these puzzles from before. And, like there's just a lot of really fun shit.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
And again, this is the music in this game is tremendous.
It's really good. The song that
100%.
plays at the end of the level.
When you like
when
the
you're
whole
falling into the
soundtrack, I
hole.
think is great. But and I listen to it all the time.
I would float it for music. I would float it for style. I
Put it
would
on debut.
debut, and I think it's a best game contender.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
definitely put it on all of them.
And I do really enjoy the story, especially like through the lens of after I finished it, I was reading some articles that kind of were posing tough questions about it, like, is this a game about I can't remember the
Gentrification?
gentrification.
Yeah,
and just like
yes,
and,
totally.
and like that kind of puts a new lens on the game. I played it through a second time with that in mind, and it was really cool
Like
seeing that.
I don't think it's wicked deep or anything,
No.
but like it nails the thing that it's going for.
Totally.
Yeah. That freeway level. There's just there's a lot of great stuff.
There's a lot of charm in
Yeah,
there.
I like that game
very
a lot.
charming. I love it.
All right then.
Okay. Next. 2 Yakuza games in 1 year.
I know.
Whoa, that's
What?
like 500 hours of gameplay.
It really
In
is.
double 4 Yakuza.
This is an embarrassment of riches.
It really is. So I did not love Yakuza Kiwami 1, and I think some of that is that the story in 1...
Explain to me again what the fuck Yakuza Kiwami
Okay,
is.
so Kiwami and Kiwami 2 are both remakes of the first 2 games.
Okay, I
and
don't know
they're
how many times I've had to ask that question.
The first one is using the Zero engine.
Okay.
2 is using the Yakuza 6 engine.
You with us?
I've had all of this spelled out for me before,
Yeah.
and I will promptly forget it.
And I will say these are not just HD updates. They have added
Okay.
stuff to these games. They have
Okay.
kind of reworked certain sections of them.
I think it's the existence of Zero that makes it confusing.
Yes.
Because Zero was made after 1 and 2, right? Like it's.
Oh, yeah. Like
Zero was made between
Zero's
5 and
made.
6.
Like it's a recent thing.
It was made after 1 and 2, but came out before Kiwami 1 and 2.
The other confusing thing is that a lot of these started out as PS3 games and then became PS4 games. Like
Yes.
it's just a fucking mess.
It's a wild thing, and I think they have done, with a complicated lineage, they have done a pretty good job of trying to keep all that stuff together. Again, I did not love 1 because I think the story in that one is kind of weaker. I was less involved in the stuff that was going on in it. But 2 is a really good, weird Yakuza story. It goes in some directions pretty early on. The content they have added to this one is pretty strong. They added the clan battle stuff from Yakuza 6. There's a different roster of wrestlers playing gangsters in this game, but they're all old wrestlers. So they are just a lot of very leathery, old, muscly Japanese men that you are fighting. And that instead of reverse tower defense, it's just actual tower defense. They added the cabaret club stuff from Zero into this. So you, as Kiryu, you can manage a cabaret club in this game and it has that whole system in it. And it's just like a really good redo of Yakuza 2. I mean, great. The PS2 ones are ones I've not played the originals of, but I was invested in this story pretty much from the beginning, and I was way into it. And I don't know. They put in a lot of work on these remakes, and I think that this is the one that I hooked into much more than the first.
So it doesn't
Kiwami.
feel like a throwback. It doesn't necessarily feel like an old game.
No, I mean there are aspects of it, like not all of the side stories are voice acted, which they are in 6.
Yeah.
The original game's PS2. Right?
The for 1 and 2 are both PS2 games,
right?
But it's in a new engine.
Right,
Right. So the
With
combat is...
right, but I mean the game this is based on is a PS2 game.
Yeah, and so it's using the 6's combat system,
Okay, good.
and
That's what I was going to ask.
yeah, it feels like they put in considerable design work to make it work within that engine, as opposed to just kind of slapping some HD graphics on the existing game.
Cool.
And yeah, I mean, I think I would hold 6 up above this just because it is an original production versus a redo of an existing thing, but this is a really strong redo of an existing Yakuza game, and I had a ton of fun playing through this one.
If I really want to play more Yakuza, should I play this before 6, or should I just dive right into 6?
I mean, if you want to, I don't see why not. Like if you're interested in doing it in a more linear order, not necessarily playing every single game, but checking out some of the stuff that happened before. Like some of the biggest events of the Yakuza series happen in this game.
Okay, cool.
And I believe you do fight a tiger at one point.
Great.
So
I'm in.
Just like Double Team.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Again, I think it could be a contender for style, but if we're going to cannibalize one over the other, I would probably put 6 in there over that one. But there are some great stylistic choices. There are some really good, weird moments in this game. There is a point where you just walk into a room full of men dressed as adult babies. There's some great moments in this one too. I would actually nominate it for best moment or sequence, even if it's not necessarily all new stuff. I think that the delivery of some of this stuff is pretty fantastic.
Cool.
Okay. We're going to have to go through and add actual moments or sequences.
Oh yeah,
to a lot
that's
of
going to
these
be an
later.
after the fact thing, but yeah.
Okay. What's up with the messenger?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Deliver the message.
The Messenger was a game that it really had some high highs and some low lows for me.
Starts so strong.
Yeah,
Starts really
that first
strong.
half
Yeah.
is a great Ninja Gaiden game.
And I even so basically, okay, we're gonna get to speak very openly here
Spoiler!
about the Messenger. It's,
But I mean, like they talked about it before it came out. Right?
Yeah, it was all over the place.
Stupid, so fucking stupid. It's kind of starts out as a Ninja Gaiden game. You're like a ninja, and you hear tell of the story of it's like what, the Westerner or the man from the West
hero
or
from the
something.
West
The hero
or
from the
something.
West or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. He's gonna fly in.
And sure enough, the demons show up, destroy your whole village, and the dude comes in time, says, "Okay, I need you to bring this scroll to the top of the highest mountain. Go do it." And so the first 6 hours of the game are just straight up Ninja Gaiden. You get some cool upgrades. You get like a grappling hook. You get a little hover what's it, like
Float
the cape?
type thing.
The one where you can walk across.
No, the cape that stops you from falling.
the flying squirrel thing. Yeah.
But the coolest thing about the game is the wind strike,
Cloud step.
aspect of it, where if you jump and then hit something after your jump, you get your jump back.
Yeah, you get like a double jump.
And that includes enemies, enemy projectiles. There's little kind of Castlevania style torches that'll drop currency. So you kind of, once you start getting control of the game, it really fucking flows. Like you are just breezing through these levels and not touching the ground. Yeah. And it's an incredible feeling.
Some excellent boss fights, some great just straight up platforming segments. It's I think it plays better than most of those NES Ninja Gaidens, and I love those games.
Totally. And then once you get to the top of the mountain, you go through what I consider a really amazing moment where you kind of go through this weird time crystal palace, and it spits you out into a 16-bit looking game with 60. So it goes from 8-bit music to 16-bit Genesis music, and it opens up at a point and becomes more of a Castlevania-esque Metroidvania thing where all these worlds that you have gone through are interconnected. And I think I actually, during the quick look, I made note of, I noticed every one of these screens that I'm going down seems like I can go back up. But you're not able to, and there's no reason really to go back up.
Right.
But you kind of realize everything is connected. And there is a hub world that you can use to fast travel around, but it suddenly becomes a way different game of okay, now there's 8 musical notes hidden throughout this world. You need to go get them all and bring them back here, and we can, have the final boss battle or whatever.
And you can pay for hints as far as like, hey, point me in the right direction so I know which area to go to.
It's funny. I love the system because it's like the dude who's like the lore keeper gives you this really obtuse, unhelpful hint, and then you can just go to the other shopkeeper and pay him to tell you what the other guy means. It's just like, I don't understand what this guy's talking about. Can you tell me? And he's like, yeah, if you give me $200.
And he just puts it on your map, like, go here, idiot.
Yeah.
You know? I really like the death penalty thing here because it's not a Ninja Gaiden thing where it's a finite amount of lives or anything like that. It's you're getting these crystals that you can use to buy upgrades, which you buy pretty much all of them pretty early on. Like, by the time you get to the Metroidvania stuff, you've got pretty much all the upgrades. But instead of a life system, you hit checkpoints, and then some of them are pretty spaced out, and it can get pretty hard. So you'll die a pretty good amount in this game. But what happens is this little goblin devil thing shows up and flies around when you die, and he's like, I'm going to eat all the money you get until I'm happy and fly away.
Right.
And so it's just a certain amount, and then
Like
he's
go
gone.
into debt.
Yeah, so you never feel like you're not losing from your pool of money, and you're also not like at risk of like, oh, start the level over or whatever.
And there's a lot of
He flies away when a boss comes.
I was gonna say,
yeah.
there's a lot of good details. He like freaks out when bosses come and flies away, and I really like a lot of the writing in this game.
I love the shopkeeper.
The shopkeeper, honestly,
So
is
good.
is really
All
good.
the dumb stories.
They'll tell you they'll tell you
shopkeeper?
these stories.
What's that?
Best shopkeeper.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Way up there.
They tell you these stories that kind of don't really have, like, they're just stories. At first, they're kind of like Aesop's fable kind of things, but sometimes they're a little fourth wally.
Yeah.
But then sometimes you find the stuff in the world that they're talking about. Like, do you remember the one where they talk about the child who watches his parents freeze to death?
I don't know if I remember that.
Like when you're in the ice world, there's a background of like a skeleton in an ice block.
Oh, geez.
And there's just like little nods like that around. Where the game falls apart is it becomes extremely backtracky.
Yes.
There's a lot of just going through the same areas because there's only a set number of fast travel points. There's not even one in every world.
What are you going back for, though?
To get the musical notes and stuff.
Okay,
So you'll
okay.
go back and like, oh, you have to get this seed or whatever, and then you have to go to this other area and plant it in this one
Wait,
time.
that's all required stuff?
Yeah,
Oh,
because
okay,
you are
okay.
still, even though you're in the Metroidvania 16-bit stuff, you're constantly going back and forth through these little portals. So like you'll be hearing 16-bit music, you go through a portal and everything looks and sounds different, and you can do something in the past that once you go back, and you have to figure out like, okay, how can I get to this area in this time era or whatever. It does
And you might get something like shoes that you walk on water, and so you go back to the water world and find a new path that is led out of the zone.
It's just the Ninja Gaiden stuff is so good and straightforward, and I think it is such a impressive feat that they were able to turn that into like the concept works. You are able to go back through all these areas and play it as
Just
a
the way the
Metroidvania.
music like switches on the
Or even
fly.
when you go underwater, the music stuff is awesome.
Yeah, the way the enemies transform.
I think the concept of the past looking like an 8-bit game and the future looking like 16-bit is really clever.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's just the Metroidvania stuff. I don't know if part of it is because they had to stay constrained to how these levels were in the Ninja Gaiden part. It just doesn't feel as like I love in a Super Metroid or Castlevania like this sprawling, map or whatever. In this, it just didn't
Not quite
feel like I
there,
was
not
really
enough
exploring.
to it, but also like you got to go. You have to backtrack a ton.
and then
Yeah.
did you finish it?
No, I
So there's like a huge exposition dump before the last boss. It's like a 15-20 minute cutscene almost where they
Wait,
introduce
no,
new characters.
15-20 minutes?
Did you finish it?
No, but 15-20
Okay.
minutes is a long. That's a
Maybe
Metal Gear.
maybe 10 minutes. Maybe 10.
Wow.
Like it's long.
That
It
is
is
long.
it is longer than anything else in that game that is like
Okay.
informational.
Jeez.
And it's like a cutscene, so it's not it's not animated or anything, but it's like screens with text and just
Wow.
like and it's introducing characters you've never heard of, and like it sets up the rules for this world that I feel like just is so arbitrary and weird. And then you fight the last boss, and it's so underwhelming.
really.
Like I beat it on my first try, and I was like, oh, there's clearly like another form or something here, and then
That's a
Wow.
bummer.
And then I think, I haven't seen it, but they patched in like a new game plus or something, didn't they? There's
oh,
like
did they?
There's some.
What is
they did?
What do you?
They added some
Oh, yeah.
updates recently.
And then
that I
like
don't-
the bonus. So there's a chest in the shopkeeper area where if you get all the power seals, you get this item, and so the whole game it's just like right in front of you.
Yeah.
And I got it, and
nice.
it's just a worse version of the shuriken. It's like it loops around you if you don't catch it.
Yeah, it's like the Ninja Gaiden
But it
there, where
has-
you jump over and yo-yo
yeah,
around
yeah,
it.
But it has worse range, and it just was like it.
I didn't get that far. Some of those were fun to get, like the
Yeah,
platforming
the
challenges.
challenges
to get those
themselves
things
were
are
really good.
awesome. Yeah. It kind of bummed me out after the big switch, as fun as that reveal was. But like, I would almost suggest if somebody wants to play it, just play the Ninja Gaiden parts and be done with it. You know?
I got up to the reveal, the switch part, and then I put it down and something else took over. So I have pretty fond memories of that first half, and the shopkeeper and the action in that game was pretty good.
You definitely unlock some cool new worlds in that Metroidvania part. Like after you slog through it a few times, like there is really cool stuff to be found there. And I do recommend this game overall. I think it definitely goes up there for best debut, best music.
Yes.
Does it go for best debut though? Because it feels like they don't really stick the landing on it in a way that
we
sounds.
can debate that when we talk about best debut.
It doubles back to the Yoku's thing to me of
Fair
like
enough.
really solid idea, maybe not fully made it there.
Music for sure.
Yeah.
And it seems like moment or sequence, like that first time that shit happens, that's something that's pretty memorable.
Totally.
Yeah.
Does it play the same when you get past the twist? Like,
Yeah, like it
the
controls
movement,
the
the
same.
movement, and everything is the same. It's just,
totally.
It's just the navigation, the backtracking.
Yeah, I thought it was actually going to do Raiden at one point, because when you do the switch, it like introduces this new guy who comes in with a gun and he's like a space ranger or something.
That moment is great.
I
I
do
love
like
that.
that.
You like become the new shopkeeper, and then you sit there because your hero is out doing the work, and you're just because like you find out your shopkeeper was the last messenger, and now that you've gone through the trial, there's a new messenger out there. And so you just like sit in the shop for a while, and then he comes in once in a while and like jumps around and does like stuff that looks like you would do playing it.
And they call him like Joe Metroid or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you think it's going to do this thing where it's like, oh, I'm shooting now. I'm doing Samus stuff. And then it's like, no, this isn't working. How about you go do ninja shit?
Nice.
What was it? It was music?
Yes.
Debut.
It's moment or sequence.
And moment?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You think style?
It's evocative of old styles, and the way that it blends the styles is cool, but it's not anything original.
Fair enough.
Okay. That sounds good.
Couple more.
Let's do one more and then wrap it up for the day.
Okay.
All right.
It's Destiny.
All right.
It is.
I see why you picked
fucking
that.
come on. It is impossible to overstate how much better Destiny is now than it has been at any point in its bumpy up and down.
Sure. I feel like that's the
Lifespan?
story of Destiny.
And I mean, like the whole franchise, not just 2,
Yeah.
which
I
had
think,
its own problems, which were the opposite of the problems the first game had.
they have been supporting Destiny 2.
But it's way more than that. Like philosophically, it is just a dramatically better game than it was.
They've done a lot. Forsaken does a lot of really smart stuff with just like kind of turning some of the quest design on its head a little bit, and giving you objectives in a slightly different way, like the boss fight stuff that kind of as you do. Like
the middle of the Forsaken campaign is like Mega Man. Basically, they're just like here's like 6 bosses you need to kill. Just go do them.
Yeah, in whatever order. I mean, there's a suggested order, but you know,
and they're all out in the open world. Like you just go find them and start them.
Cool.
When this came out, I'm still mopping up the stuff from. Oh, geez, what Warmind or the
Warmind's okay.
like
Like
the one before. Yeah,
Osiris is like maybe the worst DLC
So I
ever
just
made.
mopped all that stuff up, so I haven't even gotten into the Forsaken stuff yet.
Forsaken is a massive improvement. Like everything they've done in the expansion, like the content that but like the first half of it happens in this like ramshackle smuggler's den, hive of scum and villainy. But the second half of it is space elves. It's like space fucking Rivendell.
Wait, like new enemies?
Yeah, like they're like two separate. There are two new zones in this expansion. The first half is this like scrappy shit. The second half is like space Lord of the Rings.
Whoa.
And conceptually, that place is like the most innovative stuff they have done by far.
Would you say it's as dramatic of an upgrade as the Taken King?
So that's a different conversation, because they also did the Taken King thing of completely gutting and overhauling all of the game systems in tandem with the release of Forsaken. Like the loot actually matters again. Like I won't belabor all the details, but like loot matters again.
They
like,
changed some of the ways you are equipping weapons and how the slots work. Like pretty major changes to just how some of those fundamental systems work.
Weapons and armor have random perks again, so now you actually care. Like even if you get the 5th whatever gun, you care because it might have better perks than the last 4.
Cool.
So the thing that I noticed when I jumped in, you tell me if this is in this expansion, was the cost for upgrading. Like devouring your old weapons to improve
Yeah.
seem to have added other
Yes.
mats and materials.
They did. It's because they relaxed other requirements. It used to be you could only infuse a weapon of the exact same type. Like if you wanted to upgrade a hand cannon, you had to find a better hand cannon
Yes,
to feed it.
okay. Somebody else had to explain that to me.
Now anything in that slot can be fed to it, but to offset that, they raised certain like material
the
requirements.
other weird kind of knock-on effect that has is, so I played through Curse of Osiris and Warmind and didn't change my gear at all because I just was constantly feeding gear to my existing gear because
At
like,
the time
yeah, at
before
the time
this.
before that. It's like, oh, I already like the stuff I'm wearing. I just want the numbers to go
Yeah.
up because these have the, this is the exotic I want to keep
Right.
using. This is the, so by virtue of making that cost more, which is frustrating at first, it actually made me fucking wear other shit and use different weapons and play the game differently instead of just like literally just like, oh, numbers higher, same shit,
it's
same shit, higher number, let's go.
It's
Like,
Diablo now. You constantly are using all the stuff you pick up instead of.
until you get to the end game, and then it's kind of becomes a little more.
Still getting guns with better perks though.
I think I just haven't played enough of the new stuff to get enough of the mats because the effect it's having on me is just overstuffed inventory. Where before I would just be able to just easily
it in.
feed
I
it
think
in.
there was definitely a mental disconnect for a lot of people because they thought they were still supposed to keep infusing stuff, and that's
Yeah.
not the way you're supposed to play the
Okay.
game anymore. You're supposed to use all the stuff that drops, which is the way a loot game should be played.
Yeah, I just don't have-
philosophically it is more centered.
I think I haven't done enough of the areas to get enough of the
Yeah.
new materials.
Yeah, you
somebody
get a
else
feel
said
for that
you,
stuff?
you said they drop pretty easily.
Yeah, the other thing is they have rebalanced that economy since Forsaken came out, and it's just way easier to get those mats now than it used to be. I like the fucking list of changes and improvements is so long. But the thing I wanted to say about the Dreaming City, which is that kind of space fantasy zone, is that they have finally started experimenting with actual ongoing storytelling over the course of the weeks after the content comes out. Like it's not just you play through the story that's shipped and you're done. Like, there's a weekly reset. The activities reset every week, like your opportunities to get better gear reset. Now, along with that, they have started writing story that goes along with those resets.
Can you miss it?
Yes, but it's a loop.
It's on a loop.
So it turned out, like the
Just a longer loop
first
now.
couple weeks, I missed cool like weekly things, and I was like, "Fuck, man, I wanted to do that mission." Like, I actually got really angry at some of the stuff I missed until I found out like it is like I think it's a 3-week cycle. So basically, like every 3 weeks, it resets. The first time it reset, all the characters in the Dreaming City knew that it reset and didn't understand why. It was like fucking Groundhog Day. Like they were all. I mean, it's really dreamy, like.
There's weirdness happening
phasing
there.
in and out, ethereal, phasing in and out of existence, but it's just like I keep having the same dream over and over. Like, like I try to run right, but I still run left, and I can't stop myself. Like the characters are aware that this world is cycling itself, and they can't figure out why.
So they built in a narrative thing to explain the.
So,
Do you ever figure out why?
the community has a very well developed theory about what's going on.
Okay, but they haven't answered it yet.
If they are right about that theory, it is the craziest shit they have ever done in this game by a factor of 1,000.
Okay.
Master Chief.
So I'll give you the short version.
Halo Infinite.
It's a
okay.
circle.
The Dreaming City is like the homeland of the Awoken, the blue space people from Destiny.
Yeah,
Right.
That's my character.
They have lost the city to the Taken, the black interdimensional beings.
The one of the 4 bad guys.
To take the city back, they go there, but the city has been taken over by the last Ahamkara, which is this giant dragon. It's a giant shape-shifting dragon that grants wishes.
Oh, you guys know
Shenron.
about it, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Now I'm on board.
Its name is Riven. It has been taken.
It took the day.
So
Different
it is now-
planet.
So it is now
All
a
Dragon Balls have different
It is
names.
now a taken version of a giant dragon that is immortal and grants wishes. That's the boss of the raid.
Okay, so this is like it became a
So
undead.
so you kill the boss of the raid, and then after it's dead, its echoing voice still taunts you that like it's not actually dead, and like you think you don't even know what you've started type stuff.
So he controls time.
Kinda. It's a
Okay.
she.
Okay.
But so
Lady dragons can control time too. Vinny.
It's true. Sorry.
point being, it's a magical space dragon that like can't be killed. So this cycle keeps repeating and getting worse every time. Here's where it gets really insane.
Oh, we haven't gotten there yet.
No, that's like fucking step one.
setup.
Okay.
All right,
This
take-
is the
take-
theory.
take
This is
me
the
there.
theory. So the Hive, the space Lovecraft faction,
Yes.
like the Eldritch horror shit. Their religion is based on consuming hatred.
Okay.
They have a religion called Sword Logic.
So do I.
Their religion is based on hatred, and the idea is basically like they are involved in this invasion of the Taken City, or the Dreaming City, and the idea is that they are feeding on the hatred of this ongoing war that keeps looping
Okay.
because they're trying to resurrect their dead god,
Which is,
Savathun.
of course.
Yeah. So basically, the
You
idea
gotta read
is
the
this,
Grimoire cards. For,
these are like this is all coming from people who have dug like way deeper into this game than they ever should.
This is the only time I've heard any Destiny lore, and frankly,
it's insane.
Let's close this book.
It's insane.
Keep going.
The idea is the fan theory is that this loop is going to keep playing out until finally this hive god emerges because it's been fed so much hatred from
that'll be the next raid.
From all this warfare. Well, there's a raid launching at the time of this recording in like 5 days, so probably not, or like a week.
Is that the armory stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's a lot, and it might not even be right. But the fact that stuff like that is going on and people can speculate about it is like so new for Destiny.
There's something to actually latch on to there.
What level are you?
I mean, light level, like 595.
Wow.
Dang, dude.
Wow. What's the cap now?
600 right now. But I mean, the first as we are recording this, the first post Forsaken
It's like
expansion
season
is like
4 or whatever.
It's like a week away.
What was like the biggest cap in Destiny 1? Where did that end?
Well,
a couple
Destiny
levels,
1
like
is a
level
totally
30, and then
Destiny 1 is a totally different conversation.
Okay, I
'cause
don't
the
remember
power
exactly
levels
how
are
it
totally
worked.
different. Like Destiny 2 launch was 300, I think.
Yeah, 300. I think was the
soft
cap.
300,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Yeah. Some people could do like 310 if you did some bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be right. But neat. The fact that there is stuff going on and on an ongoing basis for people to dig into and speculate
That
about.
sounds really cool. That sounds like a way to draw me back.
But also
into
the thing I would say is like as someone who did not play the raid, did not go that hard on Forsaken, I think that the kind of written story content in Forsaken is really good as well. Like the revenge tale about avenging Cade is a hard one because I don't care about that character.
Not a huge fan of the revenge stuff.
But the structure of those missions, the things they do there, even before you get to that Dreaming City stuff, I think is really well done. And the gameplay changes they made around the edges of it are smart. Some of it is actually bringing back Destiny 1 stuff. So it's like in some ways, it kind of sucks that it took this many updates and stuff to go like, oh, we're just going to do what we did last time around. People, people seemed happier then.
They overcorrected.
Yeah,
like when
totally.
they made Destiny 2, they overcorrected from the mistakes they made with the first game.
And
now they're pulling some of that stuff back.
This is a really good sweet spot for Destiny 2 right now. I guess like my concern is I'm not convinced that they won't keep the pendulum swinging in bad ways.
So no, I am super confident because they put out like the video detailing like here's the annual pass.
Yeah.
So they're not doing the 2 small DLCs after this like they've done before. They've got what they call an annual pass now, which is like smaller DLC drops more frequently.
Part of the Black Armory thing.
Yeah, Black Army is the first one of those. The thing that they said in this video preview they just put out is they are not doing the thing they have done before of trying to make a little mini campaign for each DLC they put out because they seem to have realized that those are bad. Because you can't make a decent campaign in like 3 months, right?
Yeah,
that's a bummer as someone who primarily played a lot of that game single player.
Well, they're adding new locations in the existing like planets. Basically, they're not going to like try to add a planet with every DLC now. Like they're basically doing more intelligent stuff around adding on to what they already have.
So what would you
adding more mysterious stuff around the edges of what's already there?
So if you don't have that stuff, you just have access to the new battle zones, the new planets.
You mean if you don't have the annual pass?
Yeah.
Like if you haven't paid for the annual pass, you're not going to get.
But you're still going to get the level up. Is
the
cap going to go up?
All that stuff.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, but you get
it's always a little like the line of who gets what and when is always a little weird.
Yeah,
and there's always like economy changes they make that end up fucking over players that didn't buy the thing that they have to go, oh shit, and then
right because you still get all the changes with infusing and
that went out even to people that didn't buy Forsaken.
And there's like a new icon on your weapons. I don't know what they are. They're like
like masterworking is a way to level up items that you like a lot.
Okay, that new in this also.
That is no, they added that before Forsaken came out.
Right.
Like there's tons of just quality of life stuff around like keeping track of your weekly activities and what will get you quote unquote powerful gear. You know, the stuff that raises your level. Mm-hmm. Like it's much easier to say like, okay, I can do 3 more things this week to get stuff that matters. It's a lot easier to track that stuff. It's just
Gambit mode, the new multiplayer mode's really good.
Yeah,
there's
it's almost like a Destiny MOBA.
Yeah.
So does this belong in best ongoing game?
Absolutely. Like
sounds like it.
Without question, like they have reworked so much of this game, it's not even funny.
It's good shit.
The gameplay stuff you're describing makes me want to hop back in.
It is fantastic.
I thought I was done with that.
Yeah, because I sat in watching those early DLCs that they put out, and like none of that sparked my interest back at all.
Like I said, Curse of Osiris is maybe the worst thing they've ever made.
And
That's
real bad. That's the one. The last I played of Destiny 2 after being really into it.
It made me stop playing.
Yeah, I haven't really played a lot since Osiris, so it's good to hear.
And like Warmind is better, but I don't think it's like dramatically better.
Warmind felt very short.
Warmind's okay.
Do you have to play one of those before you play this?
I think you can eat like a little cookie thing,
Forsaken
and then
gives
like
you one.
level you up.
Yeah, Forsaken gives you 1 boost that you can boost a character to Forsaken level.
Yeah,
great. Anything
start
best
there.
Best story.
Best ongoing story.
I'm with Jeff.
Shenron and Black Sabbath.
No, that stuff. Like I went through all that shit. I went through all that shit to tell you how insane it has gotten.
That's
like,
mostly
I don't
fan stuff,
like.
too.
I don't even know if that stuff is real. Like just the fact that it exists is such a new thing for this game. Like I'm just trying to stress how ridiculous all of this stuff is. At
Now
this point.
I want Ozzy Osbourne to voice a character in that game.
But yeah, like
Thank you.
the Cade stuff is too uneven to be.
Yeah, it's like, hey, these characters that you have a hard time caring about, we killed one to like make you care.
Yeah,
You're
like,
like, nope, didn't work.
They don't do.
Congratulations.
They don't do enough with that stuff to make it matter. But all the stuff they're outlining for the it's all about fucking cool guns, basically. Like everything they are outlining for the future is just cool guns.
What's the cool gun?
I don't know.
Right now, what's the new hotness?
Yeah, what do I need to look for?
DLC hasn't launched yet.
No, I mean like
the
the stuff that's
Forsaken-
current in there.
This one.
I see a lot of people talking about Telesto.
Telesto was before.
DJ Telesto.
Yeah, no,
before
but like
Delicious.
in terms of the current meta.
yeah, it's
I
big.
just had one drop last week.
Yeah,
so.
I've gotten one recently too.
Telesto.
It's big in Crucible.
Is it a
like
exotic?
It's got great
Yeah,
It
bass.
is an exotic. I like the Go figure quite a bit.
The Go figure. Is that an exotic?
No, it's a
great
legendary.
Okay. Whew. All right.
Well, a lot going on in there.
So this is Destiny 2 Forsaken.
Yes.
Not, and there was one called Forsaken King?
No,
The
Taken
Taken
King.
King. Okay.
There's a lot of AK words.
Also,
in there.
like when you
For
ask
the
about
Taken King.
when you
Yeah.
ask about
Yeah.
when you ask about do you get the stuff for the annual pass?
Yeah.
If you didn't buy it, it's worth pointing out that the entirety of Destiny 2 is $30 right now
Right now.
because they gave away Destiny 2.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
right. Yeah, I do remember.
Like they've
seeing
been giving
that.
away
Yeah.
Destiny 2 and everything else
So
for it.
base
Damn, dude.
base Destiny 2 is $30, or you get
No,
all of
the
this?
add-on that is everything post base game is $30, and the base game has been free
Okay,
Wait, the
but you
base
don't
game
get
is straight up free? Like
on
if you
PC, right?
on PC, and I think that actually may have ended at this point. But it was
Yeah.
also free on PlayStation Plus. Like they have been throwing that game at.
Sorry,
people.
but I don't want to make this more confusing. Do you get the annual pass with that?
no, yes, that's $30.
So
Like, if
that's
you-
$30. It comes with Forsaken and Warmind
Actually,
and
the
Osiris?
annual pass might be more. On
This
top
is
of that.
confusing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
weird.
we're
Destiny is
we're-
confusing.
We're getting into the weeds on this stuff, but the point is, it's much cheaper than it has been in the
Right.
past, like significantly so, and it's dramatically better.
And it's ongoing.
yeah,
On
and yeah, they are supporting the hell out of it in a great way.
all right
Cool.
then.
Okay, all right, that's it for day 2. That was a lot of games.
Yeah.
Was.
It's sweaty in here.
Yeah.
Let's open this door. and
I
cool
wore my
off a
jacket
bit.
the whole time.
Yeah, why?
I don't know.
No long sleeves in
Prove
here.
I could.
Okay, well, we'll be back tomorrow with a whole bunch more games, maybe the rest of them. And then later in the week, we will move into those categories.
Yeah.
See you then.